Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 195. We have a wide angle here of handsomeness. We are joined tonight. I wasn't talking about you, Nate. Sorry. Yeah, very confused look by Nate at the end of the table here. We got returning guest Tyler Jones from Espinosa Cigars. He's been a part of the Bourbon and BS community for the whole time, basically.
For the most part, yeah.
Even before you were with Espinosa.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you were on the show actually before you were with Espinosa, if I recall.
That I was.
Yeah. So
episode 69.
Was it? Or you
it was. No, I actually
that?
was.
Right.
Episode 69. How do I forget
grow
that?
up.
How do I forget that?
And then also for the first time in the garage, not the first time on the show, but we have Hector Alfonso from Espinosa Cigars as well. He is the operations director / blender / many other hats, I assume, right?
All around general good guy. Yes.
No, that's not one of the titles.
No,
Not one of the titles.
No, I'm finally glad to be here. I've been hearing a lot of crap from Jack because Jack was here.
Jack was here
before me, but he was
live and in person.
But he wasn't on the podcast before me. So
correct. You were on the podcast with Eric, right? Remotely.
Yes, sir. I think, didn't I do one by myself as well?
I can't remember.
We'll fix that.
It all runs together here.
But were you here with Jack?
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't on though.
So you weren't here.
I was in the garage. I was in the garage.
We had Karen on, so
the aspiring author. How's that going?
You know what? I haven't. She's been very busy. She was traveling. She was in some sort of a like a bartending competition in Iowa or something.
Nice.
Like I don't know.
The Nationals, the Iowa Nationals.
Sure. Who knows? But I think she's doing well. I don't think the book is out yet. Obviously, when the book comes out, we'll definitely announce that and probably have her back on. That'd be great to have her back on.
I told her I'd buy a copy, so
you got to stand by it. And that's on record now.
Yeah, that's on record.
Yeah,
shit.
It's official. Tonight we are going to be smoking the latest release.
The latest release?
Yeah, the latest release from Espinosa until the next
until the next one.
Until the shipping gets its act together. But we have the Laranja Azulejo. This is something that landed not too long ago at your brick and mortars. Is it available online as well?
No.
It's all brick and mortar.
All brick and mortar.
It's fantastic. So check out your local brick and mortar. You can also check with one of our sponsors, Tinder Box at Easton. And since the camera's so far away, I'm going to try to hit these things. There it is. Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. They do have this cigar available right now in the Corona and also the Gordo right now. I think the Toros are already on back order.
Toros already we went through them. It was incredible.
Yeah, and these are these Toros?
These aren't Toros.
This is the Toro. So
no, this is Robusto Extra.
This is Robusto Extra. I'm sorry, a little bit longer.
How many sizes does this come in?
It comes in 4 sizes. We have Robusto Extra. We have a Toro.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Corona Gordo, and we have a Gordo 6x60.
Yeah. So
I can't take offense with that size.
What's that?
The Gordo part. Why can't we just call it a 6x60? Why do we got to name it? Why do we got to give it names?
Well, you're the one naming them.
I
mean, like isn't that you?
No, people. It's partly me. You know,
that's our first.
I like
6x60 in the Laranja and any Laranja line.
Yeah,
right. Well, actually, we made about 5 or 6 years ago. We did like a special Laranja pack for like shops for the lounges, and they had 5 6x60s, 5
that's cool,
5x6. They had like 15 different cigars, and we had a 6x6 in there, but it was just it wasn't
a regular production.
It wasn't a regular production. This is a regular production cigar. 6x60 is the 3rd most popular size right
now. It hasn't gone away, and I don't see it going away, honestly.
Toro Robusto 6x60. That's
when that trend first kicked off, we thought like that may be a few years, and no, but it's been around for.
And they got bigger.
And it got bigger.
And they got the April Fools. They actually put April Fools on it. You guys saw that, the 9x9.
Oh, the 9x90.
It was an absolute joke.
Well, the problem
is like a $30 cigar, $40 cigar.
Well, first
it weighs as much as 2 770s.
Well, the issue is they had the litigation because the estate of John Holmes didn't want them to use.
All right.
I'm sorry. Let's move on. I'm sorry.
So, like I was saying, Tinder Box at Easton, one of our sponsors, Columbus, Ohio. Check them out if you're local, or if you're not, they can be reached and then send out anything you guys really need within reason, obviously. But we want to get the Laranja. We're trying to keep it for the local customers at Tinder Box. But if you guys want to order what we have, like you want to order a box, we might be able to hook you guys up with that if you don't have a brick and mortar nearby. I know that's always an issue in certain states. You're not really local to that, so that's why you do shop online, because you don't have a brick and mortar. But support your brick and mortars and shop local. I also want to thank Altidus USA for sponsoring the show. You see behind us, you got Romeo, you got Monte Cristo, H. Upman. We normally have the second cigar of the night by Altadis. Tonight we're going to be all Espinosa
They're okay with
all
that.
night. They are okay with it.
Yeah, we're
You okayed it with Mr. Altadis?
We did. And Mrs. Altadis.
And
Mrs.
Mrs.
Altadis is a lot easier to deal with.
Right. But yeah, so thanks to Josh Bentley for all the hard work with that and everyone that pushed that one through for another year of sponsorship. We really appreciate that. Also, BS Cigar Company. The gold is all Plasencia. That's going to be more medium body. The silver is all La Zona. So it's all Espinosa.
Yes,
So
sir.
your guys' tobacco. You blended it, Hector. I remember that night. It was a lot of Cuban coffee, a lot of Cuban
Café con leche. Yeah, a lot of Cuban coffee. It was
Cuban
fun.
rum.
And there was a lot of cigars. There were a lot of dead soldiers in that. Actually,
Holy cow! When I show that picture to people, they're like,
I wish I
how many
still-
people were smoking? I was like 4.
yeah. The only one that came close. We have our California rep who we love dearly, Tim Wong.
Uh-huh.
who smokes
Shout out.
Shout out to Tim Wong. Smokes like 12 cigars a day.
Mm.
And when we did his peer,
Here, 28.
oh no,
Yeah.
I'm getting stage direction point. All right, so when we did our when we did our, it's not my first rodeo. All right, so when we did his, me and him sat and we went through about 12 cigars.
Yeah.
And that was the most I've ever smoked ever in my life.
See,
But
we were
this-
doing mainly like it was like you smoked
Yeah,
like a
just smoke
quarter of
this
a
much.
5x50,
Sure.
and then you put it down, and like we smoked a lot.
I'm
that
just
night.
glad
It was a lot
that
of fun.
we hit on something which was really good.
Dude, and it's unique. The BS Silver, it is a pepper bomb. Even Eric himself says it every time he goes back to it and smokes it. I know when you get a shipment and you usually dip into a bundle or whatever.
He says, "Bro, he likes it.
Especially
Bro, I
especially
like
that
it.
Rubito.
Bro, I
That
like
Rubito,
it.
yeah.
Bro."
That Rubito is
The
fantastic.
Rubito we did for
Yeah,
was a
Brian's
special,
20th.
Yeah, that's right. This is
Yeah.
20th. That was a special thing. I think you got an odd number of them in the mail because
We ordered 400. I think we got like 390 something.
yeah, I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened there.
But yeah, so thank you to BS Cigar Company, and thank you, Hector, and everyone at Espinosa for the BS Silver, all that hard work on that one. I do also want to put up there. I can't see this. I got to look at this here.
Yeah, that's right.
What am I at here? Oh, patreon.com. We have a little delay on here. My eyes aren't good enough to see that screen all the way over there, but patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast. That's a way for you guys to support the show monthly. We've got special prices on the t-shirts for Patreon members. Tyler, you're a Patreon member, I believe.
Yes,
You're
sir.
a patron.
And I just got my shirts in Monday.
Yeah.
Was it Monday? Yeah, Monday. And they are awesome.
They're great.
They are fantastic. Comfortable as hell. They wear great underneath the flannel. It's a good look. Flannel season.
Sported that on the Bourbon and BS
I
community
did.
page. I saw that.
That was a good pick right there.
It's
I like it.
fantastic.
I'm waiting
And
on mine to come in.
You wear it under flannel?
I like flannels.
Oh,
You like flannels?
I'm sure. No, it's
Well, they
Florida.
don't, you don't wear
Florida.
flannels
Who
in Miami.
You
do
wear
ya?
flannels with pajamas.
Yeah.
You know,
He wears it in
what are
bed.
you?
It's a nightie.
What are you in that tortured artist
it.
Nirvana thing?
It's
I'm
a
watching
nightie.
a lot of Yellowstone, and there's a lot of flannels.
There's a lot of flannel on that.
Yeah, a lot of
He's
Filson,
go-
a lot of flannels.
He's going through a cowboy phase.
It's
I
cute.
am.
It's
I,
cute.
It is
I want to
cute.
be a cowboy. Who sings that?
Also, so there are $5,
Toby Keith?
$10, and $25 tiers on Patreon. We also have a drawing for our patrons tonight from Espinosa Cigars, where we got a cutter and a 5-pack or something like that.
We've got
there.
a little variety. We went through our little our goodie bag there,
Yeah.
and we have a sake bomb Lancero, a 601 red Lancero, a Murcielago Robusto, and
That's a Robusto.
the new Espinosa Toro box press, and then something for my personal stash, which oddly enough, I have no idea what it is
You have no idea.
because it's so many
It's a
years old.
cigar, we know that.
It's so many years old. The cellophane is nice and yellow.
Yeah.
And when I was going on this trip, I said, let me take this because something to give the geeks,
Yeah.
the guys who geek out on that.
Yeah.
But I have no idea what it is, and we can never make it again. So
I tell you what,
So
I
don't
smoked
fall in
one.
Don't fall in love
Whoever
with it.
wins
I
It's a
smoked it
one-night
yesterday.
stand. It's a
I
one-night
smoked it
stand.
yesterday, and it was fantastic. So whoever's getting this getting a very well aged.
he's also
Beautiful
employed by
cigar.
Espinosa. That's
I know,
exactly what
yeah.
he had to say.
Got it,
Good,
higher
good
ups
move,
here.
Tyler. Good move, Tyler. Jack did a good job hiring you.
Yes.
Shout out
Also,
to
if you
Jack
guys
Trotty.
did want to buy a bottle for the podcast, you want to contribute that way on Venmo, it's at Bourbon and BS. That's a way to do it as well. And then we were talking about the shirts. I'm not going to be able to hit this one here. Anyone read that? By Jack. No.
Ooh, Chrissy Critchfield
Try
is
that.
watching.
Hey, buyjack.com/bourbon and BS. For the shirts, you got the red with the gray, like Nate's got over there. We've got that on there. We've got
Isn't there this also in the black and
we
silver?
got that with the black, the gray. We've got
That's what I
the
have.
when the world hands you some BS, light it up. We got that in a couple different colors, and then we have unveiling here finally the
Oh,
charity hot pink podcast shirt.
Breast
This
cancer
You went to the
awareness.
gym today, right?
Buyjack.com.
Yeah.
Put
And
your
some
jacket
tight
back on, bro.
shoes.
You're making me look
It's
bad.
a tighter.
This guy's wearing an extra medium.
It is.
What
I think this is a Nicaraguan large.
It's like, you look like a Hialeah Police Department officer. What is that?
All right, so I do want to say this one here. So the Patreon members also they can get this, but you can't get it on the patron pricing. This is going to be a pink shirt. It's got the pour one more, light up another. We'll figure this out together, which is the podcast shirt. And then this one's going to be $30, and $10 of that will go towards National Breast Cancer Foundation. And we're going to extend that because we had this a little bit delayed. We're going to have this all the way till the end of this month. So you got another couple weeks through the holiday, through Thanksgiving and until December. So if you guys want this pink shirt and to support a great foundation and charity, please grab one now while it is available and support a great cause. We appreciate all that support. We've already sold several of them. And when I find out how many at the end of this month, how many we sold, we'll let you guys know how much it is. It may not be a whole lot. I know we've done a handful already, 5 to 10. So hopefully you guys get out and buy these. Make great gifts too. So the holiday season's upon us. So if you think anyone out there would like this shirt or any of the others, check it out. So there you go.
As a guy who has a grandmother that was diagnosed with breast cancer, I truly appreciate that cause that you're supporting.
My mom
That's
survived
awesome.
breast cancer 22 years now.
Yeah. God bless her.
And I mean, it's just a great color. I mean,
It's a great color. It's a good look.
Yeah.
I don't know where the stigma
What do
came
you
from.
It really pops on the screen.
It does. I think you should put your jacket back on. I'm intimidated. I'm a little intimidated. I'm not gonna lie to you. The extra medium really got me threatened. I'm a little threatened. I'm about to be triggered.
I think it's a European
I'm
cut.
gonna get triggered like that.
Do we
All
need to
right.
switch you two? Or?
I don't know. I'm feeling very woke right now.
All right, don't get
That's
offended.
it's a
All right,
good
don't get offended.
It's a nice shirt though. It's a nice shirt.
So that
True
being
men
said,
really
now
think.
we've got that. Ryan Newman says makes your eyes pop. Thanks, bud.
Wow,
It's
sweet,
really sweet.
nice.
Sweet.
Internet.
Ryan's been on the
Who said
podcast
internet
before.
love is dead?
Yeah. Yeah.
Swipe right my ass.
For all your Cupid needs, Bourbon and BS podcast. All right, let's get down to this. The topic tonight for second, part 2 there is going to be Mr. Warmth. We'll get into why it's Mr. Warmth.
It's a misnomer.
We'll figure it out here. But
It's
right
so-
now, we want to focus on the Laranja Azulejo. And then also, Tyler, you brought Smoke Wagon,
Yes,
straight
sir.
bourbon whiskey. And that is out of Vegas, correct?
Yes, Las Vegas, Nevada. There's a gentleman over there that started this company, and he bought a bunch of old MGP barrels. And he started blending whiskey together. Cigar guy, too. If you follow this guy on social media, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but
You
just
weren't
look
ready
up,
for the interview?
just look up like Smoke Wagon whiskey. I'm sure you can find this gentleman. He's electric. And he does a great job blending whiskey. And me and a good friend of ours, Jake Sanders,
Yep.
cracked
Well,
open.
Jake was the founder of the podcast.
Yeah,
actually.
absolutely. And he was gracious enough to let me try his uncut cast strength stuff one night, probably a couple months ago, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's still one of the best cast strengths I've ever had. And so I was over in Rockford, Illinois, and I stopped at a Binny's Beverage Depot.
Yeah.
I
Huge
think
out
I got
there.
the last bottle that we did from Binny's too. It was like that Ezra Brooks exclusive,
barrel
right?
pick. Yeah,
the
barrel
pick.
pick. Yeah.
And so I stopped there. I stopped there whenever I want to find some odder stuff I can't find in Indiana or anything like that.
Yeah.
So they had a bottle of this, and they had a bottle of their small batch, and there was a one limit on the small batch, and I wanted to, break the seal on that with Jake since he let me try the
Absolutely.
other one. So I brought the straight bourbon, and I'm actually really happy with it so far.
Yeah, we'll get into. Well, why don't we talk about that before we get into? Because I think we're going to spend a lot of time on the Laranja here,
Absolutely.
having you guys on. So this is based out of Las Vegas, you said, right?
Yes, the gentleman who blends all this is based out of Las Vegas, Nevada.
But is it sourced? I think you were mentioning earlier that it was.
Yeah,
sourced.
it's all comes out of the state of Indiana.
Yeah.
It actually says on the label it comes straight from MGP, the
Yeah.
barrels he purchases, and he just blends everything himself and distributes it.
Hey,
He
take a
actually
look
has a
at that,
website.
Hector. Hold on.
Hector.
There's really no point you passing it, Tyler.
Yeah,
You're
that's
talking
true.
a
That's
lot
true.
closer.
I'm here just,
That is true.
So it says here on the back barrels are first hand selected from the top 2 floors of the warehouse to create a bourbon that has flavor, which is smooth and rich beyond its years. They are then expertly blended, creating a delicate balance of rye spice, sweet notes of corn with toasted oak and caramel. And yeah, Nevada H&C Distilling Company, Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's see. We don't know what that means, right? The Bibius. How'd you say that? You bullshitted?
Miss Mirandus.
Yeah, we don't know what that means.
That's Latin, correct?
I think so, but not Latino. It's Latin.
I believe it
Yeah.
means old wooden ship.
It does.
This is
Go with it.
46.25%, so 92.5 proof. And gorgeous bottle, it really is. Like
It's pretty.
the label on that is absolutely
You
gorgeous.
should see Tyler got that tattooed on his back. It's
That
very
would be
nice. It's
nice.
very nice.
It's a
looking.
great
Really nice.
tattoo.
So what do you guys think of this so far? You guys all took a sip yet?
I have. I took a sip. I think it's very nice. It doesn't have that kiss that the Critchfields introduced me to several years ago, but it's very nice. And it doesn't have that. For me, it's that quick heartburn. I know the heartburn's coming right. No, very nice.
Got a little heat, but yeah, it doesn't like burn on the way.
Doesn't burn
like,
on the way down.
Yeah,
It's got a more higher rye note or
it does.
or
That
rye
spice, yeah.
content, as the label says.
Yeah.
With a little bit of research I did on it, but I think it's really nice. It's got that good classic rye note to it, and it's just really nice, easy. I mean, it definitely. I don't know. It actually seems more like 100 proof more to me than a 92.5.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about that a lot on here. It's like with the proofs you can have. We have Ann on from Watershed. You know, she'll bring different like barrel strength stuff, and some of them do like it really hits you hard. Not just the alcohol content, but I mean just that flavor. It kind of blasts the palate a little bit. And then other ones drink really, really smooth. So I mean, we've talked about it just like cigars. You know, Hector, with you blending these cigars, you can tell someone like it's very full body, but it doesn't have to be harsh or like a lot of pepper or a lot of spice or like
It's one of the things. I mean, on the couple days that I've been out already with Tyler, it's something that we always bring up: spicy and full flavored. Not the same thing. They're independent things.
They are, and I think that happens also with the proof. A lot of times you will get that heat from a higher proof whiskey or any spirit. But this being said, with this one, like you're saying, it's not 100 proof, but it does drink like I think a little stronger whiskey as far as that goes, typically, because it does have, I think, that little bit of that rye spice to it. Nate, what do you think about it?
Do we know anything about like what that? I know it's a mix, but do we know like the ages, mash bills, anything like that?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
No, if you want to try to look it up here in a little bit, but what do you think of it, Nate?
I enjoy it. It's been a while. I've only had it one time. It is enjoyable. It's got kind of a lighter caramel color to it, but it's got that nice caramel nose on the note. Or note on the nose. There we go.
We're with you. We're with you.
But it's also got a thick viscosity feel on the palate. Like it drinks like it's very oily, and that kind of makes the finish and the flavor just last on the palate.
It has a 10W30 look to it. Yeah.
10W30.
More of a 5W30. But no, it is very enjoyable. It does go down smooth, which is kind of remarkable for if they're saying it's a high rye.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily get an overwhelming amount of spice. I do get some spice, but I also get a lot of caramel notes in it. But it doesn't come across like a high rye bourbon.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's not anything too aggressive in that.
I think I get more of the rye characteristics on the nose than I do on the palate.
Yeah.
I kind of get the soft honey note on the palate as well.
Sorry, I'm trying to share the YouTube video too.
This is delicious. It really is.
It is.
It's very tasty.
I'm enjoying
nice,
this a lot.
nice flavor,
Especially at the price
The finish
point.
is nice. Yeah, you
What-
said the price point was.
$34.99.
I didn't pay anything for this. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That's a great price.
That's a great
when
price.
It's a gift.
I mean,
It's on a
yeah,
show,
I
and
mean,
you get to drink, and
It's very nice.
Free is
Yeah.
always good.
yeah,
No, actually, the price point's great.
Yeah.
it is.
Is this available in Ohio?
Not to my knowledge.
I've never seen it in Ohio.
minute. So this is
I've never
bootleg?
seen it in Indiana.
It may have crossed state lines.
Did this cross state lines in your car?
No, it did not.
Oh,
God.
God.
What are those?
you know
blue
I'm
lights out
retired
there?
now, right? What are you killing me, bro?
OHLQ is on the horn right now. All right, so we'll get back to that a little bit. Let's get into the Laranja here as well. So this is the third iteration, not iteration.
Yeah, it's the
third.
third- it's
to
the
the
th-
portfolio, right?
the
You
third
had the
line,
Laranja, which
the
was just Laranja, but it's the Reserva,
The Reserva. The first one was the orange, which is the Laranja Reserva.
and that's what put it on the map.
That's
like that
really-
name, you
that's
guys
our
got ranked
flagship,
in
yeah.
all the publications.
We did. Everybody ranked it, and then everybody also said that they tasted orange notes and and citrus, which is fine. We don't, the mind is powerful.
You gonna
The
say
mind-
anything about that, or no? Is that it?
Listen, I I have a couple of favorite lines that I use. One being when the guy grabs a cigar like this. Have you seen at the shop? The guy grabs a cigar in the cellophane and he goes,
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
he looks at me and he goes, Nicaraguan. I said, well, the cellophane is. I mean,
That's Nicaraguan cellophane.
so the second one usually is the guy goes, how did you get this orangey citrus taste? And I told him the roller was having a Sunny Delight, and he spilled some on it. That's the only thing I can tell him.
Dude, Sunny D, man. I haven't had Sunny D in a long time.
Sunny D is.
I thought that was
amazing.
orange juice till I was 17 years old. I mean, we
It's-
were poor, bro. But
tasted good.
yeah, but no, I don't taste the citrus notes. Then I don't have a Monado S type palate
Mhm.
that I can taste, what fruit from what section of the tree was taken. But I will tell you that it is the Laranja was our flagship. It's our flagship. It was the one that put Eric's company after he went out on his own, put us kind of on the map. Cigar Aficionado had it ranked. All the other media bloggers, the guys who do the ratings, also ranked it very high.
Yep.
And then we kind of rode that horse. We rode that horse for a few years, and then we came out with Oscuro, which was we kept the Brazilian theme.
Mhm.
It was a different blend. It wasn't just throwing a Matafina wrapper over the blend.
Right.
We have a different blend, a little more heartier, with a dark Matafina. And that cigar was out for a couple of years, and then last year, Cigar Snob graced us with the #1 cigar, and then that cigar took off.
Oh, like wildfire.
For years, everybody spoke that Cigar Aficionado was the magazine and the ratings that moved the scales at the crash register. But props to Cigar Snob, theirs also as well did it very good for us. And we're finishing our last month. December will be our last month as #1 for 2021, but it was or for 2020 or whatever. But it was a really good year, and the cigar did really well. But we ran into a problem about November of last year. We ran out of wrapper.
Yeah.
And which is an awful time to run out of wrappers in the middle of COVID. I mean, COVID was, some parts were coming out of COVID, some parts are going into COVID, some parts are going back into COVID. So we were stuck like Chuck for several months. So the decision was made to let's do something along the same lines, with the Brazilian lines, and we wanted to do an Arapiraca wrapper. But at the time, what we had available was an Arapiraca binder. So we went with a Sumatra wrapper over Arapiraca, a different blend. It's not the Laranja, it's not the Oscuro blend, but just new wrapper on it. And we came out with this. This is I think it's somewhere in between Oscuro and a Laranja, closer to Oscuro than it is Laranja. Very toasty. The guys who smoked it before pre-release all loved it. We're very happy with the cigar. Unfortunately, we ran out of it right away when we were out of stock immediately after our first shipment. So we're expecting something else now in the next, I'd say the next, what's my answer all the time? How many weeks?
In the next 2 weeks.
In the next 2 weeks. But
But
in the next couple of weeks, we're expecting a shipment to satisfy hopefully some of the back orders we have for Toro. The Toro really flew.
Oh,
Yeah. So listen, I'm really happy with the cigar. I think that being that it was released a little bit later after the show, there have been some reviews on it, but you'll probably see more of the reviews next year on the cigar. But we're very happy with it.
Do you think this will end up on any of the lists for this, or is it too late?
It might. I mean, I think only 1 or 2 guys have had a chance to review it.
Yeah.
And listen, I mean, this since COVID, the lists are kind of fluctuating. They're kind of in flux. Cigars are announced at a certain time. They're shown at the show, but fulfillment doesn't come till several weeks after. At times, several months after. So it's you want to get it reviewed, but you also don't want it to get reviewed and then forgotten, because it doesn't make the cutoff date, and then it shows up in a year and they say, oh, but that's last year's cigar release. It doesn't matter. Look, it's a great cigar. We think it's going to do very well for us, and it's kept the brand going. And it's just another. I think it's just another feather in our cap.
I know at the Tinder Box, when we were out of the regular Laranja, this came in and it really flew off the shelves as soon as we got it in. I know Steve was telling some of the customers when we still had some Laranja, like, hey, they're kind of out of that wrapper, so get it while you can. And so they bought them all up real quick. And then thankfully this came in shortly after that. So it gave them another offering for people that did like the Laranja.
Not short enough, though. We were out for a little while there.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I tell people now, hoard it. If you see it, buy it. If you see it and you can get it and you can afford
Which
to have
one?
it.
All of them?
All of them. I mean, the Oscuro, I think we're fine on the Oscuro.
Screw, you're good.
And we're going to be good on this one as well. But if the Laranja, now that we found some wrapper several months ago, and after 90 days or so, we were ready to do the first release.
Yeah.
And we slowly started releasing some back into the wild. I'm telling people, if you see it, grab it.
The excitement's been there, though, especially from the retailer side that I get to see. Like everybody that I tell that I'm like, hey, I got allocated this many boxes. Would you like any? And they're like, oh, yeah, send me as much as you can type deal. I mean, the whole response with the return of the Orange Laranja, even though the limited capacity we have it in right now, has been phenomenal, and people are really excited about it coming back into the market.
Listen, we do a Cremo Connecticut, we do a Habano, we do the Murcielago, but this is the cigar that I think a lot of people equate to our brand. This is the first one that really turned the corner for us.
Well, I think, I remember when we were down there, that would have been what, 2015, 2016?
2015, 2016. That's exactly
when Brian and I were down at your guys' office there. And I remember you had the Laranja out and you hadn't released it, I don't think yet. Is it Caixa?
The Caixa was the box press. Yeah,
Do you guys still make that?
Of course.
Yeah, that one I remember, and Eric brought that out, and we had already smoked a quarter cigar of like 20 cigars or something ridiculous. And then he brought that out, and more whiskey or rum or whatever it was at that point.
That was the Caixa is my favorite of the Laranja.
That was such good Vitola. I mean, that was, I don't know.
There's something about 48. The 48 ring size in our factory kind of really is.
Plus, it was a box press, which Laranja was not.
No, it's just it almost made me regret that we didn't box press Laranja to begin with.
Yeah,
but we're happy. We're happy with the turnout. Listen, you can't be upset with where we are with that cigar and the accolades that it's received and how welcomed it is in humidors throughout the country. Now, I'll tell you that box press 48 and almost everything within 48. It's just kind of our sweet spot. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is in the factory or whatever pair is doing 48. We need to give them we need to hook them up with a certificate of appreciation.
Some of the stuff you guys do with a 46 ring gauge is pretty darn good too.
I really think as a factory and as a company, our smaller ring gauges are where it's at. But that's a preference.
I think it is too. And maybe, since you're kind of the source here, we've talked about it on the podcast before. One of the questions, when you're talking about taking a blend like the Laranja Reserva and then doing that Caixa size, when you make a box press, I've heard two different things. To make that happen, that they either add a leaf of filler or they take a leaf out. Does that happen, or is it just dependent on what you're trying to achieve?
No, in our experience, what we've done is when we're going to make a cigar and we know that it's going to be box pressed, our boncheros lighten a little bit. It's got a little less tobacco in it, but a little less enough so that when it presses, it doesn't crack, or even worse, it makes
doesn't bunch
burn.
up, and then
it doesn't bunch up and it doesn't draw.
Yeah,
and we are a company that as a factory, we're known for a very loose draw. That's what we like. We entubar, and we get a loose draw, and that's the way we roll. And I think what the factory's done with that has been great.
Yeah, the entubado roll is basically, there's different styles, right? So you do the traditional
entubado, right?
Yeah, and where you're basically rolling up each individual filler leaf, right?
Inside the bunch. Yeah, you have a rolls inside the rolls.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, like the two major ones, and you can correct me if there's more, but it's kind of like the accordion style, like I've heard it called, where you literally just bunching each filler leaf. You take one leaf, you bunch it, take another one, you bunch it, put it up against that. The entubado, where you're basically rolling that filler leaf and then putting them together.
Passageways. You see that
it's like straws, right?
Absolutely. When you see the cigar, you have passageways,
which that helps the delivery of that airflow and everything else. And you're still, we talk about this. It's like with cigars, it's hand rolled, handmade product.
Guys having a bad day, it's kind of tightened up, but but we try to do the best. We try to catch that in quality control. We have a draw test machine.
Yeah.
Cigar has to have a certain weight. If the cigar is overweight or underweight, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
If it doesn't draw, that's a red flag.
Well, and with the humidification changes too, coming out of Nicaragua, and then you get into the Miami area, right? And then you're in your warehouse that's climate controlled, and then you get on the back of UPS trucks, and that's not climate controlled. So it depends
the
on what time of
logistics
the year.
is wild.
Yeah. So you got container ships, you got all these factors, and it's when we have people that are smoking it, and then it depends on where they're being stored at the brick and mortar or at a warehouse, and that's getting shipped to you, and then how you store it. There are all these factors, and with that, and I learned this, it was funny from my past career in moving and storage. When you transport even wooden furniture is the same way, from say a cold dry climate to a hot humid one, or vice versa. You're going to have that expansion. And you're going to have that with, obviously, the tobacco. So when you have that in a mold and then it's sitting, it's resting and all this stuff, it's very controlled. And then all the variables are changing around it. You might have something where it's going to actually expand a bit, and you might have a little pinch on some of these, regardless of the bunching.
And unfortunately, we're our own worst enemies. Listen, when it comes in, I want to tell you that when it comes in, we let it sit. and then we move it to the humidor to keep it in. But we don't. But as soon as it comes in, boom, we're trying to scavenge. Hey, give me a box. I want to open it, make sure it's smart. And we shouldn't really do that because it's unfair to the cigar. I mean, a cigar that just got frozen, now it got transported, now it's here. Now it's sitting in Miami where it's hot in Nicaragua and it's hot, but it's not hot on the plane. And now it gets here and it's hot again.
Yeah.
And we're cracking the box open. Sometimes there's still condensation from the freezing. And we crack it open because we want to try it. We're like crackheads. We're like crackheads with that free rock. We're trying to we gotta get it. We gotta get it.
As a side note disclaimer.
There's no free rocks here.
Yeah.
And
that's not really what I was. Yeah, there's not that either.
Yeah.
Go on.
But we're the worst at that. And
same thing when they come into a shop. If you see like a UPS guy come into a shop and you're hanging out in a lounge and they're like all
crack it open.
Everyone's like, "What do you got? What do you got? What came in? What came in?" And if it's something new, especially, they're gonna be like, "Oh, let me smoke one of those." And you're like, "Well, it'd be best because it's December or whatever it is." And
especially here.
Yeah, I know. Here it's like they come in and you can actually feel like the cigar boxes are cold.
Yeah,
you take them out of a carton, right?
Welcome to the Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, so it's but people still do it, and then like they cut it, and if it cracks, they're like, "Oh well, the wrapper cracked." It's like,
that's on you, buddy.
Yeah,
that's because the cigar is like 42 degrees right now.
If we had the proper, I'm going to sell you the cigar, but I need you to fill the disclaimer out. Can you please sign this disclaimer that anything all sales final, then operator error is responsible for anything here.
Yeah.
So why did you guys? So that's something I think we can talk about with this cigar. First of all, there's marketing, right? The orange, it popped on the shelf, right? It popped, that band. You guys had just switched, I think, at the time when you brought this out to a new band maker, which we use for the BS.
The most difficult bands to get off a cigar.
Yes, these are for sure. And
Laranja bands are almost impossible. They're made from that cotton paper.
Yep.
And you would be surprised how many DMs we get a week. I'm trying to put your band in my band collection.
I can't do it.
I can't get it off. So I tell them, look, what I've told a couple of people is smoke it as far as you can. See if the heat will help it as it gets down to the band. The heat might help it. If not, slide it off the head.
Slide it off, yeah.
Then let it sit out, so let it dry a little bit, and you should be fine.
Yeah.
But the guys want it now because you know how it is. We want instant gratification.
Is this still made by Ricky?
The bands, yes.
Cigar Band Man.
Cigar Band Man. The Rubber Band Man.
Cigar Band Man, yeah. Ricky, shout out to him. I mean, he's a smaller operation, but you guys actually turned us on to him for the BS bands as well. And all things considered, I will say that the detail of their die cuts and everything else, the way that they do these bands, I remember seeing the Laranja band for the first time, and it was amazing. And then you came out with the Oscuro, which was a little bit more subdued with the darker colors. Yes. And then this Azulejo came out with this whatever blue you have on here, with the
does that look familiar to you? The blue across the Laranja thing?
Look at you said that it should. The sky on a beautiful day on a beach.
Think of Windows. Remember the old Windows when it opened Windows 95? The little windows.
You took it from Windows 95?
No, we didn't take it. But I mean, that blue is used.
Does Bill Gates know? He's friends with Zuckerberg.
Can we break the commercial? All right, so
Bill Gates is in a little bit of trouble right now, from what I understand.
He's fine. He's rich.
No, but we like.
He just got divorced, didn't he?
We like that blue.
I don't know, maybe, probably, yeah.
That's what I thought.
It's kind of like
it's a weird story. I mean, we don't need to get into Bill Gates stuff, Windows 95 was kind of a hit.
It kind of changed the world.
It kind of changed the world.
Nice work. I'm going to give you props for trying to redirect the conversation. I like that.
Thank you.
I like to call it computer blue. It's a lot of the apps on your phone are this shade of blue. It draws your eye. We like it. We like the blue, and we like the contrast on the dark wrapper. And
blue is, especially with males, is the #1 favorite color.
Absolutely,
it is. And so with that, marketing wise, it's brilliant. I remember, and this is a little side note, but when cell phones were the flip phones and everything like that, and they had the backlit and everything like that, and a couple of them, including we had Nextels at the time, and just that like electric blue light behind it, like it just is so eye catching, and people really enjoy it. And I do actually think it looks like a tropical sky blue. It's beautiful. But when you guys came out with this, why the change? Why you have that Laranja Reserva, which is the Portuguese word for orange, right? So then how do you do that? That's my question, because that's always kind of your worst enemy sometimes when you do a line extension, when it comes to that, when you have like a success like Laranja, and then you say, okay, well, we have a lot of success off of this. Do you say we need to expand this line Laranja, or do you say you have a cigar? I know with all three of them, you have Brazilian tobacco within the blend. This is not a Brazilian wrapper like the first two.
No, like the first two, because what we wanted to go with a Brazilian wrapper. We wanted to use Arapiraca. which is one of my favorite wrappers. At the moment, it wasn't available, and we really needed to step it up.
Mhm.
I mean, listen, we needed to fill the void that Laranja had filled in our portfolio.
Yeah.
So we went where we were going to go with a Sumatra binder over Arapidaca over Sumatra binder. We went in the other direction.
Or Sumatra wrapper.
Sumatra wrapper over Arapidaca binder.
Yeah. And then Nicaraguan filler.
Nicaraguan filler.
Yeah.
And this is a completely different brand than Oscuro. It's not just throwing a new wrapper and binder over the same wrapper. We didn't go over the same filler.
That's something that we get a lot in the industry, especially as a retailer as well, is, people sit there, like some cigars might have a series 1, series 2, number 1, number 2. You have Laranja Oscuro. People are like, yeah, this cigar tastes a little different than the other one. Well, it's a completely different blend.
So that's where I was saying you're kind of your worst enemy. The Laranja line, this one, if you just did the Oscuro and then you came with the Azulejo and the original Reserva did not exist, I think you would have a lot of people saying, well, I like the first one better. I like the second one better. The fact that this came out of the original Reserva, which was a completely different cigar, medium bodied, even has a different look to it. It's a lighter shade wrapper. But
and it's round. And round.
And it's round.
Yeah, sure.
But when you look at this, it's got, and again, different color wrappers, but you have that Oscuro is really dark. This one's pretty dark.
Not as dark, a little bit.
But it's pretty dark. But
pretty
if you
dark.
just had those two, that's what you do find a lot of times. I'm sure you've seen that. It's like, well, I like the original better. Or I like this. I like this more than the original. And it's like, well, they're two different cigars.
It's hard.
But you named it in the same
right.
family.
But listen, it's like Habano. This is a Habano. Well, which Habano is it? Is it a light Habano? Is it a Rosado? Is it a dark Habano?
Right.
It's listen. We have tried our best to educate. Especially when we're releasing something, to educate the consumer and our retailers on what it is, what we're going for, what we're trying to achieve. And yes, they're two different cigars. And like I said, it's not similar at all to the Oscuro. It's not similar at all to the Laranja.
No,
it's its own entity. It's its own cigar. It has its own identity, and it's with its own characteristics. So, that's what's going to happen. And don't be surprised in the future if you see another Laranja. I mean, I'm not forecasting or saying something's coming, but no spoilers. But listen, there's a lot of Brazilian tobacco out there that hasn't been used, and Laranja is
it's been gaining in popularity.
It's gaining in popularity even after after the reviews and after listen, this is Laranja Reserva just shows you that a lot of cigars, when they are out of sight, out of mind, they don't come back like that. Look how, and you guys as a retailer, you guys saw, oh shit, they're here. And boom, they were gone. You were telling me now that you went through 4 boxes in the first day.
Yeah,
after it came back.
Reserva, when it came back in, we have some of our locker members or like high frequency regulars that just, as soon as they we're like, well, we know this person's going to buy 1 box, this person's going to buy a box, and then like one of them bought 2 boxes, and it's like, and you run into sometimes when there's a delay like that, then people are gonna be like, well, does it taste like it did before? And I'm like, well, when was the last time you smoked one? And they're like,
it's funny.
6 months ago. I'm like, well,
it's funny you say that. When we read the Murcielago for the 3rd time.
Yeah, that is a third iteration.
But I think this iteration, and we're going to get to Murcielago in the next hour. I know. No, as a matter of fact, I'll leave that for the next hour.
Okay.
But I want it to be off of what we're talking now.
Okay.
Just an extension of that.
As far as when you re-release, well, we find that anytime you throw it, so if you were to reband it, you
never
market it, right?
You can never reband a cigar.
It doesn't matter. You could literally have someone like out of the same box, and you do it kind of behind closed doors. You're like, all right, smoke this one. And you take one out of the same box, put the different band on. You're like, all right, I'll smoke this one. This one's a little different.
This one's a little better. I like the old.
What do you mean?
Listen,
I like the old one better.
We have learned the hard way. I mean, Eric and us as a company have learned the hard way. Eric is a guy who's risen from. He's like the phoenix. He's risen from the ashes several times. 601 is a perfect example. The color band change, another color band change. Now back kind of the original band change. That band's never changing again because we can't do it because
change the box. Done.
You can't change you change the box, the band, the Vista, the size. You put a footer band on it, the blend is different. And listen, we're not in the business of arguing with our retailers. You guys are not in the business of arguing with your customers. If the guy says he changed it, you're not going to sit there and argue with him for 25 minutes.
We might talk about that with the Mr. Warmth thing. Is the customer always right?
Well, Mr. Warmth will tell you that's not true.
Sometimes you just roll with it.
You just got to roll with it. Listen, it's the same cigar, So,
so with this, and Hector, your role is obviously you are the blender or one of, like, I know you and Eric.
Eric, look, at the end of the day, Eric has final say on every cigar that we make. And I'm the one who goes to Nicaragua, and I'm the guy who deals with the factory. And
you're constantly working on how many blends?
And I've got something always in the hopper.
I mean, you had so that was one of those things with, like, when we worked on the BS Silver, right? That was that Miami trip. We're sitting at Hector's desk basically at this point. So we already had this, and I've told the story before, but it was, I mean, for someone that had never done this before, going down to Miami, new experiences for you too, Tyler. Now you're in the industry like this, but it's like you go down there, and Espinosa family is just amazing, right? So like they cater in food. Your glass is like, my glass, first of all, would never be like this. No. I mean,
good man. Good subliminal message there. Nice work.
I caught on to that.
Oh, I was keeping an eye. I was going to say something.
Doing that. So she was with the food, and Eric was with the liquor. Basically, is that your plate's never empty and your glass is never close to empty.
Listen, I'm going to say I'm going to say this, and I'm always careful about praising him too much because we know how humble he is.
Eric,
yeah,
we're talking about the same Eric,
right? Eric Espinosa is the best host. He is the greatest host ever.
Unreal.
I've watched him. People come. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a brand owner, whether you're a consumer, whether you're just a guy who works for just an employee. Are you hungry, bro? You want something to drink, bro?
Yeah.
Bro, eat. I got some food. He's the best. When it and he doesn't skimp on it. He wants to. When you leave, you might not have gotten what you wanted. You may not have struck the deal you wanted, but you left full, and you're happy when you left.
I didn't realize how strong the Cuban coffees you guys were making that night actually were, and no one actually said anything until I think I had like you want any more? Fourth. On my fourth, like, hey, bro,
jittery.
We killed that Havana Club, the Maestros, the blue one, I forget what else Eric pulled out of there, but I mean, like, yeah. So I mean, but it's like you almost like you feel invincible, right? It's like that's the reason that they do like Red Bull vodkas. It's like you're getting drunk, but you're also
invincible.
You're invincible now. But yeah, so I was like on my fourth one, and I think it was Eric Jr. And I was like, hey, just so you know, these are pretty strong. And I'm like, well, you say that on my fourth one. It's like 10 o'clock at night.
We'll see you in the morning.
Well, yeah. So,
when you're still here.
But my point of the story, not to go too far off that, the funny part was that Eric's like offended that I didn't take the keys to the Nissan Armada.
The driver. Yeah.
Dude, he was so upset with me. Like,
listen, he is. Let me tell you something. We are polar opposites, but he is a wonderful person and a great host. And listen,
he was offended because I didn't take him up on the offer in a sense. Or not
because
it's
hospitality. Listen, he knows he does things. He does things that drive me crazy, and I do things that I'm sure drive him crazy.
Right.
But
that's what works, though.
But if you look character wise. Yeah, not a lot of people.
And Jack's right there in the middle, right?
No, I love Jack too. Jack's become my best friend in the industry, and I've got to figure out how that happened.
Chrissy says Cuban coffee is why meth never took off in South Florida. I don't know the statistics on meth in South Florida, but I assume. I mean,
when I was on, not too high.
They have great cocaine there. It's fine. They don't need meth.
They do have great cocaine. Yeah.
Did you say cocaine? Don't say cocaine unless you got some.
There's so
That's my shout out to Jack.
The bump, right? The citric acid or whatever.
Right. I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway.
Yeah. So, but the whole point of the story before, because that was such a great highlight of my time in the cigar industry, but there's so many stories with that trip. But you're right. Excellent host. But my real point was that you were also an excellent host too, Hector, when we got down to the kind of the brass tacks of what are we doing there that night, not just to have great dinner, not to have great, drinks and company, and see the family, and you were there. But when we sat around your desk, I mean, you have that like humidor or same office now?
No, I actually have an office.
Nice.
I have an office next to him. It's the hand of the king. I'm like right next to his office, so I get to
same office building though, right?
Right, yeah. But he's I was out in the floor.
Yeah,
and I had a China hutch. Yeah, out of the bullpen, I had a China hutch.
So he has a China hutch behind him, and so like they had done, or they had at least labeled some of their prototype blends, because we told them what we wanted, and it was like, all right, so these 5 or what, it said, I think it said like BS or Tinder Box, whatever, and there's the code on there, and then we got through those, and then Hector's like, just all right, hang on a second. Leans back, pulls out a bundle. And he's like, all right, now hands them out. Like he's like dealing a deck of cards. You know what I mean? He's like, all right, now do this.
Here you go. Here you got to double down. You got a 7. You're showing a queen.
I just lit this one. Yeah, put that one down. All right, here, try this one.
You can tell. You give the guy a cigar and he likes it, and he's got that. You know that look a dog has when he goes up to a fire hydrant and that urine isn't his. That kind of look. When he gives you that, you're like, okay, he needs another cigar. Just got to give him another cigar.
So
yeah, listen.
So Hector's like, handing, like passing out cigars, and then at that point it became, this like, oh, we're kind of through. We had our winners or whatever. Night's not over yet. Now Hector's just bringing out these other cigars, and he's just like, now what do you think this is? I'm like, smoking a little bit. I'm like, well, kind of reminds me of like a 601 green. He's like, ooh, it is, but it isn't. I'm like, what?
You're half right.
What does that mean? He's like, well, that was the old, like that was with a different, whatever it was. Like it was a different
wrapper,
different wrapper, different binder. It's like, oh no, that core is like one leaf off. I'm like, well, I don't know. You know what I mean? I've smoked like whatever. 15
you want to play, man? You want to play? We play.
It's fun to see the passion, I guess is what I'm saying with this. Like, when you have these final products, you have like easily like I want to say like 30 different blends just working.
I used to be super passionate. No, yeah, but that was super early. That was a couple of years in. Yeah. We were making cigars. We were trying to make cigars for other people, so I had to have stuff online, stuff on hand to be able to have people smoke. Plus, I'm constantly. Eric will tell you if it was up to me, we'd have a new release every month.
Yeah,
because I really, I think there's nothing there is nothing better than giving your sales team options. When he walks into a retailer, hey, I have this, 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 and I truly believe that. But we've come a long way since then. Now we don't really have that. If you come in to smoke with me, I have some samples always.
Yeah, but not like that.
No, not like that. Now it's mostly specific. I'm working on a new project. I'll get a couple of samples in for that.
Yeah.
But if I know that I've got to do something for somebody else,
right,
I always have cigars lying around.
Well, it was a great experience, and I just love the fact that you have things working all the time. This Laranja, it's coming out of the La Zona factory.
No,
this one? The
original came out of La Zona.
Still does or doesn't?
The original comes out of La Zona. Still.
Okay.
The Escuro, because it's Montafina, we made it at Ocotal with AJ.
Okay.
And this one that has the Arapiraca binder, AJ has that, so we went out of his factory.
Okay. So that's something that you guys grew so quickly at a certain point. And I remember the story with the Murcielago, which we were talking about, not to get on that because we're going to wait on that one. But you guys turned to AJ, which they have a great relationship, you guys. And
Eric and AJ are peas in the pod.
Yeah. So, the fact that he has so much capacity to basically handle some of the workload, you just couldn't. La Zona's just not big enough for the factory that you guys own. It's
never going to be big enough for where I would like it to go, but it's big enough now to handle a portion of what we're doing. And anything that's a little fancy or anything that needs something a little specialized, we go to San Lodan.
So did you blended this one by use of the tobaccos that AJ has, correct?
Yeah. It's a funny story that I really can't tell, but but I'll tell you, it's going to be great. When I tell you, you're going to love it. But yeah, it's going. When we did the first cigar we did there was the first 6 provinces. And
that was the first one with AJ.
Yeah, the LHP was the first.
Really?
The first cigar we did there. So I remember Eric's like, "Well, don't forget to go, and when you're there, tell him that so he can. You want to make AJ part of the process because it's only the right thing to do. It's his factory." But AJ's like, "Listen," I go, "Hey, Wednesday, I want to come by." He goes, "No, I'm going to the States on Wednesday. What is it that you want to do?" "Look, I want to do this. I'm going to blend a cigar." He picks up the phone, calls his uncle, who works in the back and receiving. He goes, "Hey, God's coming tomorrow. Give him whatever he wants."
Yeah.
Don't tell me. Give me whatever I want. So when I get there, you're like, you know how you
people say like a kid in a candy store, cigar shop, like this is like a kid.
Yeah, you have that Bruce Almighty moment. You're like, you didn't say. Excuse me, Pedro. I need this. You see that pocket way in the top? No, but I have it on the bottom. I don't want the one from the bottom. I want the one way from the top. Bring me that, my friend. Bring me the red hair girl. She amuses me. Bring me, you're over here picking and choosing, and it was kid in a candy store.
It's kind of like an old school library with the ladders.
Yeah, it's like going to Hogwarts. Just you slide across. See what you got. Nice. No, listen, and he was. It's a privilege and an honor to get that kind of levity at his place. So I'm very happy with that.
Again, the gracious host type of a mentality.
And then after it's done, after the cigar is done, he's sending me pictures like this. With the cigar, and finally I go, "Can you just send me the damn cigar?"
Yeah, looks cool.
A nice picture. Can you send the cigar? We're ready to get going with this.
My reps are killing me about this cigar.
Next time you send me a picture, make it a scratch and sniff.
Yeah.
Why the name and why the blue? Azulejo.
Azulejo is a blue ceramic tile.
Yeah.
That's used in Spanish, artisanry.
Azul is
Azul is blue in
Yeah,
Spanish,
so
and Azulejo is blue. That
it's
artisan
like a white blue, like
looks like a China
decorative.
pattern,
Yeah,
kind of
it
like a
does.
China
Yeah,
pattern.
Yeah,
and that's where they came up with the name. We came up with the name like that.
Nice. It's
As
great.
soft,
I think
as soft as that blue is, it really pops with that gold and white.
well, white and the darker. I mean, it's like almost like a chocolate color.
Junior handles Junior Eric's son is usually in charge of like the marketing and the conceptual art. We have an artist, and but he's much better at that.
Yeah,
conceptually, what he's done. And then we went, it's not like he does it all, so he talks to us. But I'm thinking this because we were almost going to go with like a silver, because blue and silver kind of is a thing. But we wanted to keep it true to the line.
You don't want to step on the BS silver toes. I understand. It's fine.
got you. We didn't want any trouble with you guys. You guys in Ohio, we don't want any shit with the guys in Ohio, bro.
You never do, right?
That was a guy that big wearing a pink shirt.
All right. It's a tight t-shirt. Anyways,
right, come on.
That's a low
I have
blow.
some protein powder in the car.
You need to borrow some?
No. I use it to wash my hands. It's like that abrasive shit.
Gritty.
Comes out gritty. Hurts.
All right. So unless you have more on this particular cigar here, I do want to kind of go over the ratings at this point. So the Smoke Wagon, once again, the bourbon that we're drinking, right? That Tyler, you brought.
Yes.
Which thank you.
No problem.
That was the featured drink. We have the Laranja Azulejo. And we can obviously talk more about this. We're getting kind of to the hour here at this point with part one. And you never know what part two is going to bring, but we can keep talking about this stuff.
Something had a great radio voice.
It's
Part
great.
You should be
I
doing
should do
like
a podcast.
No, you should you should do like midnight, like classic rock.
He's a white Morgan Freeman.
White Morgan Freeman.
No, you should try to
Why
get
is
like
that
on
white,
some.
man?
You should try to get like on a one of those late hour shows.
Have you listened to Mere Stage?
This is on video.
Can,
and
can,
also,
hey, can you say
Yeah, I'm never
the Midnight Storm? This is the
I'm
Midnight.
surprised Steve didn't read the back of the bottle.
I did read it.
Yeah, he can make a menu
I
sound
read it
sexy.
already.
I'm not gonna
Where'd
lie
you
to you.
miss that?
I thought he was just telling the story. I didn't realize
I-
what he was saying was on the back of the
That
bottle.
is
I
It's
just
literally what's on the back of the bottle.
I got to tell you, I just can hear now. This is the Midnight Express with Steve Crane.
Midnight Express. All
And
right.
this song goes out to Rebecca from Jimmy. This is Send Her My Love by Journey.
Jimmy
You know-
misses you. Jimmy misses you.
Jimmy misses you, Rebecca.
Come back
If
to
you're near,
him.
if you're near a phone.
Send him a photo or a couple. All right, go ahead.
Can't, may I?
I'm sorry, bro.
It's all good. All right,
Whiskey
so we
bad
have
for Hector.
pour him
I
another.
knew this was a great idea.
Pour one more, light up another. We'll figure this out together. That's part two. That's why we have the saying.
I'm gonna wear this shirt in the second hour. Does he have elephantitis? All right, go ahead.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, Smoke Wagon Bourbon. We have the Laranja Azulejo. So this is where we get into the end of part one. I think we did this with you and Eric on the last one, where we do a rating. So it's out of 10. There's 3 ratings. So you rate the whiskey, then the cigar, and then the pairing. So there's 3 ratings of 10. So I think I'm gonna have Tyler go first.
Well, you know where Tyler works. Okay, go ahead.
I think he has rated every Espinosa cigar 10 every time.
Good man.
I try.
I'll have to check the files.
Yeah, you have to check the files on that one. Go back.
Roll
in
the
time.
tape back.
But now the Smoke Wagon, I really actually enjoy this. Hanging out with Jake, he tends to appreciate the little bit stronger stuff, the higher proof stuff. As we all know, and I tend to as well. But for this, even being like a 92.5, I'm really enjoying this as like just an easy, just goes down smooth. It gives you that flavor around type. Because that's what I like. That's why I work for Espinosa, because I like flavor. And sometimes with flavor, you get a little bit more oomph to it.
He read it right off the cue card.
Talking
But-
points.
No, I really enjoy this, and if I had to rate it, I'd give it a 8.8 out of 10.
All right, if Jonathan Aaron's listening, or Sean Anderson, drink.
Yeah.
Anytime a rating goes, they made up like drinking games this podcast.
They have really.
Yeah, that came out. Yeah. So
You-
like if it's
bro,
like 1 out of 10, but if we hit decimal points, then people
The
drink.
decimal points. is
Bro,
where it's at.
you need a girlfriend so bad. All right, go.
one bite, everybody knows the rules type deal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one
it's
bite, everybody knows the rules.
That's a rookie.
go.
That's a rookie score. No,
All
I
right,
have a
8.8.
professional. That's a professional score right there. Let me
No one's
remind
paying
you.
you right now. Well,
And
I guess you
then,
are getting paid.
yes, sir.
you are.
Hey,
I'm not paying
It's like
you.
being in the army, buddy. You're always on the clock. As long as the talent's awake, he's on the clock.
But the Azulejo, I honestly love this cigar. Like Hector said, this falls right in between the original Laranja and Oscuro,
Yeah.
strength wise and just smoking experience wise. And I think it really fits the whole trilogy now of the Laranja
Right.
lines because it gives that sophisticated, delicious experience that, this isn't, this is part of our Laranja line, which is the most expensive cigars we do regular production wise.
Yeah.
So I think this fulfills that price point beautifully,
What is the
and it stands up to it.
MSRP on this?
I think it's just like a
$12, $13, same as
Yeah.
all
depending
the
on
other
your
ones.
state.
Depending on your state.
But
Yeah,
MSRP,
MSRP
before tobacco tax, based on
$12,
the state,
$13.
Yeah,
yeah, at
which
the
is
highest.
what all the Laranjas are.
Yeah.
It's consistent
And-
pricing on the line.
Yeah, and I think it fulfills that market and that trilogy, and it fits brilliantly in there.
Mhm.
And honestly, I'd give this a 9.5. This
Okay.
might be my favorite Laranja.
Is that okay, Hector?
This might be my favorite Laranja.
going in
Hector
your-
knows
it's
what
going
my
in your
favorite.
file.
It's leaving
It's
room
going to
for
his,
improvement.
it's going to his
File.
permanent record.
He knows what. I told him at the trade show when we were smoking the samples of Las Seis Provincias, the new one.
Yeah.
I think that's the most brilliant cigar Hector's done to this day.
Really?
we got
I
to
cannot-
tell that story. We got to tell that
I
story. at the
can't
end.
Yeah.
wait for
It's a
that
good story.
cigar to ship, and I can't wait for consumers and retailers to smoke it because I think it's just that it's that special cigar that you don't get all the time, and there's certain cigars that just hit you, and to me, that's the one that Hector is just brilliantly crafted.
Okay.
Can we say craft? I don't know if our friends.
Oh, he's my friend. He knows.
Okay,
He knows we're
good
not.
with
We're
saying
not.
crafted.
We're not trying to handcuff it. We're just using it to craft. That's all.
Shout out Skip.
Yeah.
Skip my-
But no, I like I said, I think this is definitely a 9.5 in my book. I love this.
and the
cigar.
pairing out of
And
10.
the pairing, I think they go really well together. I mean, this isn't like smoking a cast strength level cigar, and this isn't obviously a cast strength bourbon.
Mhm.
So I think the strength levels between both cigar and bourbon goes brilliantly together. And I mean, I'd give this a 9.1 pairing.
9.1.
He's all about the decimal points.
Super specific.
all about
I mean,
the
Three
decimal-
drinks, thanks to Tyler.
Yeah. Hey.
All about the decimal points, bro.
all right, Hector.
Well, listen, I like this whiskey.
And you are a whiskey drinker. We've established that. If anyone's on the Bourbon and BS community page, Hector keeps us all updated. He had a mission.
Almost done with that
He had a
mission.
mission to get a bottle from a distillery from all 50 states.
And Washington D.C. I got one. From
And
that.
Washington.
and Washington D.C. So I have 51, but I'm almost there. I am almost
Puerto
there.
Rico.
No
We're
territories,
not
sir.
doing territories.
We don't do territories. And listen, I'm going to tell you, I love my people, but Boricua whiskey can't be that good. Puerto Rican whiskey ain't going
You
to be
have
good, dog.
strength. You have strength.
Do we
You
want
got
to try
strength.
whiskey
Let's
from
keep it-
Guam?
I love my Puerto
get
Rican
after it.
people, but let's keep it to whiskey. Let's keep it to rum and coquito. Let's keep it to rum
Love
and their eggnog. Listen, they make killer eggnog.
Really?
All right, yeah. Oh my God, they're
All
not gonna put you on your ass. Anyway, I prefer a little stronger, a little more burn. That little
Okay.
the hug, which I learned about from my friends in Kentucky.
Kentucky hug.
I'm a rye drinker. I like rye more than straight bourbon.
Sure.
I think this is a good whiskey. I think I would rate it somewhere around a strong 8.5. You know, if we're doing decimal, if we're doing
You can do
percentage,
whatever rating.
I'm gonna go 8.5125. No, 8.5. I think it's I think it's very good. As for the cigar, listen, it's hard. You know, which one of your kids is your favorite?
Right.
Oh, none of my kids are. No, you have a favorite.
I don't
everybody,
have kids.
everybody has a favorite.
I'd
You-
probably have.
and you know who you are, honey. You know
How
who
many
you are.
kids do you have, Hector?
3 twin girls and a grown ass man who I love dearly.
If the warehouse caught on fire, there's a box you're grabbing.
There's a box I'm grabbing, and
Or a
yes,
kid.
and a kid. The kid. Where's
Kid.
the other one? Where's the other one? No, I love my kids. I do, but they're
I only
this.
have 2 hands.
I only have 2
Cigars and a
hands,
kid.
and you're big. You got to
Right?
grab your sister. Grab your sister and let's go. As for the cigar, listen, I just recently the cigar was reviewed by somebody, and listen, cigar reviewing is subjective. You know, you may have had a bad day. You might have acid reflux that day, or you just might have a shitty palate. But
You're just wrong.
or you're just wrong. I love the cigar. I think the cigar is, and most importantly, it's exactly the cigar we wanted. This is the cigar we wanted, which I
Nice.
think when you're working for a company, you're looking for, this is the one, this is the nail on the head we wanted to hit. This is the one we wanted. I think it's not for everybody, but no cigar is for everybody.
Right.
One of the hardest things I ever had to do, Eric said, we're going to make a Connecticut. So we're going to Nicaragua and make a Connecticut. And the first question I thought, is it good? Well, you're asking the wrong guy because I don't smoke Connecticut. But I guess it was good. Crema's done very well.
Yeah.
So, and Themis did very well. So we're doing good with that. I think this is a cigar that we wanted. I think it's exactly on point. Eric likes it, which is the most important thing. Eric likes it, and he got behind it. And it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But if you like a toasty, smoky, medium plus, and you like Sumatra and you like Arabiaga, because a lot of guys don't, there are a lot of guys who have flavor preferences and tobacco preferences. Some guys don't like this.
That's
Some
why
guys
there's so
don't.
many options, even in your own portfolio, right? I mean, that's just how it
Yeah,
works.
variety is the spice of life. And I think this is, I don't want to say it's an ultra sophisticated cigar. It's not. This is a cigar that's hearty. I think it's chewy. I think it has a lot of body, and I don't think it's as peppery as a lot of the stuff we've done. And I think it's something that you have to have I don't want to say you have to have a refined palate, but your palate can't be in your ass. So I think it's important that that this is a cigar. When it hits the right palate, it's going to be appreciated.
Before we get to, let's do the
I
pairing.
think I think
What
pairing wise,
what was the number on the cigar?
it's hard to me to judge my kids. I think this cigar is a solid 9.
Okay.
It's
Solid
a
9.
A solid 9.
No decimal.
Now, for the pairing, I think the cigar is a little stronger than the whiskey. I have more residual from the cigar than I do from the whiskey. I think a stronger whiskey would have maybe muted the cigar a little bit. You don't want to get it muted, but you want them to be in perfect harmonic balance. So I would say pairing wise, it's like an 8.
Okay.
But still a good time, enjoyable time. Hey, I'm going to have Laranja. We're going to do Azulejo in this whiskey. Sign me up, especially if the bottle's free. Am I right?
Thanks, Tyler.
Am I right?
I haven't
No
paid for
problem.
anything tonight.
That's the way to go. That's to be successful.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Before we get to you, Nate, I do want so Sean, who's been on the podcast before, I'm going to hand him my microphone. He's kind of, he's been in the cigars for some time, a couple years. So to give everyone kind of a different perspective on it, you are drinking the whiskey as well, right? So, and again, Sean's been on before, but here you go. Don't walk too far with that.
I won't. Good. I'm not in the shot. That's good. The cigar, you said it's not that peppery.
I don't think it's that peppery. We make others that are much more peppery.
Yeah, that was peppery as shit for me, but that's okay. That's all right.
Okay.
It's a good. I love the cigar. I was getting ready to sneeze a little bit, a couple times, but no, I really enjoyed it. And as I got going more into the cigar, you definitely get a lot more flavors. And I retrohale almost every time, and
That's great.
And the tastes and the flavor of it definitely is completely different than when you just smoke and blow it out. So I love the flavor that's coming on along with the pepper. I don't mind pepper, but anyway,
Don't smoke a BS Silver Rubito.
no, I'm good. That's my next one. But anyway, I'm all pepper tonight.
Get the
Fuck
man
it.
some tissue.
But the whiskey was really good. I definitely got like almost butterscotch and caramel in the nose, and mostly
That's butterscotch. I couldn't
yeah.
put my finger on it. You're right.
and mostly caramel on that when I was drinking it. And so the cigar, I'd probably give it I'd give it an 8, and then an 8 as well. But for me, pairing, I really enjoyed it. I like the smooth and the spice. For me, it's sweet and spicy kind of a thing.
Sure.
So I'm giving it an 8.5 overall for the rating. So
That's
I
a
think
good rating.
they pair well together. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for giving that back.
Our audience participation number is outstanding.
Isn't that great?
That is outstanding.
Nathaniel,
And next
what
on
do
the mic, put your hands together for Rachel. Rachel.
Nate.
So I'm gonna start my pairing.
Other Nate. Sorry, Nate.
I'm
We
gonna
have a
start-
Nate in the audience also. He got excited.
I'm gonna start my pairing by wishing my wife happy birthday today.
Wait.
You could have led the show with that.
No.
I didn't get a chance to get that in. So
Would you?
Happy
10
birthday,
out of
Mrs.
10.
Hale.
10 out of 10.
On the
for
happy
life.
birthday. It's
Yeah,
10 out of 10.
yeah.
10 out of 10 on the happy
Well
birthday.
played. Well played.
Well played, sir.
Attaboy.
Stay up late tonight, honey. All right, go ahead. I'm coming in a bow.
So on the whiskey, I'm going to give the whiskey an 8. I actually liked it more this time than I remember when I had it the first time about a year ago at an event. It just came across a little sweeter this time. It could be different batch, so that might have something to do with it. But yeah, good bottle. Not available in the state of Ohio. I did look that up.
Hide that bottle down.
The cigar, I'm going to give the cigar a 9, and
Keep him around.
I'll say so.
You can stay.
So one of the things I started doing last year was I would keep track of new cigars that came out that year that were
Right.
available at the shop.
Right.
And like I would, at the end of the year, I would do like my top 5. And after I smoked a couple of these, I noted this one that this is going to definitely be in my running for top 5 at the end of the year. With the new cigars that have come out that the Tinder Box has gotten in, this is definitely going to be in the top 5. Just where I know the first couple I had, what really surprised me is when I first lit it up and it was my first cigar of the day, I got this nice little nutty sweetness to it right off the get-go. And then that just kind of went away and it had, all these nice earthy flavors. And I just really enjoy this smoke. So definitely a 9 on the cigar. For the pairing, I actually like the pairing. I give the pairing a 9 as well. There was a time where I kind of let off the whiskey and was just concentrating on smoking the cigar.
Yeah.
And then went back to the whiskey. And after smoking the cigar for so much, the whiskey actually tasted sweeter when I came back to it. It had a thicker flavor, that thicker caramel flavor to it. So I think it's really enjoyable. It's not overly spice going, from one to the other, which sometimes we get when go to cigar whiskey or whiskey cigar. Sometimes it's just a lot of spice on the palate, or a lot of heat. But this pairing, it didn't do that. It just got more sweetness out of the whiskey.
My man. Ain't no Mickey Mouse pairing, that's for sure.
Whoa.
What's up with that?
I do want to.
Would you like to start
not
your
that
Would you like to start your own
point
review
out-
site? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I'll
I
let
don't
you
know
know
how you
after.
did. How'd you do with your band there, Nate?
My
Clean?
band came off perfectly.
Oh, I had to finesse it a little bit. Tyler, how are you?
No, you just ripped it.
No, I see a little bit of
No,
I don't know what you're saying.
Mine
Did
came
Hector
off.
just see mine didn't slide off? Mine
Mine didn't slide off. I pulled it off.
pretty
But
clean.
mine came
All right,
off.
you must know what you're doing there.
Everybody's a fucking critic these days.
I'm just saying.
Listen, when I started working with
Well,
Eric,
someone had made the comment, that infamous Espinosa glue.
when I started working with Eric,
That's
when I
not
started
bad.
going to Nicaragua, I
Looks
spent
good.
I spent a day with the ladies doing this, a day in the material. I saw how they do this. I mean, you should see me. I can band cigar. I do all kinds of shit, but I learned how to just get it down and slide it off.
Sometimes you got to be delicate. You know what I mean? You got to slow down a little bit. Tyler, you
Right.
just can't just rip it off like
You
that,
can't.
know what I mean?
They're not tassels.
Sometimes you have to have a little finesse, a few compliments.
Rip it off like a band-aid, bro.
Easy.
First, you have to talk to King is too poppy. Who is your daddy?
Okay? Yeah, sweet talk it a little bit.
That's right.
The whiskey, I'm gonna give it an 8. I think this is, I was really surprised by it. I do think I guess I'm a little bit different with it. I do get a little bit more that warm spice. It's not spicy, it's not hot, it's just got this warm linger. Maybe not the Kentucky hug down in the chest, but it is up
That
in the
rye.
palate. You know what I mean? It's got
That's that high.
real
No, and
nice-
I don't
high
get it. I don't
right.
get that hug, which
Yeah.
is okay. I mean,
but it's got this very rich flavor. I mean,
Retro
it's surprising. I'd love to know some of the age statements a little bit more about the whiskey itself. But I got to tell you, if you find this bottle wherever you're at and it's in that $30 to $40 price range,
Oh,
I
I'm getting more of this.
I don't think you're going to be
but not in
disappointed.
Ohio.
Not in Ohio.
Not in Ohio.
But I mean,
Perks to traveling.
so with that, I mean, coming out of the MGP, which is where we assume it's coming out of, right? I mean, it's MGP. They if he's blending the stuff himself, if you will, he's done a great job with this. I think this is a really enjoyable glass, enjoyable bottle. I think this is something you can sip on neat, and it's a bit unique. It's not like a lot of the things on the shelf, especially at that price point.
Right.
I mean, you said it's 30, 35.
This is 35. The small batch is 55, and then the uncut cast strength is 75.
And so
And they actually have a website. If you go to their website, they actually sell. If you're in a state that allows you to ship alcohol, they actually ship from their website. So you
Okay.
can go on their website. And those are the prices on their website.
Direct to
so,
consumer.
Direct to consumer.
hey,
I will say, so
Beautiful
like
thing.
at that, what is it, 92 and a half, I think this is something that's coming in that's going to, again, be a very enjoyable bottle. And if you throw in a $35 price tag on it, right
one of
now,
the best $35
right now in
bottles
the
I've had.
market, it's tough to find something that I think has the characteristics of that are like this, less than $40 or $50. I really do, just because of all the things that are going into the cost of bourbon, how it's gone up in price. And then you have, whether it be the small operations, they have to charge more, because they are sourcing it, they're buying the barrels, they're doing all this stuff. I'm very, very impressed with this bottle for what it is.
I have a lot of friends in the bar industry, and in the cigar bar industry and all that stuff. And a lot of them are telling me, if you can find Smoke Wagon right now, grab it up, because it's going to be one of those, and it's already starting to get hard to get. Especially when you go into a Binny's Beverage Depot and it's in their 1 per cabinet.
Yeah.
And it's their small batch and they're uncut.
It's going to have a huge
you can buy
following
as
if it
many of
blows
this,
up, yeah.
but the other ones, they're already blowing up. So it's only a matter of time before this thing probably hits $50 a bottle.
And I mean, again, the marketing behind it, like we're smoking the Laranja series here. And I mean, just the two of them together, just by look, I mean, a lot of attention to detail as far as the presentation of the bottle.
It's
the
a beautiful
color
bottle.
Of it.
That's a
Look
really
at the
nice
color of that. We didn't really talk about it.
The front label almost reminds me of like how they do like Eagle Rare.
Yeah.
How it has that kind of like,
Almost got the classic like wine bottle look
to
it too.
It's got that Eagle Rare look, which Eagle Rare is still one of my favorites.
And again, same price point. So with the cigar, I'm with you guys. I'm a 9 on this. I was extremely pleased with this. The Laranja, like most people that smoke the Laranja Reserva, the original, very unique, very enjoyable, very well deserved of the ratings in the industry.
Thank you.
Being so high. If not, it could have been a little bit higher on some of those lists, in my opinion. The Oscuro, when it came out, it was something that I'm like a lot of people. It's like going off the Laranja Reserva to the Oscuro. I'm like, oh, this is completely different.
It's a little bit of a step up.
And a completely different note.
And it's on a different spectrum. It's completely on a different spectrum.
And that
which was
one's
his intention. The intention was for it to be a little more full-bodied.
It's got power to it, the Oscuro. This one, when it came out, and I was talking to some friends or customers and everything else, and talking about, like, they're like, how is it? I'm like, it is kind of in the middle. It's a very balanced cigar. It's got a lot of flavor.
You don't taste seafood, shellfish and saltines on it?
No, I'm allergic to shellfish, so
good.
maybe
and you're alive, which is good. That's good.
Is there shrimp in this?
There's a little bit.
All right.
The guy had a shrimp cocktail the day he was rolling.
Nice.
I think I'm glad you said that, but it's just something. Oscuro was meant to be a completely different cigar. It was meant to take you to the other spectrum.
The Laranja Oscuro is not one that I go to on a regular basis. Laranja, now that it's back in, I did smoke one yesterday for Tasty Tuesday. I did enjoy that again, smoking it. Really enjoy that profile, the strength. It is an everyday smoke.
That's my desert island cigar.
Yeah, Laranja Reserva.
Laranja Reserva.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something you could smoke in the morning, at the end of the day, middle of the day.
That's your desert island smoke, really?
It actually is. Yeah.
That's a great topic. Desert island smoke.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
This one, I will say, you guys didn't touch on it. Maybe it is the pairing, but this is not the first one I've smoked of the Azulejo. This one builds on my palate. It lingers. It's something that as I'm smoking it, not necessarily getting stronger, not necessarily super complex as you smoke it, but there is a building factor to it. And I don't know exactly if it's just pure flavor.
I like to call it dynamic. I know that
dynamic.
It's dynamic. It grows and grows and grows. And
it's not building in strength. Like I'm starting to feel it more, but it's just on the palate. It's just kind of getting richer and richer and richer. And that leads me into the pairing. I'm going to give the pairing, I'm going to go back down to an 8 on the pairing, because I kind of agree with, it was kind of alluded to, is that it might go better with something else.
Something a little stronger.
This is a lot of flavor. The pairing is a lot of flavor. I mean, this is something that, as we're talking about it, I need to keep going to water, not because my mouth's getting dry, but it's just a lot going on. It's a ton of flavor on both of these selections. The cigar is just a shit ton of flavor.
It just might be too dynamic for some people. That's all.
It may be, but like,
you got a bottle behind you that might be a little tad bit stronger from the same family.
I'm not even talking strong. I don't know. I don't know if I want a stronger whiskey. I don't know if I want a little bit lighter, because there is a lot. So that's why I give it an 8, because it's a little, I want to say a little much, but for some people it might be a little much for a pairing. It's
a little overpowering.
Too much. It's funny. Too much flavor to just sit back and enjoy. This is a nightcap pairing.
I think the cigar might be a little relentless. It just grows and grows and grows.
Much flavor.
Yeah, it really does grow.
So
it's not for everybody.
But like I said, the cigar 9, the bottle, what I say, an 8.
Yeah, you said an 8 on the
8, 9, and 8.
And an 8 on that. Yeah. And I don't say that the bottle takes away from it, but I'm just saying there's definitely some better options out there to pair with. And rightfully so with the whiskey. I mean, there's probably other cigars
Absolutely.
that would pair. In fact, if we're going to pick from this lineup, I would do a Laranja Reserva with this bottle probably before I'd pick the other two.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
So that being said, we're going to round out part one. We're going to get into part two, learn a little bit more about Hector, his pathway to the cigar
We're gonna need more whiskey.
industry, why he has the nickname of Mr. Warmth, which is the topic. But before we do that, I do want to thank, and again, going back to the eyes here, don't know what I'm clicking on now. Don't know what that says. Oh, we'll start with that. Patreon.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. That's a way for you guys to contribute. We're going to do a drawing for the patrons here in the intermission. If you guys are listening on the audio, you're driving down the road, you're listening to this after the fact, we always have a little bit of intermission that sometimes we give some more history, some more fun facts. We answer some questions, all of that fun stuff. And this time we're going to do a drawing here for the patrons. Also, if you guys want to buy some bottle or just do a one-time contribution, Venmo @Bourbon and BS, and that also helps support all this stuff because obviously none of this is free to host and do all this stuff. So we appreciate all that support.
Do you guys valet?
Yeah, I'll get someone out there.
Okay,
Yeah, Tony will
Tony, get my
Tony will pull.
Big Tony Gomez here.
He's got a permit, but it's Tyler's car. Don't worry about it.
It's all right. It's already beat up. There's not a sign on the car. Hasn't been hit yet.
I do want to
Yeah, you got a point.
Tinder Box at Easton, Columbus, Ohio, kind of the hub of this whole show. The Laranja Azulejo is available right now there in two sizes: the Corona, is it Corona or Corona Gordo? Corona Gordo, and then also the Gordo, and also the Toro, soon to be back on the shelves, hopefully as soon as we get it. But definitely check out your brick and mortars for that. Altadis USA, thank you, Josh, and everyone at Altadis USA for the support. You guys are amazing for another year of support of the show. We're going to get some new banners hopefully here soon. BS Cigar Company, Placencia on the gold, and also obviously Espinosa on the silver. We kind of went into that story a little bit if you're just tuning in now on
Proudly made at Lazona.
Proudly made at Lazona. If you want some pepper to that, a little bit fuller bodied cigar, that BS Silver is definitely a pepper bomb and extremely popular. I also want to mention, and I'm going to miss it here. Yeah, no, I got it. Man, throwing strikes here.
How does
man.
he see that?
I don't. I'm just.
He's guessing.
It's like
Yo, I got
I'm
great
just throwing
eyes,
darts.
and wow.
Throwing darts blindfolded and hitting the bullseye every time. Buyjack.com. If you're listening, it's byjack.com/Bourbon and BS. So I know you guys have bought some of the shirts. You got the red BS Focus on the Silver Lining. We have that in a few colors. Also, when the world hands you some BS, Light It Up. That's the 2020 shirt. That's in a few different colors. And then pour one more, light up another. We'll figure this out together. That's the podcast shirt. Comes in, I think, 4 different colors, as well as the special limited edition one I'm wearing right now, which is the charity pink for the National Breast Cancer Foundation. For every shirt you buy in this pink, now, basically, since it was available till the end of the month, we're going to have that available. It's $30. $10 of that $30 goes towards that foundation to support that cause. So hopefully you guys buy it for yourself, buy it for anyone else. Again, just a great cause, makes for a great gift. And obviously it looks just amazing.
You do. You look hot.
Hot pink.
Yeah, and I'm a Shiite heterosexual, and that's serious.
Yeah. We already had one sold during the show.
I want to, if we get a minute, if we get a minute, I'd like to show you. I don't want to say Nate liked the cigar.
Wow.
But if he had a roach clip, he would still be smoking this.
It's not going any further.
Well, I do have a cigar pin.
Jesus Christ, man. You know we have more, right?
And
I work for the company. I'm dubbing mine.
With that being said, on buyjack.com/Bourbon and BS, I like all of that's available. If you're a Patreon member, there is another mirror site that you actually get the shirts for a discounted price. And I had a great call this week. Actually, we're going to be getting some 3/4 sleeves, hopefully by December, right in time for the holidays. We're going to get some hoodies, and for the first time, we're going to have one with. If you guys are following the page, there's the Bourbon and BS barrelhead logo. I really want to say what it's going to be coming on, but it's a hoodie. It's going to be
a crew neck.
It is not a crew neck. It's a zip up hoodie. But it's not just a black one. I'm really looking forward to this. So I'm not going to say what it is, but it is. I think it's going to be a great one that we might do for a limited time before we go to some regular colors. So looking forward to that. It's going to be that barrelhead right there on the left breast right there. And it's going to be just, as you would say, electric, Tyler.
Phenomenal.
That's phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I can already see people in this garage that are going to be buying them because it's going to be just fantastic. So, guys, thank you very much. Tune into part 2. We're going to take a quick intermission, and we'll be back with you guys. But if you're listening live, you can tune in for the intermission as well. If you're listening on the audio, make sure you click to part 2. Have a great week. Happy Whiskey Wednesday, everyone.
It's empty.
glass.
It's empty.
glass.
Empty
You
glass.
got the bottle right in front of you. Just
Hold on.
Cheers
All right, we
with
got to
the
wait.
bottle.
See, this is just,
One moment, please. I didn't know that you were that you cheered.
we always cheer.
What do I know, bro? I'm new here. I don't work here.
You don't.
you
Cheers,
don't even
boys.
go here. Long range.
Clinky, clinky.
It's funny.
Cue the guitar.
Barrelhead was my name when I worked in the adult industry. All right, I'm sorry.
No, that's staying on the audio, too.
Damn it.
Have a great week, everyone.
Fuck, man. That was my name when I worked in the adult movie industry. Barrelhead.
Barrelhead. Just kind of mashing it now. You're just kind of mashing it.
Is he talking about me or other names? Like, he was saying clips. I'm like,
Hello?
No, he was talking about how I smoked that cigar down to like less
Someone
than-
calling from the industry.
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing?
All right, you guys need to take a restroom break.
I'm good, man. I'm capitalized. I'm good. I knew we were going to be here for the duration.
It's gonna be another hour or two.
Listen. His name is Steve, right?
Sean.
Did you get black pepper or white pepper? Or red pepper? Red pepper, we don't, this one doesn't get red pepper. Mostly black.
Peppercorn medley.
I think, what might also be is the fact that I've probably smoked 5-6 cigars today.
Yeah, that could be.
But I don't, but from the beginning, for me, the toasty feeling, kind of I know there's pepper there, but we make several other cigars that are so much more pepper, like this one.
Like the BS.
This cigar is just outrageous. The pepper on that is outrageous.
I'm down to here and I hardly get much pepper. It's mostly on foot.
Well, we're a front load company. We a lot of our cigars are front loaded because we want that. Call it the Espinosa smack.
Yeah.
Get that. Oh, I'm sorry. What's that Notre Dame shirt?
Yeah.
I know.
I've had a rough week, man. He drove me through by Ohio State, and now I've got to get on a Notre Dame shirt. I don't know what to do. Please tell me you don't go to FSU.
So
Huge fan, though. Huge fan.
Huge fan. Love Bobby Bowden.
So it's funny. A couple weeks ago, I was in Nashville and met up with a guy down there that also does a podcast. And I gave him.
Oh, you give the story. I'm gonna use the outhouse.
I gave him a BS Gold and a BS Silver, and he does the podcast with another gentleman. He smoked the Gold, gave his co-host the Silver because that was more up his alley. And
He hates his co-host, obviously.
and no, but I mean, it just so happened that the Gold was up his alley, the Silver was up the co-host's alley at first, and it was the Rubito of the Silver.
Oh, that cigar is fire.
And the guy's like, when I first lit it up, I got a ton of pepper, which I normally don't gravitate towards, but then it backed off and goes, I'm interested to see what the retrohale is going to be like on this cigar. And I'm listening to this episode going, oh, you retrohale that thing. It's going to clear your sinuses. But the guy was telling his co-host about the two of us meeting and me giving him the cigars. And I could already hear the other guy like starting to gag because he went to Michigan. So as soon as his co-host said that I was from Columbus, he's just like, oh, come on, dude. It's not like you play for the team. Neither do I. Like, shut up.
Come on, man. I'll tell you what, when the Rubitos came in and we smoked some, because you guys didn't get the complete shipment. We smoked one. Eric says, I don't think this cigar's ready. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, this cigar's too spicy. This cigar might not be ready. Are you sure this tobacco's ready?
You talking about the Silver?
The Silver Rubito. Because the Silver Rubito, if you don't know what you're working with, and I love Eric to death. But he wasn't a part of the blending process.
Right.
So I know when he said we're going to scale it down to Rubito, I was like, eesh, yeah. And when they came in, I was already smoking it. And he goes, how is it? I go, it's spicy. It's a spicy meatball. And then he smoked it. He goes, oh, I don't know if the cigar's ready. I go, the cigar is ready. The cigar is ready. It's just spicy.
Well, and I can tell you when they finally showed up at the shop before the 10 event that year, Steve, had Brian smoke one because it was for Brian's 20th anniversary at the shop.
Yeah.
And Brian's like, how many of these did you order? And Steve tells him how many he ordered.
400.
400 5-packs.
Yeah.
And Brian and he was worried what Brian's reaction was going to be. And Brian goes,
He told me that.
you should have done more.
Well, no. So just real quick during the intermission. So this is a fun story for you guys. So I contact.
We're not on, right? Are we live?
We're live on the video. Yeah.
We're still live on
Is that all
Facebook.
right? You're live on Facebook and YouTube.
But this won't be on the
Is
audio.
that all right?
Okay.
What'd you say? What did I miss?
Nothing. No, I was just talking about your shirt. Just kidding, bro. Go. Go ahead.
It's for charity.
It's for
No, it was actually a very cool thing. So we were coming up on the Smoking 10 event, right? And we didn't know if we were actually going to have the 10 event because the year before is when the fire department came in and we had that issue with the paperwork, right? And so we didn't know. And so then going into the next year, we were really pushing for it, but it was just so delayed.
Mm-hmm.
So I call up Hector basically. I call up Eric and Hector basically. So I talked to both of them, and Eric's like, "Yeah, just talk to Hector."
Just talk to Hector.
Yeah, that's basically what he said. So I'm talking to Hector, and I'm like, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking. I want to do a special Vitola of the BS Silver for Brian as a surprise, right? So we have the 10 event coming up. I don't even know if the 10 is going to happen, so I'm really kind of nervous about this." And I said, I want to do, so we cap it at 300 people. And I'm like, I want to do 400 cigars and we're going to do it in 5-packs so that we can sell them at the event. Thank you. And Hector said, "Oh,
Is that
there's
Miguel?
a hole in the bottle." And so Hector basically is like, "Yeah, man, we can do it." Did you just squeeze it?
Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
No.
That was a 3-veiner.
So just real quick, the story, it's fun because so I'm talking to Hector and he's just like, "Yeah, absolutely. You just tell me if we're going to do it or not." I said, "Well, if we do it," and I'm like all him-hawing around it because I don't know if the event's going to happen. I don't know what. And we're about, at that point, we were like 7 weeks out, maybe.
Yeah.
And so I said, "I want to do the Rabito. I want to do something different. Do 5-packs. I got a sticker. We're going to I want to working on a logo for it." And it said Brian's 20th.
Right.
And this is where dealing with certain people in whatever industry you're in, you know that they are just absolutely solid people.
He's talking about me.
Yeah. honestly, I
This
am.
was before Tyler.
Before Tyler.
This is way before Tyler, yeah.
Atta
It
boy.
probably
He
wouldn't
was
have
still in
happened.
high school.
No, he was still in the Air Force.
No, but so I was talking to him and I said, and I want to do something a little bit different. And so that's why I put the silver foot ribbon
band
on there. And I to this day, it was one of the coolest experiences working in this part of my life, the career, is I said, I want to do 400. And so we talk one day and a couple days later, I call him. I say, "Yeah, I think I want to do it. But if we do it, can you not charge any cards that are on file? Because I don't know if I'm going to be paying for these or if the company's going to be paying for these." And honestly, he's just like, "Yeah, just let me know. We won't charge anything. You guys are good. And let me know what you want to do." And I said, "Well, I might be giving you my credit card instead of the company."
Yeah,
I was super nervous about
Yeah,
this.
but you can't play those piddly games with guys who have you have equity with.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Right. And so he didn't run a credit check or anything on me, which was nice. But
So we did run a criminal record.
a criminal record.
I'd like to
Came
talk
back
about
clean.
I'd like to talk to you about your traffic
Yeah,
record.
right. Yeah, coming from a cop. So anyways, it was funny because he's just like, "Well, I need to know now," because we were about at that point pushing 6.5 weeks out, which is about the limit for you guys.
You don't want to smoke anything less than
No, I mean, because and what he said to me was like, because if you want to do it, I gotta like put this project ahead of others just so we can start basically tomorrow. I think it was on a Wednesday. It was before a podcast. I'm walking around Kroger at the liquor store and I'm talking to him on the phone and I'm like, "All right, yeah, just go ahead and do it." And so I think production started either Thursday or Friday.
the next day.
But yeah. And
Carlos,
I got him.
Carlos calls me, who's the factory guy. He goes, "Oye," because he talking about, "Oye, what the fuente? The cigar's got a lot of this cigar is going to kick his ass." I go, "That's what they want, bro."
yeah.
He has learned that we don't make cigars just that we like. He doesn't like a spicy cigar like that. He goes, "This cigar's got this blend in this size is going to really." Hey, you know what? If he wants to rip his mouth apart, let's go. That's what I told him. If he wants to rip his mouth apart, let's go.
So yeah. So anyways, I get the layout of the sticker with Larry Schumann, who's done all of our work, including this shirt and everything else. The BS
Shout out
logos.
Larry.
Larry Schumann's awesome. So we get the everything down there, and sure as shit, like days before the event, this box comes in.
It was less than a week before the event.
Yeah, because we were pushing the limit, and so Brian's like, what, he gets this box from Espinosa, and we'd already gotten all the 10 event cigars in, and we had sold it out, and it was just slammed all the way to it. And I'm like, well, wait a second, and then he cuts it open, and sure enough, there's these 5-packs with the sticker. And I'm like, yeah, so about that. I kind of went behind your back and worked with Eric and Hector on this one. And Hector really pushed it through. Brian, is emotional enough guy, but he's usually pretty straightforward. And he looks at this and he's like, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm like, yeah. So like, but if you don't like it, like I told Hector I would pay for it, but I just thought it would be something cool. And that's when he said, because we broke one open, we smoked it, and he's like, how many did you order? And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, it's a little less than 400 because you guys smoked some of them. And he's like, damn, I wish you would have ordered like 1,000 or something like that. I was like, well, I can't afford that. I got my limits here, I can't.
But now that you mention it,
yeah. And I said I was going to do a limited edition, and so we just sold right through it all. He wanted to hand them out. We got them all out there, and then we made it part of the line.
Are there any left? You still have some left?
Not the 5. I've got a 5-pack in my locker, but we order these now by the bundle. And what you guys did was so cool. Also, as a quick side note, because we make this band for up to a 58 ring gauge, and this is a 6x46. You had whoever it was that put the bands on literally cut part of the each band off, so that it wouldn't wrap around the logo.
Yeah, of course.
So you want to talk about the attention to detail, the dedication to making a customer happy, and just the passion for, what we're doing here with the cigars. It was just all encompassed in that project. It was just, we'll do it. We'll get it out there. We understand the project, and we have to do this, this, and this. We talked about doing a secondary band. It's like we don't have time for that, so that's when you actually suggested that
the footer band make it stands out. It's different.
And still to this day on our line, on the BS Gold and Silver, this is the only one that has a foot band. So everyone's like, "What's different about this?" I'm like, "It's got a lot more pepper."
Yeah. A lot more pepper.
It's got a lot of pepper.
You like pepper? This is for you.
This is
I got pepper for you.
Do we want to do the raffle?
Yeah,
Start
yeah.
part 2?
So Hector, I need you to pick a number between 1 and 18,
5.
including 1 and 18. All right.
That's my
1,
number.
2, 3,
Jeff
4,
Bagwell.
5.
Brooks Robinson.
Sean Hurley.
Sean Hurley.
I like
So what is Sean Hurley going to be
So
getting?
Sean Hurley's going to get an Espinosa cutter.
Yep.
He's getting a cutter, our a little new prototype cutter we
I
have.
can't see because the
Little guillotine action there on the
Let
side.
me take that down here if I can.
banner on the screen. Yeah.
Look at
They
that.
can't see anyways.
All right, so he's getting a guillotine cutter. Very cool. This looks like a
And
little,
also that 5-pack.
a little 5-pack of fun. You're getting a Sake Bomb Lancero. This is exclusive to only a couple of shops in the country.
Yeah.
You're getting a 601 Lancero. Bam. You're getting a Murcielago Robusto Extra. You're getting the brand new Crema. Well, I gotta do the prices right hands. The brand new,
Lovely.
the brand new Espinosa Crema Box Press Toro 6x52, and a cigar that I have no idea what it is.
We don't know what it is.
That I made it several years ago, and it's been sitting in my humidor. And the cello is a nice. It's got a little yellow tinge to it. Little tinge to it. I hope you don't fall in love with that cigar. I hope it's the one you hate the most, or your least favorite, because I don't know what it is.
I hope you love it.
I hope you love it. And no, then he can't have it again.
Sean, I want to say Sean Hurley, just so you guys know, and this is incredible support. He is a That's a Lot of BS supporter, $25 a month since October of 2020.
Well, I'm glad.
So he's been a supporter of the show.
Awesome.
Sean, I think, is out west. I want to say Sean Hurley, if I'm not mistaken. I think he lives in California.
That is as west as you can get
That's about as west as you
in
can
the
get.
contiguous United States.
We gotta send him to
All right, Sean,
send
you got a
Tim
lot of-
Wong to him.
Good stuff going on
Nah, don't
there.
do that to Tim.
Nah,
Don't do that to
it.
Sean. For
Don't do
sure.
that to Sean.
Oh, he's got nice,
All right.
nice.
Do we have a backup bottle?
I brought one.
There you go. What do we got?
Elijah Craig Rye.
Ooh. And he's a rye guy, as Hector said.
I am a rye guy. All right, buddy.
I
I'm
saw-
ready.
I saw the
All right.
pictures you posted earlier this week of a bunch of rye, so I was like, I'll grab this bottle out of my cabinet.
I really like that Basil Hayden's dark rye. People give me shit about it. No, because it's dark rye. It's not really rye. I love it. I don't give a shit. I'm 350 pounds. Bring it.
Let's go.
You might kick my
Let's
ass, but you're gonna have a
fucking go.
hard time. You're gonna work for that ass whipping. you're gonna work that for that ass whipping.
I will
I'm
take
cagey.
it quick, so I can find the break in the audio here. Hang on. Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 195, part 2. This is Beyond the BS.
Bum,
We
bum,
are-
bum,
That is
bum.
excellent.
You like that?
Beyond the BS.
You like
Dun,
that?
dun, dun.
So we are still joined by Hector Alfonso
Hard to
and Tyler Jones from Espinosa Cigars. Thank you guys for currently. The review's still out.
No, I'm very proud. We're very
I'm
proud.
still on probation.
Actually, we're very proud of Tyler.
That's good.
Tyler's the only rep we had that was in the minor leagues before he came up to Espinosa. We were in the AAA league. We had farmed him. We were scouting this kid for a
I
year.
know.
We were scouting this kid for a year,
And he
he-
was
and he signed a
Pushing
10-year
hard.
contract, which is great.
that's
I mean,
good.
he's
That's
not
good.
going anywhere.
Say goodbye. Say goodbye.
He's not going anywhere.
I'm locked up like Frankie Lindor.
That's right, buddy. You're locked up 10 years, $30,000 a year. You're making bank.
That includes per diem.
That's everything.
That's
Per diem
everything.
Bonus
That's,
there.
it. That's it. That's all you get.
He's got a beautiful trailer out here in
You're
Westville.
Gorgeous. But yeah, we have, so tonight's topic is Mr. Warmth. And a couple people were asking about what the topic tonight. And I'm like, Mr. Warmth. And like, what the hell does that mean? I'm like, well,
Tune in to find out.
Yeah, tune in. It's our guest's nickname or whatever you want to say. Hashtag Mr. Warmth. You had a t-shirt at one point.
I did.
And before we get into that, I do want to, for those listening on the audio, thank you to Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. They carry the Laranja Azulejo along with a lot of other Espinosa cigars.
Including the new Murcielago Churchill, which we
Murcielago
are
Churchill,
about to
which
light
is
up, which I
selling
have
like
lit up.
crazy.
This is one of those forgiveness instead of permission.
You just did it.
We just did it, and then, bro, what'd you do that for? Have to grow the portfolio.
Mhm.
But we've got a couple regulars that ever since we got the Churchill in, that's what they buy every time they come in the shop.
It used to be Murcielago Toro Box Press. So when you do that, just side note, when we add that, you're gonna kind of again cannibalize your line a little bit because you're gonna not necessarily bring in a whole lot of new ones, but you might actually turn people onto a different Vitola, right? But I do want to thank Tinder Box at Easton for that support. They did the featured cigar as always. So Brian at Tinder Box, Brian Joyce, thank you very much. Altadis USA. We've got normally a second cigar. Tonight we're going to be doing the Murcielago, but Josh Bentley and everyone at Altadis, thank you for the support. You guys are amazing for the continued support and helping us grow this show as always.
Love you, Josh.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
And then BS Cigar Company, we talked about the BS Gold is the original, and that's going to be made by Plasencia and the Nicaraguan factories and Nicaraguan tobacco from them. And then also the BS Silver we were just talking about in the intermission, which was a project that was a lot of fun to do with Espinosa Cigars and Hector. And absolutely just fantastic blend as well. Fuller body, a little bit more pepper, all Nicaraguan as well. Habano Rosado Oscuro wrapper, and just absolute firecracker, especially in that Rabito size, which is a 6x46. So check that one out as well. And then those that are listening to the audio as well, I know you guys are listening to on the live. It's kind of redundant here, but patreon.com/bourbonandbs podcast. We just did a raffle for a patron. So Sean Hurley, thank you very much for the support since last year, October, and also just being a great member of also the Bourbon and BS community page on Facebook. That's also available for you guys to be a part of. 1,500 some members strong. Awesome group. And also, if you guys want to help us out in one-time contribution, you can also check out on Venmo at Bourbon and BS is the whatever call sign. I don't know what do they call that. I don't know.
Hashtag?
It's not a hash. It's an ad. It's the name. But
At
if you're
sign.
on Venmo, you want to buy us a bottle. You can also be specific on what you guys want us to try to get with the donation for that. And also buyjack.com/Bourbon and BS podcast. The guys at buyjack.com, John's been amazing to work with. No, missed it. There we go. Buyjack.com/Bourbon and BS. We got great t-shirts available, about to expand it as well, hopefully in time for the holidays. Some 3/4 sleeves, like softball sleeves with BS Cigar Company on there. And also the first apparel item that's going to have the Barrelhead logo, which is going to be the Bourbon and BS Barrelhead, which is Hector's. We won't get into that. He used to be called that. But that's going to be on a hoodie
Barrel
that is very unique, that I think is going to absolutely just, you guys are going to love it. So, and also before it's gone, by the end of the month here, the shirt I'm wearing, if you're listening to the audio, it is a charity pink shirt that says pour one more, light up another. We'll figure this out together. This is the Bourbon and BS podcast official slogan there. And it's in the pink. That's $30 on the site, buyjack.com/bourbonandbs. $10 of that purchase will go to National Breast Cancer Foundation, which is a great cause. And we wanted to do that for October. A little slow on getting the rollout. So we're going to extend that, which I don't think anyone minds. We sold 2 more shirts tonight to the studio audience, apparently. So you guys are amazing. Appreciate that support. And I know that touches home to a couple of you guys as well on the panel here. So fantastic support. And we're happy to do it. Happy to have that kind of community that we can actually do some things like this. And hopefully we can continue to expand that to help out other charities as well. And I'm looking forward to doing that. That being said, Mr. Warmth, we'll go to you. I want to say, so I want to actually start with a little bit of history on this, because this is also an opportunity to interview someone in the industry that is not your typical cigar guy necessarily that you've been doing this. So Eric Espinosa, who you guys work for, right, and with, but I mean, he's the face of the company. When we had him on, he's done every role in the cigar industry. He was a rep. He was a broker,
store owner.
He's
a clerk. He was, you know.
And then he did boom, 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 boom. And then he had his own brand. That kind of had, with the circumstances, that kind of fizzled out. And it was a huge roadblock and challenge. And then all of a sudden went out on his own completely. And I remember a story with you guys is that part of that 601 brand, the original line, right? 601 that he was doing with someone else. They didn't have the blends. They didn't have that's written down, the 601 greens this, 601 blues this. So we're hearing about this when we were down in Miami. They literally bought what they could find around of the existing 601s and were cutting them, dissecting these cigars, trying to figure out exactly. We had to
reverse engineer them.
Reverse engineer. You knew what we thought it was when Eric was working on it, but like to actually duplicate these blends, you had to do that. So, and Hector, you were involved at that point, if I'm not mistaken.
I was.
So you were a part of Espinosa Cigars from pretty much the beginning.
I was there day one. I mean,
but what were you doing before that? You weren't selling cigars.
No,
you were smoking cigars.
I was smoking cigars. I've been smoking cigars since I was in the service. I joined the service at 17. I started smoking cigars around 18 years old. You know, we're in Korea. You know, but we were smoking Habitampas and really monkey shit cigars. But it was young. It was a different time. It was 1985. And you thought you were cool shit.
And what branch were you in?
I was in the U.S. Army. So we smoked cigars, and and I really, there you go, sir. And then I came back from the service, and I remember the first month I was back, I had a Thompson's catalog.
Yeah.
And I signed up for like a monthly Thompson's shipment, and I was getting cigars every month. I mean, they were dog shit bundles. Who knows where they were made, but I was smoking. My palate hadn't developed, but luckily I was in Miami when the boom was, the boom started, and we smoked a lot of
90s
in the late 80s with the booms. I had joined the police department in 1988, and I was lucky enough to work. My first assignment was in the housing unit, and our sergeant, rest in peace, at the time was a man named Joe Delancey, who used to smoke. I never saw him smoke, but he used to chew cigars. He'd get the Royal Jamaicas, and he'd just chew it and chomp on it and chomp on it and chomp on it. And a couple of guys in the unit smoked, and we used to go over to El Credo, which is Ernie Carrillo's place on A Street there, and we'd get a bundle of the second Gloria Cubanas for like $17.50.
We just were featuring some of Ernesto's cigars,
but this is late 80s.
Yeah,
the Wavell size with the secondary band, because they weren't first quality, but they're $17 a bundle, for Christ's sakes. God, and we started with that, and then Puros Indios was in their heyday as well. We go over to Puros Indios and get some Puros Indio cigars. And then, my palate changed. I was one of the first cigars I ever bought was a Nat Sherman. I used to love the Nat Sherman Metropolitan, the city desk.
Yep.
And you couldn't get them here in Miami, but we would get them. I'd mail order. No, I'm sorry. I couldn't get them back in Miami. Yes, I forgot it. We're in Columbus.
Feels like a Miami evening in the winter.
Sorry. Habit. So we couldn't get them in Miami. So I'd mail order them, and then then I discovered, really good premiums. After that, we started going to shops and really getting the palate defined. And I've always been a cigar guy. I've always had cigars, and I've always had cigars with me. And around 2009, the economy went to shit, especially in Miami. It was very hard because the housing bubble really was self-destructed in Miami, and we're a county that really lives off of property tax. So the government, the county government, and the county mayor at the time decided to balance the budget on the backs of his employees. So we lost, I lost 15% of my salary that 1 year, actually for 2 years.
Mhm.
So the shop that I was a regular at, the weekend, the girl who was working on the weekend quit. So he said, "Hey, look, would you mind working at the shop on the weekends?" It's cash on the barrelhead, so I started working.
Barrelhead.
Cash on the barrelhead. So,
Drink.
so I started working at the shop, and as things would happen, I meet Eric Espinosa. I don't meet him like, "Hey, this is Eric Espinosa." I come into the shop one day, and he's in the back playing dominoes and just loud, and he's winning, and he's just talking shit.
As always.
As always, just I'm better than you, and I'll be dead for 10 years before you're better than me. That kind of shit. So my neck gets all stiff when I think about it.
Quick side story. Last time Tyler was on, actually, he was talking about dominoes, and I was so he's telling this shit story, right? And on the side, I'm texting Eric.
Mm-hmm.
"Hey man, I'm gonna send you a link. I want you get you on the show here real quick." "Yeah, bro." So then he's telling the story, and I'm like, "And we have a special caller right now. We got Eric Espinosa on, and he comes on the stream." Tyler, you weren't with them very long.
No, I was about, what was that, like 4 months into it?
Yeah. So then
I was past
you can
probation, so I
imagine
was
where
smart
this
enough.
goes. You can imagine where this goes.
Yeah, this went
Eric,
bad.
I'm like,
right?
yeah. So he's just telling me how he beat you in dominoes, bro.
Bro, that guy never beat me. He couldn't beat me if he had a bat.
So nothing. My hilarious story, but also nothing's changed. So go on.
Nothing's changed. So I tell the store owner at the time, and I said, "Bro, who is that guy back there? That guy's loud as hell."
Who's that asshole?
I kind of said that, and I go, "Bro, that guy, who's that loudmouth back there?" And he goes, "Oh, that's Eric Espinosa. He's a rep." So my mind right away, I'm like, "Well, shouldn't he be trying to sling cigars and And he goes, "And work in the humidor?" He goes, "Yeah, he reps Drew Estate and Rocky Patel. I actually have to go talk to him. I don't have to. He doesn't have to talk to me.
Yeah,
I have to talk to him."
Yeah.
So we hit it off a little bit. We started talking, and then we became Facebook friends like everybody in the industry. And then I noticed that we had a lot of mutual friends in common, not cigar people. So one day he comes in, I go, "Hey, listen, bro, you and I have a lot of friends on Facebook." "Oh, they're probably cigar people." He tried to blow me off, I said, "Listen, no, they're not cigar people. They're people who went to high school with me." He stops and we start to talk. We grew up like 1.5 miles from each other.
Really?
But we lived on a divider that divided the school system in Dade County at that time. So I lived west of 47th Avenue, and I went to American Senior High. I lived in Carroll City, but I went to American Senior High. He lived west of 47th Avenue. He went to Carroll City High. But we had friends that went to the feeder schools together. So we kind of hit it off from there. And, I'd see him, we were friendly, but we weren't boys or anything like that, and one day he calls me and he says, "Listen, what are you doing?" I said, I'm leaving the office. I'm leaving I'm leaving the station. "Hey, meet me at the Home Depot over here off of US 1.
Sounds super shady.
No, super shady as fuck. So he says, "Meet me at the Home Depot off of Okeechobee." So I pull in. "All right, I'm here. Where are you?" "All right, now go out there and make a right and go like half a mile. There's some blue warehouses there." I'm like, "Well,
Getting shady.
I remember how they whacked fucking Joe Pesci and that.
Were you carrying at the time? Or
Absolutely. So when I got out of the car, so I'm wearing a t-shirt. I'm wearing
not
a
in
t-shirt
uniform.
with I don't never wear uniform. So I'm t-shirt with a shirt on. So when I got out of the car, I went like this, so he could see that I said, "I don't know how many bullets it's gonna take to shoot you, but I've got how many I got to use, But no, I just, I let him know that I was packing, and he's like, "Bro," and I'm like, "No, are we gonna move shit from trunk to trunk? What's going on here?" But he was cool as ever, he's cool, bro. Eric's a cool cat. And he shows me this building. He goes, "This is going to be Espinosa Cigars." I had already known what had happened to him. His partner had already come out with a cigar.
With the 601 partner, right?
Yeah, his 601 partner had already come out with a cigar, unbeknownst to him. And Eric was, trying to establish his own business. And I think at the beginning, he really wanted to do it for his son. He was going to start a bundle business or something like that. And then things changed, and he was this is Espinosa Cigars. And I said, "Oh, that's great." I'm like, "Mazel tov, congratulations."
Yeah.
And he said,
"Why
"No."
am I here?"
He goes, "I want you to come to work for me." And I said, "Doing what?" And he said, "We'll figure it out." And that was February 7th, 2012. And we still ain't figured it out.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're getting close.
But that was February 7th, 2012. I'm a big guy for dates and stuff like that. There, he's.
I
not.
love the fact you remember the date.
He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care about.
No, but I
anniversary.
mean, it's obviously
It was a big
impactful
deal
moment
because
in your life.
Listen, this is a guy in 2012. I'm still 10 years away from even thinking about
Yeah,
retirement.
you weren't.
My
ready to
mind
walk
wasn't on
away
that.
from the career.
And of course not. So we have this warehouse and it's empty. He gives me a key and I got a key to an empty warehouse, and I would go every
Well, you're not going
day.
to steal anything if it's empty.
I would go every day and I'd sit in that warehouse and I would picture what we were going to do here. I was super excited. And we start up. His kid was working full-time at a shop.
Derek
and
Jr.
Eric Jr. is working full-time at a shop. He gave a couple of weeks notice and boom, there we are. It's the three of us. And now
with no product.
With no product. Eric has to buy back the product that was sold out from under him to one of the online carriers. Eric has to buy it back.
Yeah.
Plus shipping, plus whatever the markup was.
Just like a customer.
Just like with a little bit with some kind of break, but not enough to, we weren't Keystone and shit.
Right.
Yeah.
But just to have product. And then, comes our first trip to Nicaragua. And I think Eric saw that I really took to the factory thing. Eric's a salesman. Eric's a cigar salesman. He's probably the best cigar salesman I've ever seen. And Eric just wants to, Eric wants to sell and move product and further the business.
He sells himself, I think, a lot of times, which
look,
is always the best salespeople, is that people buy from people that they like. He's very likable.
He's a very likable guy.
I won't tell him that, but
no, you can't. And luckily, hopefully he won't see this because I'm going to say some nice things about him, and then he's going to say, "Hey, I heard you."
I'll send him the link.
I said, he sells himself.
Yeah,
he's very likable. He's a very real
I'm not gonna do
person.
that.
He's very real. He's a very real person. What you see is what you get with him.
He's a guy who can relate to absolutely anybody.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, a rich guy, a poor guy.
He
The
wants
guy's
to. That's there's an intent there, like, and it's genuine. I love that, and it shows with both of you guys, honestly.
He can relate to a
sanitation. About Eric here,
he can relate to a sanitation worker, to a guy who's a guy who's selling bananas on side. He can relate to anybody.
Yeah.
So, we're off, and he saw that I really kind of dug the factory part, and we released, we blend the first cigar with, we all work on the first cigar, and then the Habano, the Espinosa Habano. And then, we work on a Maduro as well. And then we have the launch party, and then, boom, we're off and running, we're selling cigars. And it was everything that we did, everything that we sold, everywhere that we got it first was strictly on Eric being Eric. So, as luck would have it, later on that year, Abe Debana from Smoke In asked Eric to make a cigar for his microblend series, which is a very big deal for Abe. Tatuaje did one, and Fuente did one for him. Padron did one for him. Dion did one for him. So he's asking us, a brand new factory, to blend a cigar for him. So we come up with this bunker buster idea of a Perfecto that's box pressed, and he wants us to do it for him. So I fly to he asked me, what day can you go to Nicaragua? I said, what day are we going? He goes, no, you're going. I need you to go. What the hell am I going to do there? He goes, listen, you know what to do. You know what I like. Work with Carlos and work on a blend. And we did. And we worked on some blends. And I know it was a big deal because when I came back from Nicaragua, he picked me up at the airport, which never happened. So I know that it was a big deal for him to get the cigar done. And that was the beginning. It led to other things. Sake Bomb came out, and then we reblended the Habano. We put a new band. We didn't like the band at first. We kind of redid that. It was still early enough that we weren't going to lose any Habano sales because the Habano still hadn't really picked up. And a couple of years later, boom, here comes Laranja. And we're steadfast as a company. We're a real deal. We're a company now. We're making cigars. People know who we are. He's doing podcasts and he's doing events, and we're all into social media. We're a company that grew and established itself on social media. That's why we're never walking away from social media when it relates to our business. So, that's how I started. That's how I started with him. And, in February, it'll be 10 years.
And now you are full time. You
finally I was working
retired,
right. When I first started working with Eric, I was detached to a specialized unit that was criminal conspiracy. All we did was it was internal affairs. So what we did was, we worked cases with cops that were possibly corrupt, or there were allegations of corruption. So we worked those cases, and there came a point where the police job got in the way of the tobacco job. So I discussed it with the fam, and I said, listen, I want to do this. I'm going to try to move and go to a more regular day shift kind of job, and then be able to do the afternoons with Eric, and I did it. And in May 1st of 2021, I retired after 32 years. And it was tough for me. I'm not going to lie to you, it wasn't. Hey, I turned around and I'm here. I had some withdrawals early, and I had some doubt, and I've only had 2 jobs my whole life. I was in the military and I was in the police department, and my life's been a life of service. So to not have that anymore, I got closer to my date. Yeah, I was excited, but I was scared, man. I mean, it was what I did. I'm the kind of guy that I am what I do. So to not do that anymore was a big part of my life, and now I'm full time there, and I miss police work so much because there's so much work in Espinosa. I'm doing so much more now than I was before. No, I'm serious. He was like, I can't wait for you to come on full time, and I thought he was just being supportive. But he couldn't wait for me to come on full time because he had shit for me to do, So I've been full time with him since May 1st.
And you're working harder.
I'm working hard, man. We're working hard. I mean, listen,
You're earning that paycheck.
I'm earning that paycheck.
You were earning it before.
Right, but it's different. Listen, I've always felt a part of this team. I know that I'm an integral cog in this machine. I'm one of the faces of the company, but I was always in a part-time capacity, even though I worked weekends when I had to. I'd come in on my free time. I did what had to be done. But now that I'm there full time, I saw that I should probably left 2 years before. But we've come a long way in these.
Well, it was an interesting time. We were talking earlier today, and I asked you, because that was the goal. I think before that is that the goal was for you to spend more time in Esteli and in the factory, and like spending, like that was your big shift. I remember talking to you about that. It was like, well, now the goal was that you were going to be spending like 2 weeks out of the month.
My goal was to be there once a week for a month.
Yeah.
To go to Nicaragua. Not really 12 months. There's nothing you're going to do in December, and really nothing in January.
Yeah.
But to spend some time between February and November in the factory, spend 10, 12 weeks there.
But yeah, I mean, you were doing that. And then obviously, when you took that retirement in May of this year, it still hasn't come back
because
Nicaragua,
COVID is
COVID and the way it's working down there. And no one thinks about that. I've talked about that before, with some of the customers who come in and they still don't understand. Now that the news is reporting the fact like the supply chain's messed up, and I'm like, no, this was a thing. And they're like, well, why don't you have this cigar? And I'm like, well, not only this is before supply chain. I'm like, so Nicaragua, Honduras, Dominican Republic,
sure.
Look, they were dealing with COVID, and it's expected to a point, but also the response from a lot of people are like, oh, I guess I never thought about that. I'm like, you self-centered American, like holy shit.
Yeah, COVID was.
You
not
just want shit to show up at your doorstep. That's how we've ingrained our people now at this point in this country, is that as long as you order it online, it'll be there in 2 days. Like, what are you thinking?
Here's the other problem that people don't really
Cigars by Amazon.
People don't really grasp.
No.
Tobacco has gotten more expensive. Tobacco has gotten more scarce. So many people went back to Nicaragua in January this year trying to catch this next boom, trying to ride the wave of the boom. Guys who hadn't been in the industry.
We did have a boom in the industry in like a lot of industries, but I mean, that we talk about it with the context of the show is that, with bourbon and cigars, with whiskey, so basically alcohol and tobacco,
tobacco,
there was a big spike because people were at home. Firearms. People were at home. Alcohol sales just went crazy, and cigars really did boom again,
and
because
home repair, like appliances.
And home repair.
I'm trying to get a refrigerator. It'll be 6 months before you get a refrigerator. It doesn't even
better
have
get
Wi-Fi.
some coolers.
It doesn't even have Wi-Fi. You're out of gas, buddy. So another thing that nobody realizes is not just the cigars that were a problem. It's all the ancillary things. The box guys backed up. The band guys backed up. The shipping container, the art, and it's always a scam over there in Nicaragua. Oh, well, we're going to put your shipment on a priority, because Americans still not even flying to Nicaragua. Flights have been reduced. Trying to get your stuff out of Nicaragua.
There's civil unrest there in Nicaragua.
No, it's quiet. It is nice and quiet. The
there
election but the election came November 7th, and he declared victory by noon. So I mean,
my point is that even before all this was happening,
there was
like
concerns.
People were talking.
There was concerns.
Yeah, I mean, like, and again, when people are like they smoke cigars casually or whatever, they don't necessarily. There's no headlines in
Steve,
the U.S. about
nobody
Nicaragua.
cares. There's two things.
That's
nobody
part of it.
cares
No
how
one
the sausage is made.
No one cares.
No one cares. There's two things you never want to see made: laws and
Right.
sausage. Nobody cares how the law is made. Nobody cares how the sausage is made. Is the sausage there? Same thing applies. They don't. Hey, where's the cigars? The box guy. His guys might have COVID. His guys might be sick. He might have trouble getting wood. The band guy, I'm backed up. You know, the cellophane
Factories
guy.
are shut down.
The
You're at half
factory was shut down.
capacity,
Yeah,
whatever
I
it
mean,
might be.
there are all these ancillary issues that nobody pays attention to. The question is, where are my cigars? Oh, your
And
cigars.
now you're
are-
experiencing that trickle effect,
of
obviously.
course, it's just nobody realizes that.
All right, so Mr. Warmth. Why is there a T-shirt out there that says
Well,
hashtag Mr. Warmth?
I
Not
did
why
the-
did you make the shirt? Where did the nickname come from, Mr. Warmth? Because I think this is going to be it does open up some conversation and some dialogue, obviously, for other parts of life and dealing with people in general. But when Tyler said to me, hey, who do you have on the show on this date? And I said, well, and it was Josh Bentley of all people. So he's like, oh,
Never
yeah,
heard-
little
never heard
old
of him.
Josh, you're just going to kick me to the curb and all this stuff. It's like, oh, Josh is, I try to support the show, and you got Hector in the in the garage, and I got to reschedule. But Tyler also said he had requested or whatever, Hector, you don't travel a whole lot.
I don't travel a whole lot.
You don't travel with reps. You don't travel like big events. You go to
I go to
some.
I go to the IPCPR.
Yeah.
And I hate every moment that I'm there.
Yeah.
But I have to go there because I am responsible for dealing with the media, dealing with the bloggers, dealing with retailers who have questions. Because there are retailers who walk in and say, just give me 10 of those. I don't deal with that guy. I have the retailer who goes, tell me about the cigar. Well, let me tell you about the cigar.
Yeah.
And Tyler will tell you. Tyler will attest to it. Tyler saw it. Tyler has been with me. I'm also the keeper of the stash because if I don't keep the stash, we're out of cigars by day 2.
And that is your title as director of operations.
Keeper
correct?
of the stash, sir. That is
Keeper of the stash.
keeper of the stash. I make sure that our.
Do you have a
samples-
business card?
I'm
What does it
working,
say on there?
It's just as Hector, and there's no
No
number,
last name.
and there's
I
no
got-
number, and there's no phone number or email.
Jack
a
of all
nice
trades.
off-white. It's like a bone, I think, with a nice raised.
And it just says
embossed.
Hector.
It's just Hector.
Don't call. Don't call. It's
How
like
do I
the
reach
equal-
you? You don't.
You don't. I'll call you. I feel it.
You just send up a signal into the air like Batman.
So listen, I don't really do a lot of events. I had a bad incident at an event several years ago. That is kind of like folklore now.
Is that where the Mr. Warmth thing came from?
No, the Mr. Worm came from that right after that. Our national sales manager at the time.
Do you want
for-
to talk about it?
I can talk
it's
about
a
it.
trust-
Look,
you're in a trust tree right
Look,
now.
there's a guy who we had released a cigar, and he asked me if the cigar had a particular type of tobacco in it, and I told him it didn't. And then he said if I was sure, and I said yes. Because I blended it.
Are you?
Yeah,
Are you
And
sure?
then he came back the second time, and I had to tell him, no, it doesn't have that tobacco, even if it's commensurate with what you think it is. And then a little while goes by, and he comes back the third time, and he says, listen, just between you and me.
It's between us girls.
And I just lost my shit. And I said, no, there's not any fucking tobacco. I just lost my shit.
How many times do I tell you?
And then Eric turns around and goes, oh, this guy's got me crazy with the tobacco. And Eric said, hey, you can go, bro. You want to go home? You can go home. So I said, I think I found my way out of events. I do some events. Look, my home shop, Caribbean in Miami. That's my home shop. It's the only boutique cigar shop. in
Shout
Miami.
out, Alan.
Shout out to Alan. It's the only. Shout out to Chris Haskell, who we couldn't see.
Hey,
Chris
Chris.
Haskell was actually
in
watching earlier. I think.
Yeah, he was in Dayton, and I'm kind of upset. I feel bad that I didn't see him, but bro, I said I was in Dayton yesterday.
Chris-
So anyway, he could have met us at Robbie's or something like that. But
who's Chrissy Critchfield?
her and her husband own Executive Cigars.
Oh, yeah,
in
we were
Simpson.
talking about that.
Simpsonville,
Yeah.
Kentucky.
That's the shop when I was in Louisville that I posted when Nate and I were in Louisville. Eric actually called me in the morning after I posted a picture.
Said,
He's
"Go
like,
to there?"
bro, yeah, you got to go to Executive. It's not that far. I'm like, well, I mean, I'll try to get there.
Did you
But
get
I
there?
already know. No, we didn't. But like
We had
some
some
of our
other shit
friends,
going
like, Derek, who's in the shop today,
Oh yeah.
he talks it up. Martin Federley, who's a big Espinosa guy.
Martin Federley and Gene Wood are possibly, I don't want to say they're the best or the biggest Espinosa fans, but
Corey
those-
Davis too.
Corey Davis. Well, Corey Davis. is
Shout out
great.
Corey Davis. He was
is
watching
in-
I
earlier.
don't know if Martin and Gene smoke anything other than your cigars.
Well, that's good. So they go to Lizona Palooza every year,
yeah.
but they get there
Which I
like
need to get
3 days before,
Oh, yeah.
and they camp out at Alan's shop. And we love Lizona Palooza some more than others. Eric loves it.
Lozona Palooza, for those that don't know, is a kind of a
3-day love fest of Espinosa Cigars.
Yeah, you guys put on this get together, and it's for retailers. It's for some of the diehard Espinosa guys,
the guys who post our stuff, the guys who post our stuff and support our stuff, and who hashtag our stuff. And
it's a customer appreciation event, which not everyone does, and I love that. Again, this speaks volumes for Espinosa Cigars. It's for the people. You know what I mean? It's for the people that support you, and it's a big thank you.
Can I tell you that I think the Murcielago goes better with this whiskey?
I think it does.
I think the Murcielago does
too.
All right,
and
and you're out. So open the new shit. Anyway, so where were we? Oh, so I do the events.
I like this guy.
I do the
again.
Not your bottle.
Not my bottle.
Grab something.
Oh, there you have an open bottle. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the one you use to pick up girls. All right. So anyway,
how's that working out for you?
Not too good. All men. All right. So anyway,
Wow.
damn. You had a girlfriend who looked like a boyfriend that I had last year. Anyway, so no, seriously, I don't do a lot of events, and I don't travel a lot. I am not a salesman. Eric knows that I'm not a salesman, but he has released me into the wild to go with our reps to shops, and I visit shops that are more geek-oriented shops where not only the customers but the retailers are into blends or into tobacco.
They want to know more about it.
Right.
That's like with bourbon hitting it so hard. Everyone wants to know the mash bill. They want to know how how old is it. They want to know where in the rick house is it sitting. And it's like same thing. It's like with cigars, you don't always get that.
Listen, in our hierarchy, Eric is the main event. I'm on the undercard, but I have a select audience. The guy and I can't forget Jack. Jack is also a huge personality.
So Jack Tarano, he's been on the show not too long ago.
Yeah.
He's newer with your company, but he's been with the industry for a long
Jack's
time.
been with us now 3 years. Yeah. Jack's also a big draw, and he's a big he's all about the dogma that is Espinosa, and he's huge. He's a huge factor to our company. And Junior has also traveled as well. And we also have Richie Otero, who was, national sales manager.
Richie Riot.
He was national sales manager at PDR, and now he's with us. And he works, the special clients and big clients and special accounts. And he is also a good personality for a small company. We're very heavy when it comes to guys.
We have an all-star cast team.
I don't want to say, we do have some guys there are a lot of alpha guys and a lot of guys who really are draws. My draw is mostly, you go to shops where the guys are geeky, man. Hey, tell me about this.
8th or 9th in the lineup.
Oh, I'm perfecally fine with that. I get the big dog with me.
How many people are in the company?
Good God.
He's batting 19.
Guy,
He's FNG. He's the FNG.
You play 9 players, and
he's 5th on the bench.
You're on the farm.
Hey, I'm sixth man of the year.
He is 6th man of the year. But seriously, I don't do a lot of events, but I do get a chance. I started with going west to the West Coast. We travel with our rep Tim Wong. There's an event that I do in Oregon, which is the weirdest state. Washington and Oregon are so weird. You cannot smoke in the shop.
Oh, I thought we were talking about something different.
Oh, yeah, they're weird that way too. But you cannot smoke in the shop. One shop, there's Cigars on 7th. Great shop in Eugene. You cannot smoke in the shop. I do the event on the porch. I get there at 9:30 in the morning. There's a line at 9:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Guys who drive down from Portland to Eugene, and I sit on the porch and I talk shit with these guys for 7 hours. And and people come and I'm still amazed that people want to actually talk to me and see me. And I always tell them, I go, don't you guys have girlfriends or anything like that? I'm not that interesting, but they love it. So we've carved out a niche for me, and I can fill in where there are holes in that. And because when it comes to the product line and our portfolio and the history of our company, nobody knows it better than me. I mean, I've been there since day one.
All right, so we have some people asking because normally part 2, and we were doing it, is what's the topic in the conversation about this for life topic. Mr. Warmth, who was the first person that actually, and I will say for anyone that's asking about this right now, is that part of this is that we have someone on that is of your caliber from an industry, whether it be bourbon or cigars. We like to use this time also for a little bit of an interview as well. So I hope you guys appreciate that. I want to say though, and ask, who gave you the name
right after that
Mr.
event,
Warmth.
Right after that event where I kind of lost my shit.
You lost your shit.
Our national sales manager was a guy named Fernando Zacharias. He's no longer in the industry. Fernie was no longer in the industry. But Fernie says, bro, you're just like Mr. Warmth. And it kind of stuck. And listen, it's not that I'm not good with people. Tyler, you see, when I'm in the right element, when I'm in the right element, I'm damn right chatty.
You are.
I
You are
am
chatty.
You are a
absolutely-
gem, my friend.
I am absolutely lovable. I'm a pleasure. I'm a delight. The problem is I'm not always in my element. The show is one of the perfect examples, because for every great retailer that comes to the show
Yeah.
and hangs out and wants to talk, you got the guy who's trick-or-treating, or he's acting an ass, or he wants to steal a cigar from the, and I don't put up with that shit.
or he questions, questions the blend, questions what you're
What is
doing.
it? Yeah, I mean, listen.
No, but really, what are you doing with this?
Yeah, I mean, so I really, it's hard. I'm not a people person per se, but when I find my niche, when I find people I'm comfortable with, you can have the shirt off my back. The problem is finding those people I'm comfortable with. But when I'm comfortable, I'll give you anything you want. I'm all about this company. I've been with this company since day one. He knows there's no doubt that my loyalty lies in this company, and I want this company to prosper. However, where Eric can cater to everybody and I have a little bit of an issue with that.
Do you work on that? I mean, that's, I guess, where it kind of gets, you open up the conversation a little bit, because again, with your background, your history, right, with the Army, and then
law
with the police
enforcement. I worked in
department,
32 years in a
so
major
you
police
work
department.
with so many different
Shithead.
walks of life.
Yes.
Different walks of life.
Yes.
Not only
word.
coworkers, but depending on which career you're in, clients,
Yeah, customers. They can be
frequent customers. But I mean, have you found yourself having to work on this as you get into this? Because I think this is something a lot of people deal with in there. Like Tyler, newer into the industry, and you have a military background as well. Now you're dealing with
Air Force.
Air Force.
Oh,
All right.
calm
Start
down.
a holy war here.
Just because
wanna
you
start
weren't
a
at
holy
Osan
war.
and
All
you were
right.
up at
All
the
right.
border,
It's
calm
kinda
down.
Air Force.
My point is
Civil Air
that
Patrol
as
with
you
guns.
go through these different changes in your career and life, do you find, and I know that Tyler looks up to you, and he's happy to have you out with him.
You should
And-
see him. He
and
carries my bags. It's great. It's just that. No, but seriously, I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you exactly what happened.
I guess, have you worked on this?
I have.
Because
I have.
it is something that's new to you. You said you came into this. What was it? What was the date you came?
February
into
7th, 2012.
2012. So now fast forward, 9 years later.
So several years ago, before Jack came to work in the company, we were at a smoke-in event. We were at the Great Smoke, which is an event that Smoke-in does. So I'm walking around. There are a lot of cigar people there, and I'm ready. I'm looking at the clock counting down.
Yeah, you don't want to be here.
87 minutes, 80 minutes. So I want a Tarano. They're right next to us in the booth. So I walk over and said, hey, I told Carlos Yaca, who now works for Gurkha at the time. I said, hey, Carlos, do you have a cigar? And he looks at me and he goes, Jack, Tarano goes, you're talking to the wrong guy. So I said, oh, give me a cigar. So Jack gives me a cigar, and Jack looks at me and he goes, you and me are going to be best friends. I had just finished.
Was that awkward, or
It was, because I had just
Yeah.
finished that HBO. What's that HBO show with the prison where they were in prison?
Oz?
Oz. I had just finished seeing Oz, and I'm like, I ain't braiding.
Orange is the New Black?
I ain't no Oz. I ain't braiding your hair. I mean, he was
Either
like,
show would work. Either show would work. on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Me and you are going to be friends. We're not going to be best friends. We're going to be friends. So I'm like, I will shoot his big ass. I mean, but he says,
That's aggressive.
I'm going to work with you.
Yeah.
I don't want you to work with me. But Jack is very personable.
Yeah.
Eric is very personable. So Jack kind of warned me, you got to be nice. And then he was telling me, I know this is all a facade. I said, it is not. And he had seen me on several occasions where I've lost my shit. He goes, I really got to tone down. I said, yeah, but that guy disrespected us. Like I said, I kind of lose my shit quick, but I have gotten better. But I also have gotten smarter, because now I pick what direction to go into. I don't try to put myself in a bad spot.
You pick your battles.
I don't put myself in a bad spot where, and Eric also said, I'm never going to put you in a situation where you're going to fail. And I tell him, yes, you have.
He said will, you said have, but yeah, I mean, it's future versus past.
But he has, he's put me in these good positions, and I've traveled so much in the last 3 months. It's crazy, but I do it for the company.
Do you like it?
I don't like to fly. I don't even sleep the night before I fly.
Yeah.
But
so comfort zone's a big part of
comfort
this.
zone's a big part, but I'm all about this company, man. I'm all about this company. Look, this guy called me. He could have called anybody. You guys ever watch Night Court? Remember the show with Harry Anderson?
It's not on anymore, but
It's
yeah.
not, but the guy asked him, how did you become a judge? You were 157th on the list. He goes, I was home when they called. And that's the way I look at it. I was home when Eric called.
That's
Eric could
very
have called the
interesting.
next guy after me, and then that guy would be sitting here, and I'd be retired, yelling at the kids on my block, get off my lawn. So I put myself in a better spot. I pick my battles, but it hasn't been easy, Steve.
No, I mean, it's out of your comfort zone. I mean, I remember, when I was going to networking groups in my previous career, and I was like, I don't believe it or not, with doing the show and things that I've worked on, is that I don't care for the small talk with people just because I'm there to network about that. When I was in the moving and storage industry, I'd go to like Chamber of Commerce, I'd go to like these like lead groups and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to be here. Like I would get like these, like the clammy hands and like, I wasn't like nervous. I just didn't want to do it. Like what you were talking about, I just didn't want to do this. Like, all right. So like you said, you were like counting down these things about, counting down like, how long do I have to be here? How long do I have to be here? It was the same thing. I saw it on my schedule. Like, all right, now I'm a week out. Now I'm like this. And like the morning of, I'm like, do I call off? Like am I sick today? Like I feel like I want to be sick today. You know what I mean? Because I just don't want to do this.
I had to explain when Jack was telling me we're going to work on this, you're going to get better. I said, listen, you need to know my background. I was a criminal analyst for 30 years. Body language classes, interrogation schools, all this shit that you go to these classes to learn body language. And I have a very good radar. I know if a guy's full of shit right away.
What are you reading on this room?
No, they're all on their phones. Hello.
But they're following the podcast.
I think they're following the podcast. But listen, I have a very finely tuned bullshit detector. And for every great person in this industry, there's a guy who's full of shit. And I've always said that I'm very unfortunate. I have very bad luck. There's 100 guys in a room, and 99 of them are great. And there's one fucking dingleberry. That guy finds me. Hey, how are you? Damn,
Do you single them out, or do they single you out?
They single me out because I see them and I hide. I run for the wood.
You're playing the victim card a little bit.
I'm not. I'm telling you. I can tell. I'll say, we'll go into an event. And I'll say that guy's going to be trouble. No, what are you talking about? That guy's going to be a problem.
And there he is. Buying you a drink.
And then that guy's got tone. That guy followed me all over the room.
Tractor beam.
Yeah.
Still hired Tyler.
Let me tell you something. Tyler was Jack's hire, and Jack's super proud of him.
But you're not.
Well, I don't do sales. I think
I'm that's part of it. I think this is knowing, to those that are looking to what the topic is with Mr. Warmth. That's why I like this having you on. I did want the opportunity for people to learn a bit more about you and how you got into this, because it's looking down the table, we all stumbled into this industry. This is something that we had some interest in. We smoked cigars and we all stumbled into it, and we're all in different capacities in the industry. Sure. In said industry.
This is a great industry to work in.
It is. And
I'm retired, but I work, but you know how many guys would die to have my job?
A lot
of them.
A lot.
Listen, and the Mr. Warmth thing, Chrissy Crisfield, like I said, she was on there. Lazona Palooza is very, very hard for me. There's 200 people and they want to see you, and they're big fans and they love you. But that big crowd, that drives me, that's hard for me. I tuck away in my office, and yet they still come.
Well, your name's probably on the door.
Yeah, and yet they're still there. And you know what?
Something that
they deserve my time, because here they are and they're huge fans. But it's awfully tough on me.
Oh, Richie Riot is watching.
And
Nice.
Richie knows it's very tough. But I've gotten better. I get better every year, and now I've worked it out that I'll go into the crowd and, hey, how you guys doing? You guys doing? Hey, you guys want to step into my office for a minute? And they look at me. Are you sure? Yeah, come on in. I'll bring them in. I'll sit down for 5 minutes. I'll give them something out of the stash. They're happy as hell. Hey, look, I'm going to go ahead and grab somebody else. I've learned to manage it, but it was hard on me. And
so there's baby steps there. I think there is something that there's a little bit of, like, obviously you have a very, like you said, you were trained in a lot of ways to actually kind of to look at and diagnose or whatever, like
instantly.
basically profile,
right?
You do it instantly. There's obviously the first impression, which sometimes will change, but a lot of times that is pretty accurate. You also have a lot of self-reflection, which I like about that with what you've done in your career, in your life. You've had that. You're a family man. You were, again, military. Then you were law enforcement. Now you're in a more or less luxury industry. Still,
sure.
That's what it is.
It is.
But it's for customers. I like, Eric Espinosa, for those that have not listened to him speak and have not heard him on the podcast or just in general. He'll even tell you, he said at one of the 10 events, is that, he blends cigars for customers. There are a lot of people out there that they're so passionate about, whether it be bourbon, cigars, whatever the widget is, right? I mean, that's
sure.
where it comes down to, is that if you look at it, like, you're doing this for you, it doesn't necessarily sell, right? So you guys are in the industry or the business to sell cigars.
Absolutely.
and now that's why you've expanded the portfolio. Tyler, I actually want to get to you a little bit. Is that you have, again, a passion for cigars, and when you first were part of the bourbon and BS community, and you were part of the cigar community before that, I'm actually very impressed and also fascinated with how you've grown. And I'm going to ask, how old are you?
24 years old.
24 years old. And I got to be honest, we've had people on this podcast, and you're one of them that when you say your age, it is baffling. It does not.
Thank you. I take it as a compliment almost.
Yeah. I mean, on the air, yes. And off the air, probably not. But, I know you better than just the industry. But
we've known each other for a long time.
We've known each other for a long time. But if you're in this industry now, you're in sales, which is not what you were necessarily training for. But this whole Mr. Warmth type of a thing, is that you have to, in sales, we've talked about these types of things where you have to know people, you have to know yourself, you have to do all this stuff. And I think that's where the Mr. Warmth kind of conversation comes into it. Hector's already kind of walked us through on where he started, where he is now, and where you're going with it, is that it's a constant improvement. But with you, Tyler, now that you're on the road, your sales, you represent a bigger picture than just yourself.
Right.
What are you learning? What have you learned? How have you transitioned? Because this isn't easy for everyone to just walk into an account or a store and try to sell something where they don't carry any of your cigars.
Right. It's an interesting concept, and it's a lot of road hours and stuff like that, which I was used to driving quite a bit to go to places. I mean, hell, I lived in Dayton, Ohio, and I would drive up to Detroit, Michigan to see our boy Ronnie Haysha.
Yeah.
Where I'm at, right? See,
Ronnie Haysha, dog. You ain't ready for that.
But luckily, in my travels, just as a consumer, and just the aspect of me getting to know a lot of people and having prior relationships, and not even being officially in the business, it helped me out to make the connection with people the same way I did as a consumer. And honestly, the part I think I love about this business is you just got to treat. I like to think that every retailer we get in with, or that I visit, is I'm building a friendship with them at the end of the day, and I'm building a relationship with them to where I want them to succeed as much as I'm going to succeed. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's the only way you build that relationship, and you make sure everybody, gets treated equally and treated right. And, that's the one thing I've kind of learned is, John Demhar, we talked about a good friend of ours, me and Hector earlier, John Demhar. Big John Demhar is a legend in this business.
Great
and
guy.
he might be retired, but me and Hector both don't know he ain't. He's still out there.
If you're talking about a guy who has, we can curse now, right?
Yeah.
If you're talking about a guy who has no fucks to give, John Demhar, and I want to give an observation. I know you're in the middle of your spiel, and I don't want to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
But I traveled with him, and I don't think he's picking and choosing where to take me. This is every shop that he's been in.
Right.
They love him in every shop.
Yeah.
They love him in every shop. And that's, listen, there is no retailer that needs any cigar. And there is no cigar manufacturer that needs any particular retailer. This is a symbiotic kind of relationship. If it works for you, we want to make sure that we provide a cigar that will work in your shop. What works in your shop might not work in this guy's shop.
Yeah.
But, I've been with Tyler. Tyler's Jack's protege. I mean, Eric and Jack both kind of want to take credit for him, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But this is the guy that we've been waiting, that was ready. I mean, hell, we even did a press release when we hired Tyler. We were
Absolutely,
so excited
as you should, yeah.
Eric, we're putting together. Did you guys ever see Enter the Dragon? We're putting together a fascinating force of strike nature.
I have not.
We're putting together an
kind of want to now.
We're putting an exceptional fighting force together. We're really building a nice force of.
You guys went to the farm system with Tyler.
No problem. We went in the farm system with Gavin, which is another guy who came in after him. Gavin Graham. Look, it is important to us that we have guys that are a perfect reflection of our company. We don't expect none of our reps to be Jack, or none of our reps to be Eric, and definitely none of our reps to be me. But we want guys who represent the company, and when they go to your shop, They're not trying to oversell you. They're not trying to put you on a cigar that's not going to work for you. And they want to have a good relationship with you that you can say, hey, look, this really didn't work out for me. All right, that didn't work out for you. Try this. Or we're trying to build relationships.
Yeah.
And because this is all about relationships.
Yeah.
I've watched them. I've gone to 6 shops with him. He walks in. They love this guy. I could never have that kind of relationship. I don't want to be that much. I don't want to be that loved.
Well, you know your role, you know your personality type, and I think you're building a team, right? And it's
Absolutely.
really
Jack
interesting.
and Eric have done a great job.
Yeah.
They've done a great job doing that. Look, I've traveled with Tim. I've traveled with Tyler now. I hope to travel with Gavin. I eventually want to travel with some of our brokers as well. There's Tony Gomez in
Big
Texas.
Tony Gomez.
Big Tony Gomez, who's done a great job in Texas. We are, listen, I have said this we are on the cusp. We are on the cusp. We're a boutique cigar company, but we're on the cusp of greatness. I really believe that.
I do too.
And sometimes the only way you can really move forward, at times everybody wants to go forward and forward and forward. Sometimes you have to stop for a minute, regroup, and then move forward. And I think that's what we're doing. I'm very excited. Listen, I think that the best is yet to come for our company.
Yep.
I really do. And not just because of the people we've hired and the people that we have working for us and the cigars that we have coming. We have really worked really hard. Listen, and I'm not trying to be soft or emotional here, but we
It's okay.
started
It's, again, safe space, trust tree.
we started with nothing.
No one's listening anyway.
We started with nothing. We had no product. Everywhere that we've gotten, as far as we've gotten in these almost 10 years, we have gotten on Eric Espinosa's shoulders. And there comes a time where we have to get off that and we have to do it on our own. And he's gotten us this far. We're gonna go the rest of the way. And I think that we're in a great position. Listen, I go out there and I'm watching and I'm looking at what, not just Tyler, what Tim does and what Gavin's doing and what Jack does and what Eric does. People know us.
Yeah.
Listen, people come up. We were at the Cigar Aficionado Big Smoke a couple of days ago. And I got to tell you, have you had Bardstown yet?
Bardstown, yeah, absolutely.
What an incredible whiskey. By the way, they were right across from us.
Yeah, we'd like to feature
it's
more of that. Yeah.
fantastic.
That girl,
You've had some of that, the
Yeah.
fusion, right? And Tyler were talking about the
Every
fusion.
time I went,
Awesome.
every
I've
time
got a
I
bottle of it at home.
every time I
it's
went like
delicious.
this, she brought me a shot.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Right.
But we're there. Guys would walk up and says, two guys walked up to Jack and said, I saw you on Brian Glenn's show. Who was Brian Glenn's Cigar Obsession?
Mhm.
The guy said, hey, I saw you on Cigar Coop.
Yeah.
That's weird. I mean, they're celebrity without really being celebrities
So
in our own little niche.
I think that actually brings a little bit of a point where it's like, you do well enough that it will bring certain things, and no matter what the career is, right? When you focus on what you're doing, which, you, Hector and Tyler, you have different roles, Nate, yourself, and your career and everything else, is that sometimes by doing well and focusing on yourself, that's really where things that come out of the woodwork that you weren't expecting, right? Because you're doing so well, you get the attention that you're not necessarily your nose to the grindstone or whatever. You know what I mean? Hector, you're a great example of that. You're just kind of going about it. You were doing your career, again, military, then you're law enforcement, you're just doing your job, and all of a sudden you talk about this. And when I hear that story about you and Eric and how you noticed him at first, right? Just being this loud guy in the cigar shop, and like, who the fuck is this guy? Right? Yeah, who the hell is this guy? And then all of a sudden he noticed you. You guys talked a bit, and all of a sudden he sees value in you. And I gotta say, there's probably a little bit of that in a lot of people, right? Most people, where when he called you to that empty warehouse, and you're like, why me?
Absolutely.
And I think that's actually an important aspect of this, Mr. Warm topic, is that you really hit this in a different direction, where it's like, this is all new to you. Like, why do people know who Hector is?
Of course. I don't.
Your name's not on. Your name is not on the cigar.
Of course,
the
not.
cigars you blend have someone else's name on it,
And that's
the
fine.
company, right? But people want to know you. Sometimes they want to know who's like when people learn what you're doing in life, in your career, and how you're doing so well. There is a level of I love the humble aspect of it that you're portraying, Tyler. Again, yes, at a younger age, not to harp on that, but I brought that up for a reason, is that you did. I remember sitting in this garage as well before you worked for that, and we were talking about the fact that you're like, I'd love to work for Espinosa.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you got out of your 4 years, right, with the Air Force.
Correct.
And by being so passionate about it, you were working at a cigar shop part-time as well.
Yeah,
because you had
the Air
passion.
Force did not know about that, but it's clear. It's good that
They're
they
not
know
listening,
that
but
now.
You're
Robbie
gone
might be,
already.
so,
You're ready- you're
they
ready to
might be.
ETF.
I don't know who's
Yeah.
listening anymore with Facebook, but you do this groundwork.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a goal, sometimes there's not necessarily the goal that's going to be intended. But I love the fact that you guys and Nate yourself as well, like, you know, you were in the cigar industry, and then you have this, you know, that took a back seat to, you got to put food on the table. And all of a sudden you just recently had a promotion. I mean, these things that people don't necessarily, they want these things, but they don't always realize the steps that are involved to truly succeed at the next step. And when that presents itself, you're already behind because you weren't necessarily doing those things. That's why I love hearing what Hector, you're working on. You know, the fact that people want to get to know you. They're at Lazona-Palooza, they're at a show, they're whatever. You're traveling with like Tyler or someone.
They call Eric and they
they're
go,
just like,
"Can you send Harry?" And it's funny. They call
you
Eric.
just
And they
don't
go,
get it.
"Can you send Hector?" And he goes, "Hector."
Yeah.
You really want this guy to go?
But as people get to
I
know
asked,
you,
I asked
go
Jack.
ahead.
I was like, hey, well, last time he was with me, we were doing a trip through Milwaukee, you know, western Wisconsin, and ended up in Chicago. And I asked him on that trip, I'm like, hey, when am I going to get Hector with me? And he goes, you want Hector Alfonso? I'm like, of course I want Hector Alfonso.
Oh, the other
with me.
Hector.
Yeah, no, the other guy. But no, I'm like,
The good one.
of course I want Hector with me because I want that other part of our brand that people may not know, and I want people to know his story. I want the people that are like me that want to meet someone like him. Because, like, shit, did you tell me if I could have met Hector before I got in this business or joined the company, I would have been so excited, like I am just to ride with him now. I'm still excited
Listen,
to have someone like Hector with me.
I am a perfect fit for this company. I
Agreed.
know the role for this company. I know my role. I know the hierarchy in this company. And in my career, even in law enforcement, I never wanted to be the man. I want to be the man comes to.
Yeah.
That makes me happy. I don't want to be the guy. You know, you go into a cigar bar, or you're going to, you know, even a guy's man cave has a picture of Don Corleone or a picture of, you know, Michael Corleone. I have a picture of the consigliere. I said, why do you have a picture of Tom Hagen? Because that's the power behind the throne. That's the guy when the big guy turns and goes, hey, what do you think of this?
They didn't hear you.
That's
on the mic.
when the guy turns to you. When the
turned too far from
the consigliere turns and goes, what do you think of this? I think you should do this. And they value your opinion.
Yeah, being a trusted partner.
I love my role.
Yeah.
I love my role. Listen, every time I'm on a podcast, every time I'm out there on a podcast, you know, spreading the gospel, because I call this we're spreading the gospel. He spreads the gospel. I do it.
Yeah.
Jack does it. It's always Espinosa Cigars. I don't want to run a cigar company. Are you crazy? We would sell no cigars. I'd be like the soup Nazi. No cigar street. You know, you're an asswipe.
That'd be fun to watch. That'd be fun to watch.
But we would make no money.
Yeah, you'd be out of business real
We'd
quick.
be out of business. I like my role, and I like the notoriety that I have, and I like, you know, that persona. That's fine, but it's all about the company. And listen, I'm telling you, Eric is a survivor. Jack's a survivor.
He's a survivor.
This is the only cigar company I've ever worked for, and this is the only cigar company I'll ever work for.
No.
I guarantee you, I will never work for another cigar company but this one. This is my company. I started here when we had nothing. Nothing. We had nothing. All we had was a name on the door. And I'll be here when it's time for me to go. This is my company. I love this company.
How many cigars does Espinosa make a year?
We make 3 million cigars a year.
3 million?
All
It's
right?
healthy.
That's a healthy number. I'm not going anywhere. This is my company. I have sweat equity in this company. I love this company. This company called me when they could have called anybody. So
Let's
I'm
talk about
in.
that. Let's talk about that for a second, because in this day and age, you know, and social media and everything else is I feel like there's always, you know, we've actually talked about it on the podcast that you always want to be the man. You want to be the person. You want to be like the entrepreneur and all that stuff, right? But if you talk to people that are truly successful, that have done that, not just, you know, throwing up posts, but if you listen to podcasts, you listen to people that have actually succeeded, they are the first, and Eric's one of them, but they're the first to actually throw the tribute to the people that are working, they say with them, but underneath them, right? So this is something that they wouldn't be where they are with that. Everyone has roles, and I feel like as a society we're starting to shift a little bit, and maybe it is the timing of what's happened in the world in the last 2 years, is that you take it off of yourself.
Listen,
right?
I'm going to relate this to law enforcement, Steve, if I could.
Go ahead.
Everybody loves the guys who bang on the door. When you see any kind of, I'll relate it to police. The story that makes the news is when SWAT breaks the door and grabs the 3 guys in there that are fugitives. The story never gets the news story never gets to the support people who found the 3 guys, who told you where they were.
The legwork, the
legwork. Nobody,
investigation.
and I give Eric credit for that. He says, "My team,
Yeah.
my team did this, my team does that," and he rags on us. He rags on me.
Oh, he's a ball buster, right?
Yeah, I'm at a shop earlier today.
Really?
I'm at a shop earlier today, and the guy calls Eric and he goes, he goes, "I have Hector Alfonso here. What do you want me to do with him? Whip his ass or something like that."
Yeah.
And then he says, bro, Jack was hired, and 3 days after he was hired, I had to buy him a birthday cake. That because that was his birthday. He rags on us.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't rag on you, and I've told everybody who works with us, if he doesn't rag on you, worry. When they rag on you and they bust your balls, you're in a good place. You got to give your team credit.
Well,
From the secretaries who type the memos to the analysts who find the guys, to the guys who did the surveillance, and then the guys who come through the door and grab the guys who make the news. Everybody's a part of that, and he gives credit to this people. Look, he's got his son working for him. He's very proud to have his son working for him.
absolutely.
A lot of guys would never tell their kid to quit college and come work for him. He told his kid to quit college.
Most
come work
people
for him.
wouldn't. Yeah.
And he got an earful from the mother.
Yeah.
He didn't give a fuck. But there's Junior. Junior comes to work every goddamn day.
Yeah.
And Junior has a bunch of responsibility. When Eric ever has a problem, he turns to me, help me with this.
Yeah.
Or when he's got a problem with his sales staff, he turns to Jack. It's hard because he was a one-man show for a long time, but now he has staff. He has people who work for him. And trust me, if you didn't love the guy, you wouldn't be there, because there's jobs out there, but we like working there. And he knows what he has, and he knows that it took years to build it, and he's got it in place, and it's only going to get better.
Well, and sometimes when you're in that position where you're the name of a brand and you've built that brand from nothing, it's very hard to let go of certain responsibilities sometimes.
Listen,
that's how you grow as a company.
One of my
business is by giving that responsibility to other people so you can focus on what it is that you do.
One of my biggest issues, we were built as a social media company. Social media built us.
Yeah.
Eric, his phone number. Everybody has Eric's phone number. There comes a time that you don't want. Let me say that. My precious.
No, that's mine.
There ain't good.
Russell Reserve
You're going to
40
take
inside.
that empty ass bottle home. We're gonna do it. So there is a time where you have to, and I've told them plenty of times, you have to.
You owe me $30.
I've told him plenty of times. I go, you're paying these people. You have to trust these people. And Eric's a hands-on guy. The shipment comes in and he's up there unpacking stop doing this.
Yeah.
He goes, no, bro, I gotta stop doing this. You pay this guy in the warehouse.
Well, Eric is one though that he does live by this, and I will say this, and this is not the Eric Espinosa show. That's all over the phone. You're gonna need a new phone. You can write it off. But
I'm way
said,
over him on the hierarchy chart.
I think Tyler has actually
Way over him.
I think Tyler has actually experienced this. Is that something when I first met a guy like Eric Espinosa, and something that was lost? And this is, again, before we've gone through as a world, is that the value. Like, I've been a part of a company that, and a lot of people have, like when you talk about your sales staff, you have this commission structure, you have this whatever, and then all of a sudden they do too well for the P&L, which is a profit and loss. So all of a sudden it's like you budgeted this much for that person percentage wise, but in your mind at the top, you're like, well, they're going to make between X and Y. And all of a sudden they just go nuts and they make Z. There's ways you can respond to that. And you can either say, well, we got to restructure, or you say, go make Z plus. Just fucking go out there and do it. Eric's one of those guys. I think this is something, again, I know the topic's a little weird tonight with Mr. Warmth as that type of thing. But it is just being a genuine person, and whatever the goals are, you have to keep your ego in check. And there are times that if you have this ability to have these people growing around you, is that you actually continue to do what you set out to do.
Yeah.
Same thing with customers. They're busting your inventory. Same people in your life. You know, you put all this into a relationship, and you're really looking forward to having these people just get better and better in your life. And all of a sudden they take a spotlight and you take resentment to that. That doesn't work. You really have to stay focused on the task at hand of the overall benefit to all of this, and keep riding that wave when it's good.
I was
A lot
on
of people question that.
I was on a sales call with him when he had his sales meeting. He wants them all to make $100,000, because if they make $100,000, that means we're doing great.
Yeah.
He wants them to do well. You know, that's
Yeah.
the way he looks.
I mean, Eric Espinosa says he goes, there's no such thing as an overpaid salesman.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, Eric, I'll settle this debate between Eric and Jack. Eric told me about 4 years ago, you're going to work for me one day. And
Yeah.
that made a big impression on a young kid or a young man.
Oh, kid, you're right. Yeah, you said it right the first time.
You're a kid. He had
Yeah, I'm a kid.
no pubes.
Don't let the facial hair fool you.
And
No
so
pubes.
that made a big impression on a guy like me.
Here
and,
we go.
And he
Pour this guy another.
and
Figure it out
he's
together.
just like I've respected Eric for so long. I've respected Jack for so long, and I'm lucky enough to before I worked for him, you know, I got to call them friends. Hector I knew from past as well.
Sorry, I had that.
like a
but-
shady past. Or
It was okay. It was okay.
I saw
it's
his
one long weekend.
I saw his internet history. I saw his browser history.
That
And
is-
so-
that is personal.
Like I'm not gonna lie. Like over my last.
So who is the guy? Let's clear this shit up right now.
Okay.
I love it.
Who brought you to Espinosa? Was it Jack or was it Eric?
Or Hector.
No, it wasn't me. I would never fucking take this.
Or this garage.
Who's responsible for Tyler Jones, T-Bone Jones, being Espinosa?
T-Bone.
Is it Jack Tarano or is it Eric Espinosa?
That's a trick question, I think.
He's gonna lose either way.
it was probably.
It was an inner struggle and
He's taking a
self-reflection.
hard
I'm having a hard time answering
I-
this
he's
question.
having a hard
I don't
time.
even know.
I remember
I don't
Tyler
even know.
telling me.
I'll say both.
I'll answer
I
it
was
for
gonna
him.
have
say
an answer
both.
Too, but
Hold
go
on.
ahead.
All right, go ahead. Sir.
So there he was. He was
He's a
sitting
grown
at,
man.
He was sitting in a pond, and he was like reflecting. He was feeding the birds and ducks, and he was smoking a Espinosa cigar. And
Hey, man.
he looked out on the horizon. He looked down at the cigar. He said, "I feel home."
You're so full of shit.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I was
sounded
about
good.
to agree with that. That was
Should've
beautiful.
said-
All right, I'm gonna put you on the
You
spot.
should have said, "I told
was-
you not to tell anyone about
Say
that."
who
Who
gets
offered
the
me
credit?
the job?
No. Who gets the credit
Who
for
offered me
recruiting
the job?
Tyler Jones? Who gets the credit for recruiting Tyler Jones?
Bourbon and BS podcast.
Well, come on, obviously.
No, yeah,
You're
both
a little
of
red, dog. Yeah,
So-
a little red in the punum.
both of them had a big.
You know
impact.
these guys, right? They're not
Yeah.
sharing shit.
right?
So you got to give somebody his props.
I mean, I'll give both of them their props.
Mm,
You heard me, right?
Yeah.
They're not sharing shit. So somebody has to get their props.
Well, what I was going to say
very
is like,
political response there.
I think Eric gave Tyler the inspiration and dream to be a part of the industry,
And Jack made it
but
happen.
it was Jack that was like,
I like my story.
I'm
Jack,
telling you-
Jack went to bat for me. I'll give.
I'm telling
I'll
you,
give
these
him
guys-
100%.
Fight
All right.
about it.
Jack. He
They-
said Jack.
Jack definitely went
Can
to
you
bat for
can
me,
you
and I
timestamp
can't say he
this?
did
Because
it.
I'm sending this out tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, right now we're at
And then-
2:41.
Wow, we've gone almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
Holy
I don't even
shit.
have
Jack Tarano actually is like, "You guys are still on."
He says I'm good with sharing. Thank you, Jack T. Jack
T. Hi,
Hi,
Jack.
Jack.
This is how the podcast goes. Yeah,
But see,
is how it goes.
this is what
This
I love
awesome.
about this.
You
Is,
want it to get good? Give me another bottle of whiskey.
We're still working on one.
this is what I love about working for Espinosa. I wouldn't go to any other company. Listen, I've had two people approach me to work for another cigar company
If
already.
that guy calls you again, I'm gonna whip his ass.
You should, and I'll let you know when he does.
Thank our
But-
sponsors.
Thank your sponsors are out today.
But I flat out told both dudes at each time, and they're like, "How much is Espinosa paying you?" I'm like, "I don't care, bro.
You
I'm
got
like,
to work
I-
with Jack T.
I get to work with Jack T. I get to work for Eric Espinosa. I get to work with Hector Alfonso, Richie Wright, Tony Gomez, Gavin. I love our team, and I feel at home working with them, and I don't have to. listen, when I get
This
phone
paycheck's gonna
calls,
clear this year.
when I get phone calls from Jack or Eric, it's never about, you know, it's always just some hilarious shit that's happening. And when I get phone calls from them, I'm not sweating beads, or I'm not feeling pressured, or I'm not scared to answer the phone. I'm actually happy to answer the phone when they call me.
Well, you had an
And
experience
that means
today,
a lot.
actually.
That means a lot to
You're
me.
lucky. You're fortunate.
I am stupid fortunate.
Well, you had an experience today, and that's what I love about this is that,
Those
you know,
4 boxes of Churchill. I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
But I can call Hector, or I can call Tyler and just bust his balls about it. But I mean, it's the same thing. You guys talk about Eric. It's like if I text him about anything, it's my phone's ringing in 5 minutes. But my point is that with where you're at now, Tyler, it's cool to see this kind of a transition. You know, Hector talking about the Mr. Warmth thing. Hector talking about the fact that, like, when he first got into this, he didn't see himself as the personality, and he felt comfortable with that. There's nothing wrong with being the guy behind the guy. I identify with that with my past career and my current career. There's an ashtray right over there.
That's why I had that one.
Taking shit from a guy with a pink shirt. I know.
I mean,
you were talking about that ass whooping earlier.
No, but
I went to the gym today too, dog.
No, I love, you know, Tyler, you know, you're in that position. You're already learning about that. Is that no matter where you go, you might have a bigger paycheck right away, right? You might have that instant gratification of doing what you want to do, but the growth of it, and that's where I love this topic of Mr. Warmth, is that you have someone in the industry, like a guy like Hector, that he grew with this company. You came in I'd say phase 2, right? Of how many phases?
I'm a good host.
You are a good bartender. But I like that because yes, you could actually probably tomorrow you take that premature step to maybe a bigger company.
No, he has a non-compete.
My point is that you can go for the quick win, right?
Right. I'm in it for the long
You
haul.
see the value of the growth. And
I see the growth every day.
You want to see some reality? I'm gonna give you some reality.
Sure.
One of the things that drives us crazy, Jack and me crazy, is what's made it successful. One of the things that's made us successful is one of the same things that drives it. You think I was drunk? I picked that shit right up.
No, I didn't think you were drunk.
One of the things that makes us successful is one of the things that drives us crazy. Guys have access to Eric. He has 2 guys who work for him who are no guys. I am a no guy.
Right.
No, love it. My favorite word. When my grandson when my grandson got a little bigger, we babysitted him one night, and he was doing something, and I said no. And I called my son. I said, "Hey, you know, Logan's upset." And he goes, "Oh, he doesn't like the word no." Well, then you sent him to the wrong house because no,
he's going to learn that word.
No is my word.
Yeah.
He's got 2 guys we're here for no.
Yeah.
Eric doesn't want to hear that shit. Eric likes the fact that he's involved. That guys can reach out to him directly. And even though we know it drives us nuts, it's what's made us.
So what I like about Eric, and I'll say this about this as well, and this is all about personal relationships, which is the topic at hand, in my opinion, when you look at Mr. Warmth, and it's all about growth and all that stuff. And Eric will, obviously, you guys will do it for him. So this is very relative for whatever you're doing in your career, is that if you're working for the right person, the person that signs your paychecks, you may have to put them in check at some point, that it's like, just give me a little bit of time to be able to do this, right? Like, just back off, let up on the reins. Like, you're in this position now because you've grown to this point. We've grown to this point. He's
still tied to the grassroots of it.
But here's what I like. I'll give you this, Hector, and I don't think we've ever talked about this, and this is the first time we've had this conversation, but we had a point where we were talking about the BS Silver, right? And so I was working with you directly because that was the direction we had a relationship.
And Eric told you to call me. Eric said, talk to Hector.
Talk to Hector. And then he overloaded you. You had a lot going on, and the BS Silver project is a small fish. Not saying you weren't paying attention to it, but you told me, you're like, I remember this. You were like, I'm sorry. Like, yeah, it fell through a little bit and all that stuff. And in conversation with Eric, he told me in confidence, sorry, Eric, I'm overloading Hector. He's got too much going on. And you weren't done yet with the Miami-Dade police.
Yeah, I was still doing it.
So it was like all this stuff and all this stuff. And then Eric says, just contact me for your orders on the BS Silver because Hector has his hands full. And I love that about these types of relationships. And again, knowing people, that's the Mr. Warmth type of a thing, is that it's not just about putting a smile on your face. The customer's always right. It's not always making people happy. It's realizing what your strengths are, what your ability or your capacity. The capacity is so huge. So we talked about you, Hector, growing, you know, and people recognizing you. You weren't ready for it in a sense, but now you've adapted to it.
I'm going to tell you
all these things. And Eric, to this day, he's just like, just text me for the orders, which we don't always do. But he's like, he takes it on his shoulders, better or worse, because of the value he places on the people that work in the company. And he will say this right, not putting words in his mouth. You guys work with him. And he has that mentality, and that's that team mentality that is taught and is in my opinion has been lost to a point in a lot of these industries, any industry in these days that we're living in right now, is that it's all about me, and it's all about ego. It's all about the fact that people don't respect me. It's a conversation to be had between someone that is being above you, that is in the hierarchy, that Hector, Tyler, Nate, myself, everyone out there, if you're not the person signing the paychecks, even if you are those people signing the paychecks, you have to understand that it is a team effort. So if you put someone in that position and you are putting this workload on them, at a certain point, you may have to be like, you know what, don't bother him with that, because I've got him doing this. Now I got to do this. Well, he puts it on his shoulders. There's a fault there sometimes because they're overloaded as well. But there is this honest, genuine, humble.
Well, he hasn't lost track of what's going on, which is good. And also remember that he's doing
everything, like he's putting things on your plate. He's putting things on Tyler's plate. If your boss out there, you guys listening to the podcast, if your boss out there is just constantly, why can't you do this? Why can't you do this? Like all that stuff.
That's not his gig.
It's not, but that's because he's a good boss.
He realizes you also, during the BS project, you understand that it was right in the middle of FDA. FDA was kicking. Listen, I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm not a guy that really to gloss over shit. My brother passed away a couple of months ago.
My condolences.
Thank you. My brother is. It's tough. My brother was 50 years old and he had Down syndrome. He had special needs.
Oh, I remember that.
He walked into my office one day and he goes, I can't fathom how you've come to work every day. I said, this is what I do. This is my job. You know, this is a guy that I'd call him in the day and I said, I can't come in tonight. We're serving a warrant. Mm-hmm. We're following a guy. We're doing a case. He goes, he understood. He always understood when I couldn't make it in that day because the police job overshadowed the Espinosa job. But he also knew that there were many times during the day that the Espinosa job interfered with the police job, and that was fine. I mean, this is a guy that would bother me just for the not bother me. He would call me for like the most minuscule shit. Yeah. But it you laugh, and I laugh at times, but it validates you. You know, not to borrow Terrence's validation thing that he's on right now. But when he calls in the middle of the day to ask you a question, you're his guy. And I know I've always been his guy. Right. Day one.
Right.
But when my brother passed away, he goes, bro, I don't know how you've come to work every day. I said, because this is my job. This is what I do. And this was actually good for me. You know? And my brother passed.
This is what we do.
This is what we do. I mean, and not to get all Godfather referencing, you know, when the guy says, you know, when
this is the business we've chosen.
This is the business we've chosen. And I love it. And I love this business. I love him. And I love what we do. And I love everything that we.
You surround yourself with good people that value you
and
as a person. And everyone's got the bad day where they may not.
And listen, I've had plenty of bad days.
And I'm sure Eric's had bad days too. Course. Like your boss, and again, anyone listening, like your boss has bad days, right? But it's the bigger picture, right? And I can identify with that a bit.
And he's always understood. And I give him that. And listen, I know that he's taken a lot off my plate, but also it goes hand in hand with the fact that when he's overwhelmed with something, and the guy turns to it. And that's fine. I dig that. I relish that. That's
Yeah.
my role. I appreciate that.
You feel value.
Of course. Listen, this is the second, let's talk about relationships. You have your family,
Yeah.
your marriage and your family, relationships with your sports team. Are you a sports guy?
I like a couple sports.
What's your sport?
I mean, I'm a Bears fan, but
All
I
right,
don't want to
how
talk
long have
about
you
it
been
right
a Bears-
now.
How long have you been a Bears fan?
Since my family raised me in that.
You love the Bears. Have you
Love,
ever turned-
hate, but
Have you
yeah.
ever turned your back on the Bears?
I mean, at the end of a Sunday, yeah, sometimes. I mean, I
But
gotta
next-
be honest.
I
You
can
know,
understand
You
that.
know, I'm done with them for the day, and
But next
and
Sunday you're there,
I'm the
right?
first one to say they fucked up.
Listen, it's family. It's the New York Mets. It's the Miami Dolphins.
For some people,
It's some Espinosa Cigars. That's me. I'm telling you.
you may put
it's-
the Cubs here.
Well, that's fine. All right, we'll do you.
World
We'll
Series
do yours for
champion
you.
there.
All right, I have family. I have
Because
the New
Trevor
York,
Bauer cut his finger.
I have
Get
family.
out of here with that
I have
shit.
the New York Mets. I have the Miami Dolphins. I have Miami-Dade Police, and I have Espinosa Cigars. I've always been.
There's
a team
identity
guy.
there.
I like being a part of a team. Good teams, even when the Dolphins sucked, even when the Mets sucked.
You're still loyal.
I'm still loyal to my teams,
yeah.
and I'm loyal to this team.
Yeah.
And listen,
Don't.
I'm sorry. I'm
Wait,
sorry.
No, don't put it down either. Like, I'll pass that.
How is Javi Baez? Anyway,
He was great. He is great.
he's going to be
Rich.
great.
That's
my point is,
He's electric,
I
right?
think that a lot of guys,
Electric.
relate to being part of teams, whether they win or lose.
Yeah.
Because there's a part of being of something.
Role players.
Bears
are
Nation.
Big.
Bears Nation, yeah, 85 Bears.
Bear
and then
down.
the Bears that go to the Super Bowl, the Bears that lost
Really
to the
good
Colts.
then. It was really nice.
Doesn't matter.
I was really young, but it was
But it doesn't matter.
Super Bowl Shuffle was a great song.
You were
I'll
like
be honest.
7 during the Super Bowl Shuffle.
I was 5, but I mean,
You were 5 in 1985? Why am I on
Like,
this
trying-
podcast? How old is this guy?
we're trying to bring in a
He's
different
41.
demographic.
And now, Britney Spears.
They're not awake right now. They had dinner at 4. And,
They're going to watch it later. It doesn't matter. I like being a part of the team.
watch it in the morning.
And I've always considered everything I've ever been a part of, that's a successful team.
I agree.
Whenever Eric Espinosa calls me, the first thing he asks me every time
Is your
doesn't matter,
spinster type? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
doesn't matter when it is. He asks
Can we
me
go to
how
the
am I
audience for a
doing.
second? Sean,
can.
is Sean smoking that BS yet?
No, I switched to a leaf. But
By Oscar? During an Espinosa podcast?
Awkward. No.
No, you're killing him. You're killing him. Look at his face.
It's good effort.
Did he say shit?
Yeah.
It's that Notre Dame shirt, bro. I can't
It's
get
that
over it.
He's
fucking Notre
upset
Dame
about the Notre
shirt.
Dame thing.
Notre Dame's got me. It's got me. How's
No,
Jerry
no.
Faust doing? Is Jerry Faust okay? He's probably dead, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Is Lou Holtz here?
He's not in the garage. They can't hear
They
you.
love Lou Holtz.
Oh,
All right.
And they should. All right, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Jack asked, how many energy drinks have you had today?
I've had no energy drinks.
That's
None.
coffee, though.
Man, you know what? I could not sleep last night. I had 2 coffees and I was like 2 in the morning.
2 espressos.
2 espressos.
Great espressos.
If a train left Cleveland at 4:00 and one left Houston, where would they 3? Where would they meet in Oklahoma City? I can't believe Jack's awake at this time. He's a 9
He's in
o'clock
Buffalo.
guy.
He's in Buffalo with
Chrissy
Nick,
says,
Nick
I think
Goss.
it's called bourbon in response to that.
You know, it's
You're not
funny.
wrong.
He's with our other rep, Nick
We have
Goss.
caffeine in this bourbon.
Have you ever met our rep, Nick Goss?
I have not.
He looks like he's an extra in every Southern towny movie they do from Boston.
Kind of want to watch it.
He
We have a
pox-
Southie
he
Movie
pox-
Marathon. See that right there? That's actually a 100-inch screen right there that we watched Southie Movie Marathon once a year.
Don't be a size queen. Anyway,
I mean,
He pox-
size matters sometimes
so
when you're watching movies.
That's a Jack Geronimo quote.
that's
right
a
there.
Jack. You're right. Size matters. You know.
Watch, he's gonna
Big fuck. Bro, we are scraping the barrel. I like that.
This is good. This is good.
Listen, man, I got to tell you something.
Go on.
We need another drink.
Tony's losing it inside.
You got to have Tony Gomez on. I'd love to.
Oh,
I'd love to
dude, we
see
need
Tony
get
Gomez.
Tony
on here.
Gomez in my territory.
Nate, you've been quiet tonight.
Yeah, bro. What's up with that? Well, because we're drinking his whiskey.
He's
He is
watching that
pissed.
bottle
Send
go
me
down.
a Venmo request to send him $8. What kind of shit is that? You know.
Espinosa Cigars is buying a bottle of Elijah Craig Small Rye. Small
Listen,
batch
I
rye.
have a bottle of the shit from Costco. It's good. It's just just says Costco on it. All right, so go ahead, take reins of this thing.
I don't know. You guys want to go to closing remarks? No, we're
Are we
at
done?
3 hours. We're at 3 hours. I mean, we don't.
That
have
ain't
to.
shit. I did a 4-hour baseball show. This is nothing.
All right.
This
all
is
right.
true.
I'll put it back on you guys.
Go ahead.
All
What's the
right.
question?
Take it into your personal life.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Go ahead.
All right. So we're talking about Mr. Warmth.
I am warm.
Right now, you are.
My
sure
palms
am.
are sweaty right now.
That's because you're,
You're
young. and
nervous.
You're
You're
still. You have a
nervous.
pre
Keep mom spaghetti.
Go ahead.
So when you go through all these things, right, and you're trying to make people happy, right? You're trying like that.
He is.
We joked about this whole thing. Customer's always right type of a mentality.
What the hell is that?
that's-
What are you talking about?
I'm saying it's the same. I'm saying this is something that there are people that are surface level that will always try to make people happy. Right. So the Mr.
Yeah.
Warmth type of thing is that you always try to make other people smile. You always try to make other people happy. And I will say that, Hector, I'll go back to you to a point. And Nate, I do want to hear from you. Is when you're interacting with people and when you're talking to people as customers or people in your life and you're trying to be there for them and make them happy, there is a cutting point. There is a turning point, right, where you can't. So, with the stories we've heard tonight, we talk about this event that you were at, Hector, where you lost your shit and that's where
It
the
was ugly,
Mr.
man.
Warmth.
It was
But
ugly.
bro, I haven't cried from laughing.
It was ugly. I mean,
But there was a
been a
reason for
while.
that
because
because you
Since
did everything
Jack,
you could. You were nice,
actually.
right? So I think about the movie Roadhouse, right? You guys all seen
are
Roadhouse.
you going Patrick Swayze on me,
Yeah,
dog? All right.
Oh,
I'll
Go ahead.
absolutely do that. Yeah, Dalton, right? So Roadhouse is something that it's like, be nice. What if they call my mama a whore?
Is she?
Is she? Yeah, thank you. I don't need to say it. For some people
You
listening,
guys
out
have
there,
dynamic, and I don't like that. All right, go ahead.
well, we've all seen it, right?
It's the pink
So
shirt.
there's people listening, and they will listen in the future, right? To this show is that
I'm going to share this on the zone. Or you're going to have 1,000.
I
views
shared
tomorrow.
it. You should have shared it earlier.
I already
shared
Well,
it
I was
earlier.
busy.
I already
Yeah.
shared it, bro. Don't
Go
worry.
ahead. What's the
I
question?
did too.
But so there's a point where when you hit that
That's a nice
turning
glass.
point.
Go ahead.
That's a nice glass.
That is nice. This one has like finger holders.
Yeah, this is my favorite. that I've lost. I had 5 of them. I got two of
I got the
them
worst traffic in the world on mine.
It's great
so-
Chicago glass.
Chicago glass.
So when you hit that turning point,
Hold on.
Sean.
Our studio audience is dissipating. Sean, go another day. Oh, it'd be great. You've been wonderful.
no.
Fuck out
Okay.
of here.
All right. Have a nice night.
So yeah. Are you moonwalking?
A little bit. I saw
So at that turning point, right? So when you try to make other people happy, when you're trying to be that Mr. Warmth, when you're trying to do that, whether it be in the business, whether you're doing that, you're constantly putting yourself out there at all expenses to make that person happy. When is the turning point? Have you guys been in that situation? If you want to do this,
I'll be honest with you.
let's go personal relationships. Take business out of it, because I think that beyond the BS side of this is that you talk about this and people are talking about like what's the conversation, because a lot of times the life topic is a bit more personal. We've talked a lot about business, we've talked a lot about Espinosa Cigars. I think there's a lot of parallels that people can translate this to whatever they're doing with their everyday life. The job, the career is something that and we've talked about it on the podcast. People know this. They don't always realize it because they're so, hand in the face type of thing, where they just wake up and they have to go to work. They have to do all this stuff. The responsibilities, the comfort zone, all that stuff is that, again, Hector, you're not going to work for another cigar company. This is your ride out to the sunset. Tyler, you're at a different stage in your career. You may work for other companies,
No.
or you may
I'm sorry, go ahead.
or you may actually ride this out to the sunset and you're working with Eric Jr. You know what I mean? You don't know. You
Good
just,
luck with
no,
that.
I'm just saying you don't know.
No, of course,
Nate,
of course.
he's had different shifts in his career and all that stuff. So career is one thing. But when it comes to your personal relationship, your friends, your family, your romantic relationships, and we had this on the podcast. We talked about this shit right recently when Ann Dimmick was on a couple times ago. And I'm gonna bring it up again. And she said, "What was the actual question. It was about if you could go back and do things differently again.
About like, yeah.
Are you
back
talking
to-
about regret? Are we going to regret?
We were talking about
It
that
was
night.
about like if you could go back.
I
to
haven't.
18,
Everybody has regret.
It was like if you could go back to yourself at 18,
with what you know now.
like what would you change?
But what with what you know now?
yeah. It's
Listen,
part of
I
that.
have-
So no. Listen, this
At
is one of those
24,
things.
I wouldn't change a damn thing that.
Well,
I've
you're
done so
24
far.
right now.
You're 24 years old.
Yeah, you can't. fault
So
me
it
for
was
that.
funny because we were talking about this and like, so Ann and myself, we were talking about all this stuff and Nate got just hung up because he was just like,
LaFleur.
He's hiding, bro.
No. Listen.
Unacceptable,
personal
unacceptable
not
passenger.
Listen, personal relationships. We were talking about this. Like, if you could change anything, like you tell your, it was if you could tell your younger self.
Yeah, your 18-year-old self.
You could tell your 18-year-old self of what you learn now. And Nate got hung up. Rightfully so. I get it. I'll give him credit. But it was one of those things. He's like, I wouldn't change anything because I wouldn't have met my wife. And I'm like, and we went back and forth during this episode and it was like, all right, so yeah, we get it. You love your wife and you're happy it worked out this way.
Happy birthday, honey.
Happy birthday, Jess. But this is one of those things that it's like, when do you have that turning point in these types of relationships, whether it be career, but more importantly, personal? I'm not saying romantic, just romantic, but it's like, when do you put yourself first? When do you do that? Because, Hector, you brought it up in the career side of it with, we talked about the Mr. Warmth topic type of thing, is that there's the point where you could have just walked away from the career because you're like, I don't want the attention. I don't want to do this. And then all of a sudden Eric could have been like, bro, like you're getting attention. I need you to accept the attention. And sometimes with that personal life is that you put yourself out there constantly just to make things better, just to make that person happy. And you put yourself second, maybe even last. And sometimes there is a point where you get to that issue where you're now in quicksand because you don't know what to do.
Listen,
People get to that point where they really don't know. They're trying to be that Mr. Warmth. They're trying to be that happy person for the other people. But there's a point where you realize that you can't make someone else happy. You can't make them realize what you're doing for them. You can't make them realize what will make them happy because you are pushing to make them happy. And you realize that it is a two-way street. It is something that you really want the best for them.
one moment, please.
But they don't necessarily realize it for themselves. Nate, go ahead.
Well, I mean, with relationships, I get
I was
that.
trying to do closing remarks for the record.
Oh,
Forget that. We're going 4 hours. Baby.
no, I get that in a relationship. There's
Ma'am, you're not going anywhere, are you?
there's give and
Okay.
take, and
Jeez.
sometimes relationships you do put the other person first. But I think every person, whether it be career wise or personal relationship, they have to come to their own understanding of what is their breaking point. At what point do they stop just trying to be Mr. Warmth and appeasing everybody else and actually start looking after themselves? Because sometimes you can't make other people happy until you're happy yourselves, or otherwise it's going to be short-term happiness on your part, or you're just going to get so negative that it's harder for you to actually make yourself happy.
If you put the value on their happiness over yours, it's absolutely a struggle, right? That there's a contradiction there, right? So there's a point where if you're just putting someone else's happiness over yours, that short-lived, that's fine. Because if someone's struggling and they respond and you're in it together, right?
That's what I just went through in my career. I spent a lot of years in a support role, and I actually enjoyed kind of the operation side of business. When I first got into the cigar industry and meeting different reps and doing the events at the shop and stuff, like that was the point where I was like, I want to be a rep, because in my mind, it's like the rock stars in the industry is the reps, the blenders, the name behind the company. Like,
Not the blender. Absolutely wrong. You're absolutely wrong.
Not the reps either.
you joke about that, but how many people line up at a
Well,
shop
yeah,
that you're
it's
doing an event for?
contradiction
Yeah,
to
but,
what you're saying.
no.
Though. They want to hear from you.
Yeah, but listen. And I'm going to use us as an example. In the hierarchy in our company, People want to see Eric, and they should. People want to see Jack, and they should. People want to see me third, maybe Richie third, or me fourth, and that's fine. But I bring a different paradigm to this. I don't tell stories. I'm not that entertaining.
Anyone listening to the podcast tonight would disagree with you
Okay, well, and I appreciate that, Steve.
because you
yeah,
opened up.
I do have a story to tell, but I am a greater good guy. I am, I am about the company. I'm about the greater good. I know my limitations, and at the end of the day,
Ooh,
the guys who dig us, the guys who dig guys like
end of the
me,
day.
the guys who dig me are the
It's like the
geeks.
fifth one.
They're the geeks. They're the guys who go to blogs. They're the guys who are online.
Everyone gets there, and even more
Not
so
everybody,
now.
though.
No,
Not
they will.
everybody.
Don't worry. That's the thing, is that what we've known now is what we've seen with this, like with the social media, with the internet at our fingertips that we don't even want necessarily, is that there's always been a thirst for knowledge, right? So that's the thing, and that's also what I'm trying to get at with the personal side of it, is that
That's what I searched for the last 4 years, hanging out at Robbie's or down at B&G's down in
now
West
you're
Carrollton.
here.
And that's what's got me here, is that thirst for knowledge and to meet all all the right
You want
people and
more,
stuff
or
like
you want
that.
to drink it?
Yeah, it is very good,
That's fine.
but we
Double down.
but
When you get through with that one,
all that time, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, you're bringing
No,
up the
don't shoot it. Don't shoot
he's
it.
not driving.
He's not driving, I'm driving, so we're good. But like,
Can I have
so
my glass?
let's say over the last 2
Momento.
years, right? I was finishing up my last year in the Air Force, and I was really focusing in on me, right?
Yeah.
And I was I didn't think about having a fucking woman in my life at all during that point, because I was more worried about me and me getting to where I wanted to be.
Right.
And even in my first year working with Espinosa, I've focused so much time building the brand in my territory and working my ass off, and I wasn't even thinking. And it was funny, like a month ago, I was looking at, I'm just gonna be honest, I was looking at my projected, what I was expected to do numbers wise this year and what I'm at right now. I'll get to that. Let me finish my thought. And then I'm like, oh, I think I figured out myself at this point. Now let me.
You haven't.
He
I- which
spends a
I-
lot of money on lotion.
All right, go ahead.
Which it's just that now at this point, I've actually like finally
fans.
mentally felt like I've got to the point where, okay, I figured out myself. Now let me try to find this next pillar in my life, and let me try focusing on this type of deal.
Wow.
So I mean,
Quite
it took
the
me-
SAT word there.
Yeah, I mean, it was like over those last 2 years, it was just like I'm just thinking purely. I was selfish over the last couple of years. I'll get you.
Feed the beast.
Feed the
Yeah,
beast,
feed
buddy.
the beast. Let's go. And then so yeah, I worked my ass off to get to
Stop.
what we're doing right now, and I'm super proud of what
Watch
I've
that
done so
glass.
far.
Watch that glass.
And
Cheers.
now I feel, like I'm actually at a comfortable spot right now where I feel like, which comfortable is a bad word for my job,
Yeah,
because
sure
I should
is.
never feel comfortable,
Never.
No,
but
but
I feel at this point I can start at least
Do you have
thinking
any
about
regret in
something
your life?
else. No.
I do have one.
oh, he's too young.
I
Yeah,
have
I'm
one
too young
regret.
to have regrets.
What's your regret?
My
Hector?
regret is when it was time for me to reenlist in the army.
Yeah.
I didn't reenlist. I was
See,
married.
have
I had a
no
young
regrets
child.
about that.
I was married. I had a young child, and I was at the reenlistment NCO's office, and he says, "Hey, listen,
I didn't even go meet with that fucking guy.
well, that's
I blew it off.
Well,
Why do you regret that?
Because he's in the Air Force. What does he care?
No. Why do
Well-
you regret that?
Well, I'll tell you what it was. It was 1986. My reenlistment NCO goes, "Listen, you have a chance to go. Your reenlistment time's coming up in March. What do you want to do?" I said, "What are my options?" I was in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Have you ever been to Oklahoma?
No, I
On,
might go to
on an
Oklahoma
exciting
City,
day, you
but
watch Kansas blow into Texas. It's Fort Sill is the armpit of America. Lawton, Oklahoma is super boring, but as a signalman, I was attached to an infantry unit. I'm sorry, an artillery unit, and I hated it. But it was time to reenlist. So reenlistment NCO came. You go see him. And he
Yeah.
says, well, here are your options. You go back to Korea, which means you go back to second division, which means you go to the border. I'm not down with that. I'm married. I have a young child. You can go to Turkey. And you can sit on a mountaintop and listen to Russian recordings, record Russian radio transmissions and try to get them translated later. And I didn't want to go to Turkey. And then he goes, you can go to Germany. You get a direct assignment to Berlin Brigade. So I'm sitting there looking at the map. Goodbye, dear. Thank you so much for coming. Please receive. Oh, watch out. Don't knock that shit over. Okay.
Stable.
There's some towels at the exit. All right. So, so he says, you can go to Germany. You can go to Berlin. So I look at the map, and I remember looking at the map, and I'm looking at West Germany, and I don't see Berlin. And I've got my finger on the map, and I'm looking, and the NCO took my finger, and he moved it all the way to East Germany. And I said, Berlin's in East Germany? He goes, yeah. I go, I'm out.
Yeah.
That's my biggest regret, because a year and a half later, the wall fell. And Germany was such my best friend in the world, Louis Crespo, was in Germany at the time. And he told me, re-enlist, come to Germany, hang out with me. We're going to have a great time. And I didn't. But had I re-enlisted, the Army would have been my career, not the police department.
So what's the regret there?
The regret was that I missed a chance to watch the wall fall.
Saw it on TV.
Yeah, but it's different. He told me things at Brandon Brigade are crazy. I would have probably stayed in the military. Who knows? I would have been a sergeant first class by
So
then.
yeah. So that,
but I have a really great career. I don't have any regret outside of that. I should have stayed in the military. I really should have. But I was young. I was married. I had a young child.
you
and
say
I
that
didn't go.
you say that today.
Of course, I'm 30. This is 1987.
No, I'm saying you say that today where you ended up.
Well, I'm very happy where I ended up.
So
listen, I worked for
what's the level of regret with that? You know what I mean?
the only regret I have in my life.
Okay. So at the time it was regret.
It's still a regret because I missed watching the wall fall. I missed being with my best friend in the world, who's still my best friend in the world.
I'll tell you this right now is that if you would have done that, you probably would have, and I can't predict the past future.
Future, you like that? Ooh, that's pretty good. Go ahead, Steve. You're doing good. It's the pink shirt. Who was that woman who just walked on?
That was a fan. That's part of the Bourbon BS community.
A fan.
Beautiful.
God, you are so bougie. Go ahead.
So my point is that you look at the past future, right? When you do that regret, that's not what Nate was talking about.
Well, Nate's
my
issue is
opinion.
completely different than mine.
That's the point, is that, like, in my opinion, I'm of the opinion that you wouldn't be working for Espinosa Cigars.
My whole life would have changed. I would have never worked for Miami-Dade Police.
So
The
it's
ninth largest,
interesting.
the eighth
You
largest
give
police
it,
department in the country.
you give that regret enough length.
It's got credence.
You will do if you are that
That's like
that
the butterfly
person.
effect, right?
It's the
right?
butterfly effect. It absolutely is the butterfly effect. Had I re-enlisted, I would have stayed in the military. I would have made rank. I would have. Who knows what I would have gotten in those years, and I would have been retired. I have no regret outside of the fact that.
Would you be blending cigars right now?
Oh, absolutely not.
Do you like what you do?
I love what I do.
So no problem.
No, but there's regret because listen,
No, don't.
The
don't-
wall
you can't
falling.
do that. Sorry. So that,
Steve,
no,
you're
no.
a young guy. How old are you, Steve?
I'm old enough.
You're not that old, player. How old are you?
I'm 41.
Shit, I got pants older than you. I got.
You should really.
I still have my
donate
uniform.
those.
My military uniform is older than you.
Okay.
are.
Does
Again,
it still
you-
fit?
No, hell no. What are you crazy? I'm not wearing a medium like my man over here.
It's a Nicaraguan extra large. By the way,
If you were to go in
buyjack.com.
if you were to go in the army,
/BS. You want to do a
Hector, if you
What
were
a
to go in the army
plug.
today, you'd be a tanker. You'd be in a tanker.
If I went into the army today, I wouldn't make it through basic training. Are you kidding? They would have kicked my ass. by
Nate,
now.
I want to hear from you what you're saying about this.
Well, but they already told us. Nate had the issue with, putting people first, having an unauthorized driver with him. I'm sorry.
I have no idea what you said.
Having an unauthorized pilot with him, an unauthorized co-pilot, with him.
Unauthorized travel companion.
An unauthorized travel companion. Listen, I think. What are you doing now?
I work in the billing department of a power company.
People need power. What are you doing today?
Traveling with you.
That's a good move. What are you doing today, Steve?
So I got some people over at my house.
He's doing a podcast.
I have a feeling that the last 30 minutes of this podcast are going to be completely blanked out. He's going to cut. What
am I doing right now? Right. I have you guys over at my house.
I'm so happy to be here. I got to tell you something.
This doesn't exist, right? By the way, like this is something that this is what's fun about this is that so having this podcast, it started with some people that like Jake Sanders, right?
Absolutely.
And Nate has been a part of this.
GM of Barack Patel that
Oh,
started
cool.
the party. Well, I'll tell you later.
Don't pat me
So-
on the back like I'm your bitch.
Jake's the humor
Jake-
manager at Burned by Rocky Patel. And
Oh, cool.
GM.
My man.
GM.
Yeah, but he got in the cigar industry through the Tinder Box. So this is all organic, right? This whole thing has been organic, and it's
God
been.
damn it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah.
My man.
But when I look at like Nate, and it was funny. Did you listen to the podcast with Spencer?
Spencer who?
So he's a sport of the podcast.
Not
I didn't
Spencer
listen,
Drake,
I didn't listen to
No.
No.
Spencer Drake. What's up
No,
with
no,
that?
no.
You know Spencer Drake?
I do know Spencer.
I
I didn't listen to part
Drake.
2.
You know that they were at the PCA several years ago and they had a ping pong table. They played a lot of ping pong.
Really?
You know, this little shit.
Spencer Lappin actually said something. It's like he recognized that you need to branch out. You should listen to that. He had a lot of high. No, that Nate needs to. That
I'm gonna
you
tell
know,
you.
with this.
Hold on,
No,
hold
I'm
on, Nate.
telling you.
Finish.
No, Nate, I need you to hold on for a second. He's got a lot of talent.
I know he does.
What's he doing eating shit in an electric company?
So if he listens to the podcast when he was on vacation, that Spencer actually said, Spencer Lappin, who's a big supporter of the podcast, he's a frequent guest, and he was a co-host when you were out of town.
Well,
He was. We
It
had
was just the two of them.
well, Amy was supposed to be a part of it, and
Yeah.
Amy Scherzinger, we're rescheduling that. But
I love women named Amy. I don't know why.
It's a good name. It's a great
It's a
name.
great name.
Great name.
Keep drinking that. I need to refill your glass.
no, it's full enough at the moment.
You are
But
fucking- you know what? That's kind of panty waist shit. I'm just telling you.
I appreciate that.
You're one of the guys I respect the most in this industry.
Oh, that's all right.
That just shows you how little people. I mean,
Notice how he intentionally said that not into the mic.
Oh, did you not hear that? Go ahead. You know,
So-
he's the only guy drinking from a tulip glass. Why is that?
He likes that Glencairn. But no, so that
He's
that's what
such
I'm
a
saying.
vag lover.
There is a level of respect, right? So to you, Nate, that you should listen back to when Spencer and I were on together.
Not Spencer Drake.
Not Spencer Drake, it was Spencer Lappin. And
Has anybody mentioned Spencer Drake in the last 5 years?
no,
You know
Just
Spencer
you.
Drake?
I do.
I like Spencer Drake. The
Yeah,
Spence.
good.
You love the Spence? I love the Spence.
I like Hirochi.
No, but what's that Seinfeld thing? Love the Spence.
Love
Love, the
the
Drake. Love the Drake. You love the Drake?
I like Hirochi.
You love the Drake?
I am a big fan and I respect Hirochi.
He's not answering my question.
No,
This
I
is
just-
why-
I-
this is
I
why there's
answered your
police-
question.
No, that's why there's police brutality. Do you love the Drake?
I like Hirochi.
Do you love the Drake?
I have no idea who that is.
Spencer Drake? From Hiroshi Rabiner?
He was the broker for HR Cigars.
I called him once on
Ah.
FaceTime and he answered me when he was laying down. I can't imagine any woman laying on top of him. That's incredibly bad. You like the Drake?
I don't know.
I'm taking this in a bad direction.
No, you're not taking a bad direction.
All right, listen, I have questions.
Let's go.
If you had a chance, you know, we talked about our regret. He had none because he's 24.
24,
I've got
yeah.
underwear older than him.
His regret is.
What's your regret?
Ooh.
I'm gonna turn the tables on that. I may need to get you a new rubber condom for this. Go ahead, man.
It's
What's your regret?
I used to have regret. No,
Go ahead. I won't throw them off. Go ahead.
I don't.
You don't have any regret in life?
So that's actually something as you go through life is that you might have regret, right?
Great voice. Go ahead.
But as you go through life is that
Penny dropper. Go ahead. He hates me so much.
No, I don't hate you.
Go ahead,
No,
Steve.
the fun thing about it is that as you go through life, is that you learn from your mistakes.
Did you make mistakes?
Always.
I'm taking over the show. All right, go ahead.
But the one thing about it is that if you actually resolve those things, if you learn from
But
those,
you didn't answer my question.
which
Do
one?
you have regret?
He's trying to.
Yeah. So
Shut up. You're killing me. Do you have
I'm
regret?
answering that. So I did.
What's your regret? What's your biggest regret in life? I told you mine was not re-enlisting. He told you not using the right lotion. And
No,
I
you
don't know
didn't
what the
tell me
fucking
that.
Nate said. Go.
No. So the regrets I
Final
had.
remarks.
No, shut up.
Yeah, we'll get to the closing remarks.
In a minute.
So the regrets I had were actually something that I learned from, and I beat myself up over it.
Do you really?
I did.
No more?
At this point, I have actually not.
This is why we beat people with phone books. Go ahead.
I no longer do that.
No?
So there's a very big self-reflection on yourself. And
What
this
is the point? No, Steve.
He's getting
What
there.
is
He's
no,
getting
no,
there.
no, but
Let
hold
him
on,
ask.
hold on,
He's
hold on.
getting there.
Let
No,
him
I know
ask.
he's getting there.
Let him ask.
But I asked him a question. Do you have any regret? You said no.
I did.
You have no
Not
regret.
anymore.
Not right
Not
now.
anymore. What was the regret you had?
So my regret was
I used to interview criminals. Jesus.
my regret was probably the fact that I didn't know myself.
How old are you now? You're 41, you said, right?
41. I didn't know myself, so I couldn't respond to situations in my life that I could. There's plenty of whiskey in that glass.
$30 a bottle.
But that
Oh,
was
that
my
shit
biggest
hit you.
regret. My biggest regret was if I and that's why I say I don't have it anymore, is that I didn't know myself. And to that point was go back to the topic of Mr. Warmed.
I'm listening. I'm listening. You got a pink shirt. You got all the attention. What did Jack say?
No, I know that.
Shut up. Yeah.
So when I look back, the biggest regret was at the time was I didn't know myself well enough. And I think this is a thing that we all go through in life, is that you think you have things figured out at that moment. As we go through life and as you get older, it's not about age, but at some point you actually realize that what you thought was yourself and what you're trying to figure out, you don't know yourself well enough. You didn't allow yourself, listen to me, you didn't know yourself well enough at that moment.
Do you think we ever really know ourselves?
Yes,
I don't think so.
you're always learning. You're always growing.
I don't think we ever know ourselves.
You are always growing.
Of course, but I don't think we
But
ever know
looking
ourselves.
back with regret is a point that you really, at that moment, if you allow yourself to be consumed with the moment, you are selling yourself short, because at that moment you are just that person. And oddly enough is that you actually are actually focused on the future, right? But you're consumed with the present.
Listen, you have marriage, you have children, you have work,
Right.
you have. How many times have you sat there and you thought, I could have been this, I could have been that? I never had that issue. And did you have that?
Talking
You
to the
have that issue?
microphone.
I'm sorry. There are many times that you think, I could have been here, I could have been there, I could have been this, I could have been that.
I don't anymore. That's
Me
my
neither.
point, right?
Me neither.
At that time I did.
Listen,
We all get sucked into a little bit of quicksand.
there was a time.
Have you ever heard this part of the podcast, right? So this is and I'm gonna figure out how to put this on a t-shirt.
Uh-oh. What color are we going with the t-shirt?
Multiple colors.
Green. Good.
Nate, we talked about this a lot of times, is the hand in front of your face, right? So Hector, I'll tell you this. You talk about regret, right? So when you're dealing with shit in your life, right? You're trying to focus on something. A lot of times you put the hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So put your hand in front of your face. Do this for me. You've never been on this podcast, in the garage, right? So when the issues, when all your struggles are in your face, what happens? Right here.
Sure.
It's in your face. Hands in front of your face. Try to do this for me. Do this exercise.
This is an exercise of futility. Go ahead.
All right. So focus on the hand. No, in your face. Bring it up. Bring it up. He's done this. So you can't really focus. You're not doing it.
I'm doing it, bro. Dog. I got you.
Closer.
You too. Right
Closer.
here.
All right. So now focus on your face, on the hand. Your eyes shift.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, your eyes shift. You're trying to look at your palm. You're trying to look at the fingers, right? Right. Now, when you're focusing on that hand in your face,
Mm-hmm.
can you, without really shifting, look beyond it?
It's very hard to look beyond it.
No. Move the.
Oh, sure.
Move
Absolutely.
it out. Move it out. So now you're focusing on everything.
The hand is not a bigger issue right now.
So now you look at the hand, you look beyond it, you can focus on everything. Everyone really, when they're dealing with shit, they're looking at that hand. If it's closer to your face, you can't do anything about it. To answer your question?
Yes, it did. Without being specific, you did.
Good.
Look, I know you want to get to closing questions. I know you want to
You
get to
probably
closing
should.
answers. But listen, I got to tell you something. This has been, you didn't fill my glass, by the way. Listen. And while I didn't mean to take the podcast over,
You're the guest of honor.
I'm 55 years old.
Yeah.
And I think it's not bad to, at the end of the day, only have one thing that I regret. I don't there's nothing. How about we go in another direction? Things that you appreciate. No, things you appreciate. I appreciate the fact that I got a chance to work with Espinosa.
Yeah.
I got a chance to work with you. I got a chance to work with Eric. I got a chance to work with Jack. And I'm going to tell you something. Jack, when Jack said we're going to be friends, I thought he was kidding. And here we are.
Hey,
Sundays, I go to his house to watch football.
right.
Jack has been the guy that has been a calming force in the office for me.
Right.
Look, I'm 55. I think I have another 6 or 7 years left to work.
More than that.
No, I don't think so. I think 62 is the year. I'm looking at retiring at 62.
Well, you got a pension.
Well, of course I got a pension, but it's, I want to move to South Carolina. I want to relax. My kids are 21 and 35.
Right.
When it comes to what I'm doing now, I have no regret what I'm doing. I love what I do. I go to work every morning with incredible intention. I have good intentions to go to work, good intentions to do the right thing.
Right.
Jack is one of the great things at work. I look forward to seeing him. I look forward to what we're going to do next.
Absolutely.
But there are times that you wonder, how did I get here? I have no regret about any of that. At the end of the day, Espinosa is what I'm about. It's the last team I'm ever going to be a part of.
Right.
Last team I'm ever going to be a part of.
Yeah.
And it's a great team. Juniors are a good team. Seniors are a good team. Jack's a good team.
You're going to carry them through it.
Richie's a good team. The office people are a good team.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I figure I've got 6 or 7 good years left. And then I'm out.
Hey, it's going to be a great future.
You're going to be so young. You're still going to be super young.
Yeah, of course.
You're going to be 31. Jack's
He's going to
older
get
than
old. He's going to get old. I got to be
Jack's
honest.
older than I am. Jack's 60.
No, it's Tyler.
Oh, Tyler's a young guy. By the
Yeah,
time I
he's going to
retire,
get old.
Jack, he wouldn't even be 30 years old by then. And Nate, I don't know what Nate's playing crossword puzzles. I don't know what the hell Nate's doing.
Angry Birds.
No,
You play Angry Birds?
no, someone's texting me. So
During our podcast?
Jess.
yeah.
Happy
what?
birthday to Jess. Everyone.
Happy birthday to the wife. Listen, I know you want
Hey,
to go ahead and go out,
I
get out
think
of here.
I think this is a beautiful way to end. And
All right, hang on, real quick.
no. He
Yeah.
the guest of honor just like laid out his whole. I think that was a beautiful way.
I'll tell you
of-
what, even though we talked about regret, let me tell you about the things I'm
Microphone.
proud of.
Microphone.
Let me tell you about the things I'm proud of.
Go ahead.
My son works for the Miami-Dade Police Department.
Yeah.
I pinned his badge on. For me,
It's
that
a beautiful thing.
That was the most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah.
My daughters I adopted my daughters in 2001.
Yeah.
We flew to Russia to adopt them.
Mhm.
My daughters are 21. Espinosa's 10 years old now. You know, I've got a great life.
Right.
I can't complain.
You're rolling.
I'm rolling, man. I'm rolling. I'm getting a chance to travel with the company. Eric lets me travel.
It's a beautiful cul-de-sac you're in tonight.
Oh, I surely am. Look,
It's
Jack has
super
been-
nice.
Jack's been a
Garage and a cul-de-sac.
Jack's been a
It's
big fan.
Gorgeous.
Jack's been a big fan of letting me travel.
Yeah.
You know, he's facilitated that. in
You're
an
part of
incredible
this.
way. This is a part of. Listen, there are guys who look at our industry and they love what we do. They think cigars are so sexy. They have no idea how much work we
It's the
have.
glamour part of it. Yeah.
It's the glamour part of it.
Yeah.
And it's super glamorous. We went to Cigar Aficionados. We did the Cigar Aficionado Big Smoke.
Right.
I went with Jack. My son went. That was a good moment for me. My
Yeah,
son.
absolutely.
And it's funny because my son got banged up in the first hour he was there.
yeah.
He walked around with Junior. Junior's a bad influence, by the way. Don't think Junior's not a good influence.
I feel like
Junior took
Bourbon
my-
BS podcast.
Junior took my son around and got him banged up, but he sat down and we handed out cigars. It was a great moment for me.
Yeah.
The best moment at Cigar Aficionados event was a bunch of retired guys who went there. A bunch of Miami-Dade retired guys who went there. And they came by and I hadn't seen them in years and I hugged them and then I took my son around.
Don't get quiet right now. Get after it.
So my son, I took my son to go see some of these guys who are retired.
Yeah.
And I'm not a guy who really talks about myself. So I took my son to see these guys who are retired and they went, bro, your dad was something else. And my son looked at me and he goes, Pop, these guys are talking about you like you were the shit. I go, I was. I'm just
You are.
I'm just tired now,
Right. Yeah.
But I was fire in the day, I'm just tired.
How do you get that fire back?
No, I don't want that fire back. I like what I'm doing now.
Okay. All right.
That's
So
what I'm
let me.
I think that's.
I have no control of this podcast.
I think
I love the part two. I try.
What happened there?
I love this because I will tell you this. You've seen this, Tyler. Is
Yeah.
that like when I do my closing remarks, I go along the table.
I think we just did closing remarks.
No, as soon as I do
Relax,
my
bro.
closing
Settle down,
remarks,
settle down.
Nate knows this.
We don't have to wake up till 8.
When
You
I
get
do,
interrupted by
I do my
everybody.
I let everyone else do their closing remarks, and I bring it on, and there's everyone else's closing remarks.
This
After
is going to
it.
be your most watched podcast. You know that, right?
I hope so. Maybe I don't
No,
know.
listen to me.
Oh, Facebook. Sucks.
How many guys are on right now?
Not many.
Hold on, settle
5,
down.
6.
Yeah, it's at the very top of your screen.
Drunk Hector got banged up in his second hour tonight.
Yeah, you don't
Chrissy
look-
Critchfield is something else. Huh? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
Wrap
So
it up, Bubby.
closing remarks. Nate. No. Tyler, hang on.
Tell Jack to relax, bro.
Nate.
I know. I did the same issue.
My closing remarks.
I
they're
said
set.
Nate. Nate.
Nathaniel.
Oh,
Lit
there's
his
no
third
intro to
cigar.
the
He's
closing
good.
remark. All right.
So thank you for our sponsors, Tinder Box at Easton, Altus USA, also BS Cigar Company, and also you guys at patreon.com/BourbonBS podcast. You guys are amazing. Yeah, it goes late. You won't. I want to say buyjack.com. I'm not going to try to zero in on that.
Bye, Jack.
Not now. No.
byjack.com. You guys can actually get some of the swag from the podcast and also be a cigar company, which is also part of Espinosa Cigars, the
Is
silver.
it?
I'm smoking the silver right now. But this shirt that I'm wearing right now, if you're tuning in, this goes to charity.
10%.
$10.
Oh, $10.
Not 10%. It's a $30 t-shirt. It's not 10%. It's $10 of this $30 purchase that you will
That's
be
not really
donating.
pink. That's fuchsia, by the way.
No, don't get me started with that. This is a charity pink. The reason that Nate actually asked me about this is that they sent him the wrong one. Same shit that you guys had
Nate?
to deal with. Same shit you guys had to deal with. The fact that we got 4 boxes of Murcielago that was actually 4.
Go ahead.
Don't cover his mic. He's the voice.
No. So the guy, John, with By Jack, he's a great guy. They sent him the wrong t-shirt for this. So to have him print this shirt, it took a little longer because they sent him the wrong shirt. It was
What are you benching?
I don't bench.
You don't bench, huh?
No, I don't bench.
I bench about 115.
Yeah, me too. So this pink t-shirt that I'm
Thank you,
wearing right now.
thank you, Tinder Box at Easton. Thank you,
Thank
BS
you,
Cigar
Tinder Box at
Company.
Easton. Thank you for Patreon.
Thank you, Dr. Serrano, for his prescription. But
Steve, thank you for having us, my man. We
absolutely,
appreciate it. We had a
$10
great
from
time.
this. $10
By
for
the
this
way, I
t-shirt.
was really upset about the weather.
Too warm.
Yeah, I thought I texted
Mr.
you
Warren.
all week.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, it's snowing. Hey, it's cold. And then I get here, it's 60 degrees.
Hey,
I know it's
weird.
not your fault. I know it's not
Yeah.
your fault.
What can I do?
Nothing. You're very nervous. about Jack's
Buyjack.com. Buyjack.com/BourbonBS podcast. No. Buyjack.com
Buyjack.com.
/BourbonBS.
Beautiful.
Nate, go ahead. I'm done.
Nate, can you take us home, please? I think that one
It's
last
rolling
pour
down the
fucked him up.
table.
I fucked him up with that last pour.
I-
You know, the problem is you don't have enough body weight.
I got you.
You need to gain like another 25 pounds.
I did that before.
What happened to you?
Nate, go ahead.
Take us home, Bubba.
So I mean, the way you led into the part 2, talk
Mr.
about
Warm.
Mr. Warm, and it started me thinking about how on the retail side we deal with customers.
Yeah.
And regardless of the day that I have at my
Nate's
main
gonna go
job,
long.
whether it's a good day or bad day, when I'm, my regular job, I'm not dealing with customers. So I can just be who I am, which is normally a very laid back, but
Just cut
also
off their power.
I don't put up with a whole lot of BS in my regular job. If there's something I'm supposed to do, I'll do it. But if someone says, hey, you didn't do this, well, that wasn't on me. Like, I'm not going to sit there and lay down on someone else's sword. Like, that's not my job.
Okay.
When it comes to working at the shop, dealing with customers, it doesn't matter how my day went. Like, I try and be the nicest person I can be for those customers and be as educational as I can and make sure that person gets what it is that they're looking for. I want them to leave the store happy, not just with their purchase, but also the interaction that they had with staff. I've also seen where, like, Brian's been in tobacco industry most of his life, and he's owned the shop for 20 years plus. Brian knows a lot about tobacco, and sometimes there will be people that come in that want to act like they know more about tobacco, and they don't know what they're talking about
Right.
at all.
Right.
Brian has a great ability to not try and belittle that person. It's like, oh, you don't know shit. Like, here, let me tell you the actual truth. He will sometimes I've seen him. He will actually bite his tongue and just agree with what the person is saying because
what are you going to do?
Yeah, because it's just, I mean, that person's going to come in, they're going to buy their cigars, and they're going to leave. If Brian were to sit there and be confrontational and argue with them, that person may have a bad experience and they may not come back. Brian wants that person to come back, even if that means just agreeing. What the hell?
Everybody's leaving.
You guys leave.
Everybody's leaving. Go ahead.
No, after 4 hours, everyone needs a piss break.
Do I need to close it out or?
No, don't you dare touch that mouse.
Of course not.
But no, Brian will sit there and bite his tongue and let that person believe whatever it is they're believing because the way that person presented themselves. That person presented themselves as a know-it-all. And after 10 seconds in the conversation, Brian realized that person doesn't actually know shit. But he also realizes that person is not in a position to actually take education, to take criticism, to be told that they're wrong.
Of course not.
So Brian will just sit there and he'll let it go. And sometimes, Hector, you brought up that story of the guy that kept saying, "Oh, does this cigar have this tobacco?" No, it doesn't. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I blended this cigar. I know what's in the cigar. And you were kind of doing the same thing with that at the start, at least. You knew the correct answer. That person didn't necessarily want to hear the correct answer.
They didn't want to hear it. No.
And so for the first bit, like you're just going with it.
Okay.
You're just going with it. You're letting it flow. Like you're hoping the guy will take your answer and just walk away.
No.
You hit a point in that conversation where you just couldn't hold it back anymore. And
that's my fault, though. That's my fault for lack of experience. That's what it was. It was lack of experience.
But
Jack would have never let that.
But I don't think it's.
Listen, Nate.
I don't think it's.
Jack would have never. Jack wouldn't let that happen. Eric wouldn't let that happen. Eric's told me on many occasions, just let him say whatever he wants.
But you did. You
let
that customer believe what they were believing and question you on it multiple times. But eventually you hit your breaking point. And why did you hit your breaking point? Because
I'm an asshole.
I
am.
No, it's not because you're an asshole. Sticking up for yourself and sticking up for what is truth does not make you an asshole. Now, could there have been different ways that you could have educated that person?
Absolutely.
Possibly.
Absolutely.
But you weren't necessarily wrong in the way you handled it because you told that person multiple times. If after that interaction multiple times that person still doesn't believe you, that's on them. That's them being the asshole, not you. So
the customer, listen, Nate, the customer's always right. The retailer's always right.
I've worked in retail for a long time.
I know you have.
Customers sometimes is an asshole. They're not always right.
But you have to let them
But
go.
you, just like with personal relationships, there comes a point where you can't just be rolled over anymore. And you would ask Steve about his regret. That's one of my regrets in life is I wish that in my career, I didn't let myself be rolled over as often as I did. I wish I would have stuck up for myself more. Steve.
Listen.
So no,
go ahead.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna close it out.
Let's close out.
So the big part about part two with the Mr. Warmth side of this is what I love about this is that, Hector, you've been a big part of this industry and you've been silently rolled into this industry in a sense. You're behind the scenes. And what I like about this is that
I love being behind the scenes.
Yeah, and you should. And Tyler's actually now a little bit of the face, right? So there is a transition sometimes when you actually do these things.
Tyler is the face of our company.
He's the face.
5 states.
Right. So my point is that, sometimes when you do this, and Jack Geronimo out there as well, is that he is now in a new role with the company, and he was a part of this podcast. He was on the podcast, and it's so great to see the growth. When growth happens, as my closing remarks, growth happens when you talk about this personality trait. This is not just business. It filters into your personal life. It filters into your friendships. And what is so great about this is that as you become genuinely yourself, that person in your career, in your home life, in your friendships, it is very unified. It is so much yourself. You find more identity in yourself that this translates to everything. And that's where you have the most success. The whole Mr. warmth topic tonight is purely, as I've listened to you guys tonight, I've listened to the audience, I've listened to people around it, is that no one understands it until you actually talk about this.
Of course.
It is literally who you are as a person. And between everyone out there, I know it's late in the podcast, we're pushing 4 hours. I got to be honest, is that the more you know yourself, it's not you knowing yourself. This is your interactions with people in your job, in your waking hours. You know who you aren't? Is the person that sometimes when you're struggling and you're struggling to figure out who you are, when you're trying to go to bed, when you're trying to wake up. And I love the quote, I'm going to mess it up, but
That's okay.
from Ocean's whatever.
Ocean's 11. Ocean's 12.
I think it's Ocean's 12.
Ocean's 13.
Matt Damon looks to Brad Pitt and says, "What are you, suicidal?" And Brad Pitt says, "Only in the morning."
Only in the morning, sir.
So my thing is that we actually grow when we're by ourselves, but it's based on other people. And
Listen,
I think that
I see that. I hate to interrupt you, but I wouldn't be where I am without the guys I work with.
that's my point.
And I know that's your point. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, my point is that you grow from others. If you take it upon yourself, there is a purpose to that. Sometimes you actually will grow because everything around you is falling down. It's crumbling, right? So then you have to actually look inward. But there's a point that you actually will grow the best steps in your life by surrounding yourself with good people.
Right.
We do this podcast and it's about the whiskey and the cigars, and then part 2 is Beyond the BS. This is the Beyond the BS, and we are fortunate enough to have Tyler. We have Hector on. We have the people that are who's in the industry. And what I love about this podcast is that we learn from each other to a point that it's not only on you. The Mr. Warmth concept is not just about the characteristics of what is your inner struggles of who you want to be, who you want to like do your best.
You like that?
There are strengths of people wanting more out of you. And I think that that's something that is a lesson that we're all learning.
Yeah.
Is that it will not be simple. It will not be just on you. You can diagnose people. You can learn about other people. You can learn about yourself. But it's putting it all together as a package that you can be a complete person. So that whoever you work for, whoever you are doing your day-to-day for, it's not just for those other people. It's truly about there's a reward for yourself. And that's what I love about this, is that as the more you learn about other people, the more you learn about yourself. And that's when everyone wins.
Right.
You let go of your ego. It's not about you. It's not about them. It's about everyone involved. Everyone wins. That's the goal. It's a team effort. That's what we talked about that. It's a team effort that you actually will build up yourself along with other people, and then the whole team wins.
Yeah.
Someone doesn't want to do it with you. You try to a point, but you can't drag them along with you. And you might be that person that you're trying to drag along with you because you haven't opened yourself up. You haven't had a self-realization moment that you realize that you're the one being dragged through the mud.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this topic, is that Mr. Warmth is, you might have to put a smile on your face. You might have to make other people happy, but not at the sacrifice to yourself. You're always the most important person in your own life. Learn from it and grow from it. And with that, I'll say, I'm going to take this back here. Happy Whiskey Wednesday.
All right. I'm empty, but I'm glad to have you
I'll
here.
cheers that.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for
having
having us.
Tyler
You
on
guys
the
are
wall.
amazing. To everyone else there listening, you guys are amazing. Thank you very much. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. And I hope you guys tune in next week. Maybe we'll learn something about each other.
More than
Oh, we will next week with the topic.
What's the topic?
I texted you. So
He has
if
to
you
check his
remember,
text.
so
Still working on that.
last year when we did Thanksgiving, instead of talking about
It's gonna get personal.
last year for Thanksgiving, instead of talking about the things we were thankful for,
I had a great idea, didn't I?
it was a great idea. We were talking
Kind
about
of blew
what
up in my face.
we were talking about what we want to be thankful for Thanksgiving 2021. And so I texted Steve like, that's what we should talk about.
So yeah, next week we're gonna
You
do it
think
again. I think it's
last
been
year you
Nate
thought
and
about
Mike.
this year.
So yeah, instead of everyone talks about like what are you thankful for around the table, right?
Mhm.
What are you gonna be thankful for next year?
Man, I don't know. Thanksgiving is a big deal for us. I have my daughters. I have my son.
So take it to the table. Is use this year to what do you want to be thankful for next year? And I encourage
The only
everyone
thing
out there.
The only thing I'm thankful for is just being healthy.
Right.
I mean, listen, especially in this era, you know. Listen, we've been on a long time. We've talked a lot of shit.
Yeah.
We've had a great time. I know Jack is mentoring us from where he's at right
Absolutely, yeah.
Buffalo.
now. Yeah, but listen, podcasts like this, at the end of the day, there's a couple of things that we want to bring up. I know that Jack's probably like, get off the air right now. And I know he's texting, my man Tyler here. He hasn't texted me once, which is fine. But listen, I've had a drink. I had a lot of drinks tonight, and I'm very happy.
It's very pure, yeah.
It's very.
fine.
This is kind of self. This is kind of self meditating. This kind of helps you out. Listen, we have come a long way. I don't think we've said anything that's really embarrassing.
Not at all.
We're having a good time. You know, your podcast is. You have an audience
Yeah.
that they're gonna garner what they've garnered from us. But at the end of the day, this has been a rough year and a half.
So that's
Anything that we've garnered, anything that we've gained at this time,
Yeah, be thankful for it.
you've got to be thankful for it.
so that's what I look at. There's a purpose for the thankfulness for this last year. And where you're at.
Have you
now.
not had a hard year the last year and a half?
So I had a couple years, but it's one of those things that even my Thanksgiving going forward, and you know, I'm going to be gathering with my family, and part of my family is big on the COVID thing still. So that's where I think next week, if you guys tune in,
What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Going home to see family.
What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Family.
I have a very small family.
I'm not flying down to Miami.
No, of course not. I don't blame you.
Nate, you're invited. I mean,
Listen, we are going to gather at my
Steve,
house.
you can come hang with me.
happy birthday.
We're going to
Jess.
gather at my house, and my kids are going to gather at my house, and we're going to talk about my brother who passed away. And you know, it's. I'm thankful now.
What's your brother's name?
My brother's name was Fabian.
Fabian. So next week,
He
we'll
would
do a
have
toast.
turned 51 November 7th.
We'll do a toast to Fabian.
I appreciate
next
that.
week.
I appreciate that. Listen, I know that you've been on a long time.
Thank
thank
you for having us.
Thank-
I live here,
thank you
so
for-
I got a
thank
long
you for-
drive.
Thank you for having us.
My point is that this continues, and that's the big part of this, is that no matter what we learned from all this tonight and next week, like you were saying, Nate,
I'm good.
Thanksgiving episode is going to probably be.
You want to laugh? My son is going to come to Thanksgiving. I'm sorry. I know this is funny. My son's coming to Thanksgiving. My son's wife is Korean. My son's half Korean. So I told him, I said, hey, you're coming to Thanksgiving? He goes, yeah. I said, what does Nami bring? Oh, she's going to bring like Korean food. I said, it's Thanksgiving. Do you think the pilgrims?
That's cool though.
No, but do you think the pilgrims sat around the blessings of turkey?
They
and
had
the
what they
kimchi?
had.
You know, the Korean food, you know. He goes, Pop, my
different.
wife
It's
my wife
different,
doesn't
though.
like Korean food. You know, what are you going to do? What are
Roll
you
with
doing
it.
for Thanksgiving? Are you going to be at your family's or
Yeah, so I'm going to be at my
Where are you
brother's
going?
in-laws
Where?
here in town.
here in town?
Yeah.
Are you going out of town?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
I'm on the west side of town. But
Nate
I'll be
Now-
in
What's the
town.
west side? When we were at that shop, he said, he kept
Steve,
saying-
you can come over to my house
he
for
kept
drinks
sa- he kept
afterwards if you
saying
need
the
to.
short north
No,
end.
I'm
what
good.
does that mean?
I'm not from Columbus now.
What is the
Alright.
short north end?
It's a great area.
That's just an
Great
area of
It's-
town.
It's a great area.
A lot of
town.
bars.
Columbus is- yeah,
I had no
Live
idea.
band-
I
live
kept
music.
nodding because This guy.
hang on. I want to thank everyone for tuning in.
We can't just keep we
It
segue way
rolls,
too much.
It rolls.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tinder Box at Easton. Also, Altidus USA, BS Cigar Company. You guys on patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast.
Is this your longest podcast ever?
Yep.
It's pushing.
My man, that's what I wanted. I wanted
Goals.
a William Cooper type of podcast.
So if you like the pink shirt that I've got on right
Oh,
now,
God, nobody likes that pink shirt.
Buyjack.com.
buyjack.com/bourbon and
BS.
Look at
BS.
that. Look at, you can barely put a finger in that thing.
You can fit a whole hand in that thing.
All right,
Hey,
that got weird.
It got weird.
But no, that the pink shirt actually goes to charity. So $10 of every purchase
You
of the.
flex for me?
No, I won't. Happy
You
whiskey,
want to, though.
Happy Whiskey Wednesday, everyone.
All right, I'm empty again. You guys go ahead and cheer.
Yeah, we already cheered.
Yeah, we already cheered.
We cheered, Ray.
Beautiful.
Good night. Say good night, Gracie.
Working on the mouse.
There's no way you can see that.
And